In the country, the birth rate of boys has once again hit a record low. In the first 2 quarters, they accounted for only 9.6% of all births. The government was forced to lower the minimum marriage age for men to 16 to increase the efficiency of male genetic use. Experts even suggested introducing a 3 workdays, 4 days off schedule for men, so they would have more time for dating and marriage. And recently, the police uncovered a major male trafficking ring, 10 arrested, 8 men rescued. The offenders now face life imprisonment or even the death penalty. My name is Lin Fan. And I've only recently transmigrated into this world. Technically, I've lived here for 18 years already. But until yesterday, my 18th birthday, I hadn't remembered my past life. When my memories returned, something else awakened with them, the male god system. Now, every time a woman gives me a gift, the system rewards me in return. Today is my 2nd day since awakening, and my 1st day going on a government-arranged blind date. Yes, you heard that right. Here, the government decides who you'll date. If a man doesn't marry by 19, he loses all welfare and financial benefits. In the Great Xia Empire, the male birth rate is catastrophically low, fewer than 10 boys out of every 100 births. So the government had to take extreme measures. Determining a fetus's gender or performing an abortion is strictly prohibited, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. However, parents of boys receive 200,000 yuan immediately and 20,000 yuan per month until the child turns 18. Half of that amount goes directly to the boy's personal account. The average salary in the capital is about 15,000 yuan. So if you're born male, the government practically showers you with money. All that's required from you is to marry on time. Men here are rare, almost like gold. Women are willing to offer enormous dowries just to get a husband. And the younger the man, the higher the demand. So no, I'm not dreaming of love. I just don't want to lose my status and benefits. Although, with my system, maybe things won't turn out so bad. I opened the Marriage Manager 678 app and looked at my assigned partner's profile. No name, about 5 foot 5 inches tall. All other data was hidden, and the photo was just a corrupted file. Even her weight and measurements were replaced with question marks. Looks like the system glitched, or someone erased her info on purpose. Whatever, I'll see for myself. If I don't like her, I'll just leave. The taxi stopped in front of Boloro Cafe. I got out and checked my phone, room 666. Inside, several couples were already having their government-arranged dates. I couldn't help but notice one of them. The man looked around 220 pounds, his stomach spilling over his belt. The woman, beautiful, slim, her voice soft and submissive. The man said he wanted a dowry of at least 880,000 yuan, plus a car worth no less than 500,000. The woman agreed. Then he said he wouldn't work after marriage. A maid would handle the chores, and she must hand over her salary to him. She agreed again. He added that she couldn't restrict his freedom. He could go out or date whoever he wanted. She accepted that too. Finally, he nodded and said he'd marry her. The woman lit up with joy, thanked him, and promised to work hard and never let him suffer. I walked past without turning back. In my old world, this would have been called science fiction. Here, it's just an ordinary day. When men make up less than 10% of the population, the world flips upside down. I found the right door and knocked. A soft female voice invited me in. I pushed the door open, and froze. The plaque read 666. Right place. But inside sat 5 girls. And not just similar, identical. 5 identical faces. The same smiles. The same expressions. I said I must have entered the wrong room. But one of them stood up, walked over, and gently took my hand. Her perfume was faint, her short hair brushing her shoulders. With a light smile, she said I hadn't made a mistake. That they were my assigned partner. I blinked. 5 identical girls. 1 profile. And a system that stayed silent. Looked like my first date was going to be anything but ordinary. Inside private room 666. Lin Fan was sitting with 2 beautiful women beside him, and 3 more sitting across from him. Through the system, he had already seen the basic information of these 5 beauties. Name, Li Siyu. Gender, female. Attractiveness, 90. Bone structure, 95. Body shape, 92. Age, 19 years old. Height, 5 feet 4 inches. Weight, 101 pounds. Measurements, 34.6 to 24.8, 35 inches. Sexual history, 0. The other 4 beauties were named Li Sijin, Li Siji, Li Xiling, and Li Xiyao. The 5 sisters, all born at once, looked nearly identical, with only slight variations in facial features. Their bone structure was uniformly rated 95, and their age and height were exactly the same. Their weight varied within about 4 pounds, and their body measurements differed by just a few inches. For example, Li Siyu was quite well endowed, while Li Xiao came from money. Her family even owned a private airport at her young age. Ladies, care to explain? Which one of you is actually here for a date with me? Lin Fan asked, both confused and excited as he looked at the 5 beauties in front of him. Quintuplets, and all stunning in looks and curves. They were just a year older than him. Back in his previous life, twins were already a fantasy for most men. Quintuplets? That was the kind of dream most wouldn't even dare to have. But 5 women showing up for one blind date? That was definitely strange. In high school, every once in a while during evening study sessions, the class teacher would lecture them on a man's responsibilities and obligations. Naturally, the Marriage Management 678 app came up. It was an app that every citizen of the Great Xia Empire was required to install starting at the age of 16. Annual medical exam data would sync directly to the Marriage Management 678 system. As soon as a guy turned 18, the empire would arrange a blind date for him within a month. But he remembered the teacher saying, only one match would be arranged at a time, and only if it failed would they move on to the next. If the match was successful and he didn't take a second wife within 5 years, the empire would allow another match. But in his case, none of the usual info, name, weight, measurements, or even a photo, showed up for his date. That might have been fine, except now 5 women had shown up instead of 1. Not that he minded. Any normal man wouldn't say no to 5 beautiful sisters. Still, the whole thing felt too weird. Could these girls be members of the royal family? The efficient-looking, short-haired Li Siyu spoke first. Classmate Lin Fan, it's a bit of a complicated story, so let me start by introducing our sisters. She smiled brightly at Lin Fan. I'm Li Siyu, the eldest. She's the second sister, Li Sijin. She's the third sister, Li Siji. I'm the fourth, my name is Li Xiling, said the shoulder-length-haired girl sitting next to Lin Fan, who wore a blue ribbon in her hair. She had been the one to pull Lin Fan into the room earlier. After speaking, Li Xiling hugged the long-haired girl on Lin Fan's other side. And this is our baby sister, Li Xiao. Lin Fan shrugged, he already knew all their names. You probably already know my name, but I'll reintroduce myself anyway. I'm Lin Fan. So now, can you tell me who I'm supposed to be dating today? Or are all 5 of you here for that? Lin Fan crossed his arms and leaned back against the sofa, eyeing the women in front of him. It really is all 5 of us. But you can't marry us all at once, Li Siyu smiled and wagged her finger. I haven't even said I want to marry you all, Lin Fan said, casually crossing one leg over the other. If this were a normal blind date, he wouldn't mind being paired with 5 gorgeous sisters. But today's setup was too bizarre, he wasn't about to let lust override his judgment. Even if you wanted to, we might not want to marry you, the second sister, Li Sijin, crossed her arms too, looking at Lin Fan with a hint of annoyance. So, that's a failed match then? Lin Fan spread his hands. If that's the case, why not just click match failed and move on? Li Siyu chopped her hand down on Li Sijin's forehead. Sorry Lin Fan, our Sijin just got her period, so her mood's a bit off. Li Sijin's cheeks instantly flushed red. Sis. That's not true. You brat. Quiet down. Did you forget what mom and dad told us? Li Siyu flicked her sister on the forehead again. Li Sijin turned her head and ignored everyone. Say, are you girls royalty or something? Lin Fan held his phone in one hand, rested his other hand on his leg, and stared directly at Li Siyu. He said what was on his mind outright. He hated riddles. As soon as he said that, all 5 girls looked at him in shock. Even Li Siji, who had been wearing headphones and gaming the whole time, looked up at him. She had her head down gaming since the start, he'd assumed she wasn't even listening. Judging by your reactions, I was right. So they really were royalty. Now it made sense. The Marriage Management 678 app was developed directly by the Empire and had been running for decades. There shouldn't be any glitches. Yet in his case, not only was the identity of his match hidden, he couldn't even click match failed. And then 5 identical sisters showed up instead. And they were all surnamed Li, the royal family surname in the Daxia Empire. Putting all this together, only someone from the royal family could have arranged it. He just didn't understand why. Had his identity as a transmigrator been exposed? Otherwise, why send 5 royal daughters to test him? It couldn't just be because he was too good-looking, could it? He was self-aware, sure, he was good-looking. Even with a chubby figure, his face was handsome. But not handsome enough for the royal family to throw daughters at him. Li Xiling, sitting next to him, grabbed his arm. Amazing. How'd you guess who we are? Lin Fan rolled his eyes. I used my brain. Originally, we weren't supposed to tell you until the date was over and you chose one of us. Li Siyu spoke again. But since you already guessed it, we'll just come clean. That's right. We are royalty. Our mother is Princess Yan. And I'm sure you've realized, you don't have the right to refuse. You have to pick one of us. Only one? I can't have all of you. Lin Fan asked with a grin. Li Xiling poked his arm with her finger. Hey, Lin Fan, you're being greedy. Have you seen any man marry 2 royal daughters in the last few decades? Alright, then tell me your offers. So I can decide. Lin Fan leaned back with a smug look. Clearly, this was 5 girls fighting over one man. Naturally, he had to play the high-value prize. Li Siyu spoke first. Lin Fan, if you marry me, I'll bring a dowry of $14 million cash, a private jet, a yacht, 10 luxury sports cars, and 5 mansions. After we get married, I'll give you $150,000 a month for spending money. And I'm very chill, I won't get mad if you go on dates with other girls. Most importantly, if you marry me, once I'm granted the title of countess, you'll be a count too. Li Siyu flirtatiously winked at Lin Fan. Big sis, you're too petty. Previously tilting her head and sulking, Li Sijin suddenly turned her head back again. Lin Fan, right? For a dowry I'll prepare 120 million cash, a private jet, a yacht, 12 luxury cars, 10 mansions. After the marriage I'll give you 1.5 million a month for spending. If that's not enough we can increase it. I also won't mind if you date other girls or marry someone else. If you have that kind of ability, don't talk about marrying 100, even if you marry 10,000, I still won't mind. As for noble titles, if you marry me you'll become a duke just like me. Although a duke ranks lower than a prince, you're just getting a title, the difference between duke and prince is actually not that big. Smack. Li Siyu delivered a handchop to Li Sijin's head. At least, prince sounds better. Li Sijin couldn't refute, so she just glared at her big sister Li Siyu in anger. A prince is also a lord, so naturally it sounds better than duke. But what could she do? Her older sister had just come out a few minutes earlier. Hey, Lin Fan, pick me. For my dowry I'll give you 150 million cash. Everything else same as second sister. After marriage I'll give you 2 million a month pocket money. Also, I won't mind you marrying more wives, I can even be your wing person. Li Xiling put her arm over Lin Fan's shoulder and laughed cheerfully. Lin Fan didn't respond yet, he was still waiting for the remaining 2 beauties to state their conditions. 200 million. I'll give you 200 million as dowry. The jet, cars, houses and all same as fourth sister. Also, after marriage I'll give you 2.5 million a month spending money. And I study art too, we'll definitely have more topics to talk about. Li Xiao looked straight into Lin Fan's eyes. 5 sisters, 4 already laid out their offers, only the one wearing headphones playing games remained. As Lin Fan looked over, Li Siji also spoke. I have 500 million in savings, all of it for you. My car, house, yacht, private jet, all can be transferred into your name. My monthly pocket money is 5 million, after marriage it all goes to you. You can marry as many wives as you like, I don't care. But you cannot stop me from playing games. Li Siji put down her phone and looked up at Lin Fan. Lin Fan scratched his head, so hard to choose. These 5 sisters, starting from eldest Li Siyu, the offers got higher and higher. But the personalities were completely different. Eldest Li Siyu had short hair, but was broad-minded, and fairly outgoing. Second Li Sijin had twin pigtails tied with black butterfly ribbons, very cute, twin pigtails plus fast attack, metaphorically, but her personality wasn't very likable, a bit spoiled, sharp-tongued. Third was a gaming otaku, introverted, spoke little, but most generous. Fourth Li Xiling had shoulder-length short hair, personality most cheerful, a lively girl. And said she could be his wing person. Fifth Li Xiao didn't show much, hard to label yet. Ah, so annoying. Really can't pick all of you? Lin Fan scratched his head. He really wanted to take all of them. Even the scheming, sharp-tongued Li Sijin, he wanted her too. After all, quintuplets, missing one isn't perfect. No can do. Lin Fan you can only pick one. Li Siyu shook her head smiling. Lin Fan was very conflicted, thought for a long moment, then spoke again. Can I ask, why does the King of Yen insist that I marry one of you? He really couldn't understand the question. His identity as a transmigrator revealed? Impossible, he himself only just discovered yesterday he was a transmigrator. And he wasn't like some transmigrators who mutter to themselves, at most he thought in his mind. The royal family couldn't possibly know through phones or computers that he was a transmigrator. So why pick him? Li Siyu shrugged, on that point, we don't know either. This was arranged by our mom. That's right, Li Xiling nodded in agreement. It says one of the 5 of us must marry you. At first when I saw your photo I wasn't very satisfied, but you look much more handsome in person than in photo. Li Xiling raised her hand and patted Lin Fan's arm. Lin Fan propped his chin with his right hand and thought. To force him to choose one from 5 sisters, this is really hard. Just as Lin Fan hesitated, Li Xiling next to him suddenly pulled a neatly wrapped gift box out of her bag. Lin Fan, first time meeting, I don't know what you like, so I just bought a little meeting gift, hope you won't reject it. She set the gift box in front of Lin Fan. You brat Xiling. You dead girl. You actually pulled a surprise attack. Li Xijin was annoyed by Li Xiling's sudden move. That brat Xiling actually wanted to bribe Lin Fan with a gift. How hateful. She didn't even think of that move. Lin Fan, I also prepared a meeting gift for you, it's not very expensive, please be sure to accept it. Eldest Li Xiyu also immediately pulled out a neatly wrapped gift box from her bag. Lin Fan, that's the gift I prepared for you today, please definitely accept it. Li Xiao likewise pulled out a fancy gift box. This is my meeting gift. Even the gamer Li Xiji pulled out a fancy small gift box. Seeing this scene, Li Xijin was about to fly into a rage. So everybody prepared gifts secretly, and I didn't? Can I still be a good sister? Li Xijin simply took out her wallet, pulled a credit card out, and shoved it in front of Lin Fan. Lin Fan, this is my credit card, the monthly limit is 5 million, swipe away as you like. Lin Fan was stunned, of course not because 5 royal daughters gave him gifts, but because their gifts triggered system rewards. Ding! Received Li Xiling's gift, triggered cashback critical, rewarded attractiveness card ×1. Ding! Received Li Xiyu's gift, triggered cashback critical, rewarded strength card ×1. Ding! Received Li Xiao's gift, rewarded constitution card ×1. Ding! Received Li Xiji's gift, rewarded talent, magician hands, #. Ding! Received Li Xijin's gift, rewarded attractiveness card ×1. The 5 sisters were still waiting for his response. Lin Fan could not stay immersed in the system. After thinking for a long time, he slowly spoke, sorry, I can't make a decision right away. You are all good girls, each of you has your own charm that attracts me. But we don't know each other well yet, so let's spend some time together first. When the 1-month period is almost up, I'll tell you my choice. The blind date arranged by the Empire has a 1-month trial period. Within this period either side can choose match success or match failure. If he chooses now, he won't be able to interact with the other 4 sisters anymore. If he drags it out for a month, he can have contact with all 5 sisters. Although in the history of the Great Xia Empire very few people could marry 2 royal daughters at once, that doesn't mean he couldn't. After all, he's a transmigrator with a system, having no grand ambition wouldn't make him much of a transmigrator. Because his system isn't a saltfish system. As for why the king of Yen must pick him as son-in-law? That doesn't matter. They already married their precious daughter to him, they aren't going to harm him, right? It's simply because they've got their eye on the DNA inside him. Even if they used it on someone else, why not? Besides the 5 royal daughters already gave too much. Lin Fan, you make sense. Then let's exchange contact info to make meeting later easier. Li Xiyu nodded approvingly. As royal family members, they unlike common people, might never marry at all. If they wanted to marry, they could definitely find a man, and a good man. They themselves also didn't understand why mother arranged for them to go on a blind date with a commoner, and among the 5 of them, one must marry this person. But they couldn't disobey their mother queen's command, they could only obey. For Li Xiyu, at first she did not think Lin Fan would be her match. For a commoner, Lin Fan indeed looked quite handsome, but his figure didn't meet her standard. As royal family members, they could meet many excellent men. Li Xiyu could tell her 4 younger sisters didn't really want to marry so soon, so as the older sister who loved them, she naturally had to sacrifice herself. But after meeting Lin Fan today, she suddenly felt he wasn't bad. At least in Lin Fan, she didn't see the kind of gender-based arrogance she saw in other men. She knew many men in high society, and some even pursued her, but those men looked gentle, gentlemanly on the surface, yet believed deep down that as men they were superior to women. Not just high society people, the whole society was like that. She couldn't change it, but in her heart she disliked it anyway. But now she found Lin Fan was different from those men she encountered, naturally it made her heart very happy. If it were Lin Fan, even if not for her younger sisters, she would be willing to marry him. Lin Fan added all 5 princesses as WeChat friends one by one. After that, the group ended this matchmaking meeting. After they parted, Li Xijin sent him the password to her credit card. It was very simple, 6 sixes. Refusing the offer from the 5 girls to see him home, Lin Fan stood at the cafe entrance, watching them get into a stretch Lincoln and slowly leave. Looking at the stretch Lincoln fading away, Lin Fan set a goal for himself: he was going to marry all 5 sisters. If they were just regular sisters, maybe it wouldn't matter. But these were quintuplets, and they looked exactly the same. If you didn't look at their hairstyles or chests, you simply couldn't tell them apart. If even one of them married someone else, he'd feel like he was being cheated on. So, the 5 daughters of King Yen, he had to marry them all. There had never been a precedent before, then he would be the one to create it. He held a shopping bag in his hand, inside were the gifts the 5 sisters gave him. He took a ride-hailing car home. The middle-aged female driver tried to chat with him, saying her daughter was very pretty and offering to introduce her. But Lin Fan never liked chatting during rides, and his mind was still on the system rewards. He had no time to bother with the driver. Lin Fan couldn't wait to check the system rewards. Appearance card, increases appearance by 1 point when used. Strength card, increases strength by 1 point when used. Constitution card, increases constitution by 1 point when used. Magic hands, after use, you'll have magician-like flexible hands and can easily learn all kinds of skill-based techniques. 2 appearance cards, 1 strength card, 1 constitution card, and 1 talent skill. Lin Fan wasn't sure if there would be any side effects after using them, like pain or grime coming out of the body, so he didn't use them immediately. Instead, he waited until he got home, then opened the system panel. Name, Lin Fan. Gender, male. Appearance, 85. Bone structure, 100. Body shape, 75. Age, 18. Height, 6 feet 0.4 inches. Weight, 194 pounds. Sexual history, 0. Temporary inventory, appearance card 2, strength card, constitution card, magic hands. Lin Fan looked at the initial data on the system panel and pinched the flesh on his belly with a bit of helplessness. The social benefits for boys were too good. Whether it was the orphanage cafeteria or the boys' school cafeteria, the chefs were top-notch. The food was tasty, cheap, and the ladies serving dishes never skimped. They were even afraid you wouldn't get enough to eat, always giving big portions. How could anyone resist that? He was only slightly chubby, his BMI was just around 25 or 26. Around him, there were quite a few who weighed over 220 or even 300 pounds. No helping it, food was too good, and there was no pressure. Boys with weak self-control would easily gain weight. Lin Fan used up the 4 cards and the talent skill. He felt his body, but nothing seemed to change. But the attributes on the system panel had changed. Appearance increased from 85 to 87. Body shape increased from 75 to 76. Also, strength and constitution stats appeared. Strength, 71. Constitution, 75. Lin Fan scratched his head looking at the panel. He didn't even use a body shape card, so how did that stat increase? Was it a bonus from the appearance card? Or the constitution card? Whatever, he'd figure it out after using more cards in the future. It's all free stat points anyway, no need to overthink. Lin Fan moved his hands and realized they were way more flexible than before. He used to think magicians doing tricks and gamblers cheating on TV weren't a big deal. But after getting the magic hands talent, he understood how amazing their hands really were. Moves he couldn't do before, now came easily. Finger dances, coin tricks, card spins, all felt like he hit fast forward. These were things he could never do before. While Lin Fan was having a blast playing with a coin, his phone on the coffee table vibrated several times in a row. He picked it up and saw messages from each of the 5 Lee sisters. "Lee, see you, voice Lin Fan, I'm home now. You're about to start school, want to go on a trip before that? How about horseback riding on the grasslands? It's super fun. Lee Si Jin, voice Lin Fan, I want to go deep sea fishing. Come with me. Lee Si Ji, want to come over and play games together? You can play whatever you want. Lee Xiling, voice Lin Fan, let's go to a haunted house, it's really fun inside. Lee Xiao, Lin Fan, want to go out sketching together?" Lin Fan looked at the 5 invites and hesitated. His grades were excellent. The total score for Daxia's college entrance exam was 700, and he scored 730. Of course, 50 of those points were bonus points for males. Even without the extra 50, he still had 680, just 2 points shy of the national top scorer. With that score, he could choose any university in the country. He eventually picked Daxia Empire's top school, Wudayaku Royal Vocational College. As for choosing the comic major, it was because before awakening memories of his past life, he liked drawing, especially comics, and wanted to become a manga artist. Whether it made money or brought fame didn't matter. After all, even if boys didn't work, as long as social welfare wasn't cut off, their quality of life was still better than most girls. Even if welfare was cut, as long as he went to the Imperial Sperm Bank once a month, he'd get $1,000 in nutrition fees. That income already beat 70 to 80% of working people. If he went more often, he wouldn't even be able to spend all the money. Wodeaku Royal Vocational College started the semester early, registration was on August 14th to 15th, and military training started on August 16th. Military training lasted 2 weeks. Today was already the 10th, just a few days left before reporting to school. So Lin Fan didn't have much time to play. All 5 sisters invited him out, time was tight. But if he started tomorrow, saw one girl each day, and even met one on registration day, it would work out perfectly. So he replied to each sister, arranging the schedule. Tomorrow, horseback riding with Li Siyu. The day after, deep-sea fishing with Li Sijin. On the 13th, gaming with Li Siji. On the 14th, sketching with Li Xiao. On the 15th, registration day, after signing in, haunted house and roleplay murder mystery with Li Xiling. Perfect. Yen King's mansion. The 5 sisters sat together, each holding a phone. As soon as they got Lin Fan's reply, they shared it with the others. This guy really thinks he can catch all 5 of us. Li Sijin sat barefoot on the cashmere carpet, clearly annoyed. Those rich kids and foreign nobles didn't even dare think like that. Yet Lin Fan, a regular guy raised in an orphanage, just because he's a bit handsome and smart, dares to have such a bold idea. Outrageous. I actually think it'd be nice if he could. Then we'd never have to be apart, Li Xiling smiled happily. But it's going to be really hard. I wonder if little Lin Fan can pull it off, Li Siyu said with a dreamy smile, resting her chin on her hands. Lin Fan did not know that his time management expert behavior had already been noticed by the 5 sisters of the Yen King's household. He was now unboxing the gifts sent by the 5 sisters. Box by box he opened the gift boxes, and the gifts from the 5 sisters were now all displayed in front of him. Li Siyu gave a 120,000 plus Omega wristwatch. Li Sijin gave a credit card with a limit of 5 million. Li Sishi gave a car purchase contract. The car is the newest top-spec, Suchi, coupe, worth nearly 350,000. Li Xiling gave a 100-gram gold chain, worth 110,000 plus. Li Xiao gave a top-spec trifold smartphone, worth over 30,000. Looking at the gifts in front of him, Lin Fan couldn't help but marvel. This really lives up to being members of the royal family, simply wealthy. Meeting for the first time, the gift alone was tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands. Truly rich. This only strengthened his idea of marrying off all 5 sisters Li Siyu. He didn't know how many children the Yen King, Li Yunyao, had. Marrying one would give him 1 share of the inheritance, marrying 5 would give him 5 shares. Lin Fan didn't know that King Yen Li Yunyao only had the 5 sisters. Because bearing quintuplets at once damaged his vitality, so the king couldn't continue to have children. If he could really marry all 5 sisters Li Siyu, then the entire Yen King's wealth would be his own. But it was normal that he didn't know. To protect the royal privacy and the physiological and psychological health of royal children, only imperial princes have their identity published at birth. Other royal children of princes or junkers do not have any information published outwardly until they receive a noble title. Lin Fan naturally didn't know how many children Yen King Li Yunyao had. Of course, if one paid attention, one could still guess whether someone was a member of the royal family. After all, the royal surname is Li, and the generational names are set. For example, the Yen King and the Queen are both in the Yun generation. Their children are in the Xi generation. But at most one knows they are royals, one cannot know exactly whose children they are. Lin Fan removed his SIM card from the fruit phone and installed it in the trifold. From now on he'd use the trifold. He put on the Omega watch. He put the credit card into his wallet. He did not wear the big gold chain, he threw it directly into a drawer. He called the 4S dealership to confirm that he could pick up the car today, and with the car purchase contract in hand, Lin Fan went out again. The process of picking up the car was pretty smooth, none of the novel or film drama situations of getting slapped in the face occurred. There are too few boys, most girls don't even have time to lick, sick, hashtag, how could they run over and slap you? If there had truly been a not enough money to buy the car situation, probably no one would slap, instead someone would come over and offer to pay. As for competition among boys? Doesn't exist. Boys are boy help boy. Of course, the important thing was that Lin Fan was fast, and he was personally greeted by the store manager. From entering the store to getting the car, he spent under 10 minutes, and he waited in the VIP lounge. Even if someone wanted to slap him, they wouldn't get a chance. After picking up the car, Lin Fan went straight home. He got his driver's license at age 16, after all, boys don't lack money, so no boy cannot afford a car. He didn't use the credit card of limit 5 million that Lee Si-jin gave, because there was nowhere for him to spend money. Although he grew up in a welfare house, at age 12 the welfare house helped him open a bank card, and afterwards each month the Empire Finance would deposit 10,000 into his personal account. In this respect, his treatment was exactly the same as boys from normal families. So he did not lack money, or rather he lacked nothing. One might wonder, if boys' treatment is so good, how could there still be boys growing up in welfare houses? According to imperial law, if a boy's biological parents accidentally die, and the boy is under 16 years old, that boy is sent straight to the welfare house. Relatives are not allowed to raise him, even grandparents or great-grandparents. The reason is that boys' social welfare is too good. Before age 18 each month they receive 20,000 in subsidy. And before age 12 those subsidies are deposited into the guardian's account. There was once a case where a boy's parents accidentally died, and then the grandmother or great-grandmother adopted him. The empire's subsidy was taken, but not spent on the boy. Some even murdered the parents to adopt the boy. It was precisely because of that nationwide shocking case that the Daxia Empire issued related regulations. If a boy's parents die and he is under 16, he will be sent to a welfare house. Relatives may visit but do not have the right to raise him. As for boys being abused in the welfare house, doesn't exist. Welfare house staff treatment is extremely good. Countless people hustle to work at the welfare house. Not to mention abuse, even if staff didn't work properly and didn't care for the boys, someone would report and they'd be replaced. Boys who enter the welfare house are also not allowed to be adopted. On their 18th birthday they are assigned a house by the empire and leave the welfare house. While living in the welfare house, his food, clothing, use of things, toys, all were provided. The 10,000 per month deposited into the personal account had nowhere to be spent. So some played games and spent on in-game purchases, watched streams and tipped, only then did their savings move. Lin Fan didn't have those hobbies, and the annual 120,000 subsidy he basically saved. He had about 700,000 in deposits and no need to swipe Lee Si-jin's credit card for now. The next morning at about 5, Lin Fan got up and went for a morning run in the community complex. He never used to run so early in the past, but now he couldn't accept the circle of flesh around his belly. A BMI of 26 was too high, he at least had to reduce his BMI to under 20. His bone structure stat was as high as 100, but his previous appearance was only 85. Though still a handsome guy, he was on the chubby side. As long as he gets his body fat under control, appearance might be able to rise to full 100. At that time, without any talent, just with that sky-high handsome face, he could take down the quintuplets. Even the Grand Princess would have to bow under his pomegranate skirt. No, can't be too handsome. If he truly caught the Grand Princess's eye, then he'd lose the harem of 3,000 beauties, right? The Empress and the future Grand Princess are not allowed to marry other wives or concubines. That equaled gaining status but losing the harem. That's not what Lin Fan wanted. Better keep appearance around 95. Too handsome would also become trouble. After jogging 1.5 hours, he went home to wash up. Just coming out of the bathroom, the phone rang. Lin Fan picked up the phone. It was Lee Si-yu. Hello? Lin Fan, I'm downstairs your building. Lee Si-yu drove her sports car and gave Lin Fan a ride to the airport. Then they took Lee Si-yu's private jet and flew straight to the grasslands. They flew for less than half an hour, landed at Hohhot Airport, then took a helicopter, flew for about half an hour, and landed at a boundless pasture. In the pasture were herds of cattle, sheep, and horses. After asking Lee Si-yu, he found out that this place is the Yen King's private estate. Whenever she wants to ride a horse, she drags her sisters here to play. Lee Si-yu has her own horse, normally kept in the stables, with dedicated caretakers. Lee Si-yu's horse is pure white, with very beautiful muscle lines, but the name made Lin Fan speechless. Lee Si-yu actually named her horse Xiao Bai, Little White. A horse this beautiful, yet the name sounds like the little dog they keep at home. But Lee Si-yu didn't care. A name is just a label, and Xiao Bai is her pet. Naturally she can call it whatever she's happy with. Xiao Bai is very gentle. Lee Si-yu let Lin Fan ride Xiao Bai, and personally taught him how to ride the horse. Once Lin Fan was almost comfortable, Lee Si-yu picked a white horse whose muscles and coat were quite beautiful and gifted it to Lin Fan. Naturally, Lin Fan accepted with pleasure. This also triggered a system reward. He was awarded another appearance card. At noon, the two had barbecue. The cattle and sheep were freshly slaughtered. All prep work was done by someone else. They only needed to grill and eat. In the evening, the two lay on the grass and watched the stars. It must be said, on the grasslands you can really see the Milky Way. This is absolutely impossible in the capital. At 9 o'clock, the two then set off to go home, before 11, Lee Siyu, driving her sports car, had dropped Lin Fan off at the bottom of his building. Siyu, do you want to come upstairs for a bit? Lin Fan invited with a smile. Lee Siyu's personality is really nice, very outgoing, and not picky about small things. Being with her feels just like being with a good bro, staying with her feels very comfortable. Of course, Lin Fan didn't really treat her like a bro, he's going to marry her 5 sisters. I don't have a problem with that, but, little Fan, have you decided to marry me yet? Lee Siyu looked into Lin Fan's eyes with a smile. Just sitting for a bit only. Forget it, you'd better go back. Lin Fan unbuckled his seatbelt and got out of the car. Drive back slowly, take care. Having said that, he left without waiting for Lee Siyu's reply. Lee Siyu sat in the car, watching Lin Fan's back. A slight curve appeared at the corner of her mouth. Little Fan, still thinking about my sisters too? Want to marry all 5 of us at once? You can't pull that off. After today's whole day together, she felt Lin Fan was even more charming. If at first she was acting because of her mother's orders, and to protect her sisters, now she was for herself, she truly wanted to marry Lin Fan. The next morning early, Lee Si-jin also came early to find Lin Fan, took him onto a private jet, preparing to fly to Sanya to go sea fishing and diving. Are all your sisters' private jets the same? Lin Fan asked curiously. Because he noticed that Lee Si-jin's private jet and Lee Siyu's private jet, outside and inside both, were exactly the same. He noticed no difference. The 5 sisters look identical. Do they also buy identical private jets? Of course not, this is the same plane. Huh? Didn't you sisters previously say that whichever one of us marries you, we'll give you a private jet as dowry? So whoever marries you gets this plane? Stop those impolite thoughts in your head now. Lee Si-jin glared at Lin Fan. Our sisters share one plane because it's used little, not because we can't afford one. Mother said that whoever marries will be prepared with a private jet as part of the dowry. Oh? Lin Fan's eyes brightened. If he married all 5 sisters, wouldn't he simultaneously own 5 private jets? Though indeed he probably didn't need that many, 1 or 2 would be enough. The rest could just be converted by the mother-in-law into cash? Mother is generous. Lin Fan laughed. Hey, what are you randomly calling? Who's your mother-in-law? That's my mother. Oh well, sooner or later it'll happen. He had decided on such a generous mother-in-law. Arrived in Sanya, the two then took a helicopter, landed on the rooftop helipad of the most luxurious hotel. Then they took the hotel's Cullinan SUV, heading to Yalongbay Yacht Pier. The yacht was already ready to go out to sea, food, gear, fuel etc. were all fully prepared. The captain, chef, and yacht service staff were all already waiting on board. Lin Fan didn't know the yacht brand, but the yacht in front of them clearly belonged to the top tier at the pier. About 130 feet long, with 3 decks, the interior space must be quite large. As for the interior decor, it cannot be bad. After boarding, Lin Fan indeed was dazzled. But what dazzled him wasn't the hardware, but the software. The staff on the boat were one beautiful woman after another, and each was dressed very modestly. All in swimwear, at most adding a scarf or sun protection cover. Lin Fan glanced once, and none of the staff on board had less than 80 points in appearance. Is Lee Si-jin testing the team here? Out on the sea, Lin Fan got to experience the treatment of rich second-generation emperors from his past life. The whole boat had only him as the man, all others were swimsuit beauties, even Lee Si-jin changed into swimwear. He felt too shy to stand up. The two snorkeled, went sea fishing. The seafood they caught was processed on the spot. It was absolutely the freshest seafood to eat. Only thing, Lee Si-jin didn't give Lin Fan anything and so did not trigger the system reward. Next day, Lee Si-shi took Lin Fan directly to the Yen King's mansion, then he and Lee Si-shi played games for a whole day. He originally thought that this time he would meet his future mother-in-law and father-in-law. It turned out they were not at home. Even until Lin Fan left in the evening, the two of them had not come back. Not sure if they were really busy, or intentionally avoiding him, this future son-in-law. Guess it must be they were really busy. After all, the royal family has quite a lot of industries. One could say the royal industries span all kinds of business. And most royal family members are senior managers of royal industries. Being busy is only normal. When leaving, Lee Si-shi gave Lin Fan a very finely crafted figurine, which triggered a system cashback and awarded him the skill Light Body Technique. Light Body Technique, #after learning, one can greatly boost one's agility and jumping ability. Lin Fan went home and tried it out. His agility and jumping ability both got huge reinforcement. Previously his standing jump could barely touch the lower edge of the backboard, but now his standing jump could almost touch the top edge of the backboard. The light body technique increased his jump by almost 3.3 feet, 1 meter. And this was standing jump. With approach jump, he could definitely jump even higher. Next day, Lin Fan accompanied Li Xiao to do sketching outdoors. Between them there wasn't much conversation. Li Xiao painted the scenery, Lin Fan painted Li Xiao. When parting, the two exchanged their artworks and this likewise triggered system cashback. He was awarded another appearance card. His appearance is still a little short, about to break into 90, soon to catch up with Li Xiu and the others. On the 15th. Lin Fan prepared to go enroll at the school, then go with Li Xiling to do a haunted house and role-playing murder mystery etc. Unexpectedly, early in the morning Li Xiling ran to his house. Lin Fan, I came to find you to play. Lin Fan looked at Li Xiling in front of him, both crying and laughing. Come on, is it really necessary for us to go register together? They had agreed earlier that after he finished registration, they'd go shopping together. How is it not necessary? I have to be your bodyguard, Lin Fan. Otherwise, what if you get taken advantage of by those thirsty girls at school? And I'm also a student at Wadayaku Royal Technical College. Even though we're not in the same major, I'm still your senior. A senior leading a freshman to register, that's totally reasonable, right? Li Xiling leaned against the car door, smiling at Lin Fan. It had only been a few days since they last met, but she felt Lin Fan looked even better than before. When she first saw his photo, she just thought he looked decent, just your average good-looking guy. After all, she'd seen too many handsome men. But when she met him in person, she realized he looked much better than in the photo, he just wasn't photogenic. Now, just a few days later, he seemed even more handsome than before. Was it an illusion? Or is this what they call, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Lin Fan rolled his eyes. Even if a senior is helping a freshman register, that's something the school organizes, meeting freshmen at the gate or airport or station. Who shows up at the freshman's house? Aya, stop nagging. Get in the car already. Once registration's done, we're going to play escape room. Li Xiling patted her car. She then got ready to get in. Wait, let me drive. Lin Fan grabbed her. You? Li Xiling looked at him doubtfully. Lin Fan, a sports car isn't the same as a regular car. If you don't know how to drive it, it's easy to get in trouble. It's no big deal if the car gets damaged, but I don't want to die with you. I don't want to die with you either. Lin Fan flicked her forehead with a snap. It's not like he'd never driven a sports car before. Even though he'd never driven this Ferrari, he'd driven a friend's 911, so he had some experience with luxury cars. And in his previous life, he was a veteran driver with 7 to 8 years of experience. Crashing into a flower bed at startup just wouldn't happen. You jerk. How dare you hit a princess? Li Xiling pouted, glaring at him. Her delicate features and deep eyes made her feel like she was falling for him more and more. If she only had a slight crush on him before, now after meeting him again, she felt it had grown deeper. His body could use some work, but his looks were exactly her type. Otherwise, why would she keep thinking he looked more and more handsome? What? You don't want to? Fine, I'll just register myself and go hang out with CU. Lin Fan pretended to be mad and walked away. Wait, Li Xiling quickly grabbed him. Kiss me, and I won't be mad about you hitting me earlier. And I'll even let you drive. She really felt she liked him more and more. You said it. I did. Li Xiling tilted her head slightly, waiting for him to come closer. Lin Fan didn't hesitate, he leaned in without delay. But just as he was about to kiss her soft cherry lips, he stopped suddenly. Wait, if I kiss you, does that mean I can only choose you? He was planning to marry all 5 sisters, after all. Mua, Li Xiling suddenly went in for the kiss. Ha ha ha, that's right. If you kiss me, then you can only pick me, she laughed smugly. Heh, you kissed me, not the other way around. Be glad I'm not suing you for harassing a guy. Lin Fan rubbed her head hard. Now hurry up and open the door for your future husband. You messed up my hair? Li Xiling pushed his hand away with a mock-annoyed face, but still obediently opened the car door for him. This Ferrari LaFerrari had butterfly doors, and the handles were hidden in the inner groove of the air channel. And what made Lin Fan speechless was that the LaFerrari's seat was fixed, it couldn't be adjusted. The seat had been custom-fitted to Li Xiling's height. At 6 feet 0.4 inches, Lin Fan's big body barely fit inside. But even though the seat couldn't be moved, the foot pedals could be adjusted for depth, so he could still find a suitable position. Lin Fan hadn't expected that. In his past life, he wasn't rich, even the 911 he drove was borrowed from a friend, he'd never touched a Ferrari. Luckily, Li Xiling patiently explained all the features beside him. He already knew how to use the paddle shifters, and since it had an automatic mode, he didn't necessarily have to use manual. But unlike most cars, the turn signals weren't on stalks, they were 2 buttons on the steering wheel. Left turn on the left, right turn on the right. The wipers were buttons too, not stalks. Same with the headlights. The ignition button was also on the steering wheel, very visible, a red start button. You'd know what it was just by looking. Lee Seiling complained that over 10 years ago, old models still needed a key inserted to use the start button. It wasn't until the last 10 years or so that they switched to keyless start. Otherwise, she wouldn't have even bought the car. Lin Fan was surprised too. It was already the year 216X, and just 10 years ago, around 215X, you still had to insert a key? In the 22nd century? Maybe this was just a luxury car tradition. But in the end, even the brands gave in. Lin Fan got familiar with the controls, then clipped his trifold phone onto the car mount. This mount is custom-made, isn't it? He looked at it curiously. It was wedged between two round air vents, definitely not a universal model. Yup. You can't buy a mount for this without customizing. And this car doesn't even have a big screen, the navigation sucks. If I didn't have this custom mount made, I wouldn't even want to drive this car. Lee Seiling kept complaining. She complained about how inconvenient the car was. This sports car cost over $3 million, and it's still not as user-friendly as a $200,000 Mercedes. If it weren't for how good it looked, this car would have just collected dust in the garage. Wodaeku Royal Vocational Technical College. At the main entrance, there was a volunteer team organized by upperclassmen, mainly female students. You could barely see any guys. They helped the new freshmen check in, answer questions, or give directions. Some of the upperclass women were clearly here for the new freshman guys. Second dash, third dash, and fourth-year students were too experienced to be fooled. But freshman boys, just out of boys-only schools, might be easier to charm. Even if they didn't marry, just dating, or even just a one-night stand, was a win for these girls. Lin Fan hadn't even driven all the way to the gate yet when the roar of the LaFerrari's engine caught everyone's attention. When the LaFerrari turned into the open area in front of the gate, all eyes turned toward it. Wow! That sports car must be super expensive. That's a Ferrari. There's no such thing as a cheap one. Could that be a new student? There's a lot of rich people in our school. Between yesterday and today, over 10 students have shown up in luxury cars. Well, yeah, it's a royal college after all. The driver looks like a guy. Holy crap. It is a guy. That rich and a boy. If I could marry him, how many steps in life would I skip? Lin Fan slowly drove the car toward the entrance. The gate's barrier didn't lift right away. But Lee Seiling rolled down the window and showed her student ID to the person in the booth, and they lifted the barrier. With Lee Seiling giving directions, Lin Fan quickly drove to the entrance of the art college. All the art students were checking in here. He pulled over, and everyone around looked over. As Lin Fan got out of the car, screams rang out around him. Oh my god. He's gorgeous. So rich and so handsome. I want him to check my qualifications. He's totally my type. I'm going to chase that hottie. You call that love? You're just lusting after his body, and his wallet. Skank. 3 minutes. I want his full dossier. Lin Fan glanced around, not a single guy in sight. Did he just walk into a den of sirens? Lee Seiling also got out from the passenger seat. In the next moment, many eyes turned to her. What? Why is there a girl with him? She looks like a green tea bitch. Why isn't it me next to that rich and handsome guy? That face is totally plastic. Probably had a lot of work done just to marry into a rich family. The girls around had completely opposite attitudes toward Lin Fan and Lee Seiling. Because they were jealous. Men were already rare, handsome men even rarer, and rich, handsome men were rarer still. Now they finally encountered one, only to see someone beat them to it, and the worst part, she's prettier than them. Of course they couldn't handle it. Even though in the Daxia Empire, a man could marry multiple wives, with such a beautiful girl already by his side, this rich and handsome guy probably wouldn't look at the rest of them. Still, not all of them lacked confidence. TCH, so what if she's pretty? Am I not sluttier? I've watched over 10,000 movies, I guarantee I know better. These freshmen didn't know who Lee Seiling was, but the upperclassmen volunteering sure did. Of course, not because they knew she was royalty, but because identical quintuplets were extremely rare. Especially ones this beautiful. Basically, anyone who'd been at the Royal Vocational College for a while had heard of the 5 Lee Seiling sisters. Even if they hadn't seen them, they'd heard the name, that the school had a set of beautiful quintuplets. Among the volunteers, someone recognized her. Is that one of the quintuplets? Holy crap, it really is. Damn, that junior is no longer available to us. What do you mean quintuplets? Why is he no longer available? A newly arrived freshman, clueless, asked curiously. See that girl? She has 4 other sisters who look just like her. They're super famous here, wear expensive stuff, and their family is loaded. So what if they're rich? Rich girls can't compare with my variety. That junior is mine, Lu Ruyan, will get him. Rumor has it, the quintuplets are most likely royalty. Even if they are? Except for the empress, even princes are allowed to have multiple wives. There's no man Lu Ruyan, can't win. Lin Fan and Li Xiling arrived at the registration desk. As soon as Lin Fan showed up, a group of girls swarmed over. Handsome, you're a freshman in the manga department, right? You probably don't know the campus well. Let me, your senior, give you a tour. Handsome, this bench is too hard. Come, sit on my lap to fill out your form, I've got plenty of cushion, super comfy. A girl weighing over 250 pounds squeezed ahead of Lin Fan, sat on the bench, and patted her meaty elephant thigh. With each pat, her thigh fat rippled like waves. Lin Fan's face turned black. If it were a beautiful girl, maybe he'd let it slide. But did this blob have zero self-awareness? Could she not see the gorgeous Li Xiling standing next to him? Lin Fan turned to Li Xiling and said, "Look at her, you should learn from her." Then he walked around the heavy girl and went to another registration spot, picked up a pen, and got ready to sit down. But as soon as he sat, he felt something soft under his butt, definitely not a wooden bench, and he jumped up in shock. Did another blob ambush him? He turned around and saw Li Xiling sitting on the bench, smiling at him. "You told me to learn, Lin Fan. I learned. Why won't you sit now?" "Who said I wouldn't? But next time give me a heads up, you scared me." Lin Fan was speechless. He really thought another blob had ambushed him. After all, among the girls who had swarmed over earlier, there were 2 or 3 blobs and several light tanks. Of course, there were pretty girls too, but none as pretty as Li Xiling. Even the best couldn't compare. So Lin Fan sat back down on Li Xiling's lap. She was being so thoughtful, not sitting would have been disrespectful. Not far away. "Hey, you're Lu Ruyan, right? Didn't you say just now that this junior was yours? Why are you still standing here? Hey, rushing in like those fools is useless. That junior won't even remember you. If you want to win a handsome guy like that, you have to wait for the right moment. One strike, kill shot." Lu Ruyan said, one hand pulling her suitcase, the other holding a parasol, eyes locked on Lin Fan in the crowd. You've got a lot of experience?" "Of course. I've watched thousands of dramas. Any guy I want, can't escape my palm." The upperclassman beside her was speechless. Dramas are scripted. If watching dramas worked, she would have been married already, not still single as a senior. If you can't even get a guy while still in school, how will you get one after graduation? Guys in the real world are way harder to catch than guys at school. Lin Fan was writing his personal info when the blob beside him turned bright red in the face. She had been mocked by a handsome guy. This handsome guy couldn't be wrong. She couldn't be wrong either. So the only one who must be wrong was that shameless B*TCH under him. "You slut! Get up!" The blob suddenly stood and shouted at Li Xiling. Li Xiling was startled, and so was Lin Fan. He had been focused on filling out his form. Who wouldn't be surprised by a sudden scream? "What are you doing?" Lin Fan put down the pen and stood up, glaring at the blob. Even in a world with more women than men, where all that "men should protect women" stuff was long gone. In his book, no one touches his woman. Li Xiling stood too. "What, you want to hit me?" Still smiling, even though this blob weighed more than 2 of her, she showed zero fear. Did this woman really think royals are easy to bully? "You slut! Damn right I want to hit you!" The blob shouted and raised her hand toward Li Xiling. She wasn't tall, maybe 5 feet 6 inches, but she weighed at least 250 pounds. With that weight came serious force. Even Lin Fan might not have more brute strength than her. But fights aren't just about strength. Lin Fan immediately stepped between them, blocked her hand with his own, and kicked her knee. The heavier you are, the weaker your knees. Especially if you never train your legs. The blob lost balance and fell straight to the ground. Everyone nearby was shocked. But not because Lin Fan attacked the blob. They were stunned because Lin Fan protected Li Xiling. Wow! That handsome guy actually protected a girl? She's so lucky. I want to be protected like that too. If I could be under his protection, I'd die happy. "Handsome. Can I call you little brother? I've got nothing to hide." Outside the crowd, seeing that Li Xiling got into a conflict, a few well-proportioned women immediately walked over quickly. They were bodyguards arranged by the Yen King for his precious daughters. Although the Daxia Empire had good public security, accidents still happened. Whenever members of the royal family went out, bodyguards were always arranged, either openly or in secret, for protection. Naturally, the 5 Li Xiling sisters were no exception. When they saw someone try to attack Li Xiling, the bodyguards immediately sped up. By the time Lin Fan stepped in front of Li Xiling, the bodyguards had already rushed into the crowd and surrounded the blob. But seeing Lin Fan step up to protect Li Xiling, they didn't interfere right away. With Lin Fan blocking her, Li Xiling was unlikely to get hurt. Of course, if Lin Fan couldn't stop it, they would have intervened immediately. One of the women had already reached into her pocket, where she had a stun gun. If the blob hadn't been stopped and kept trying to attack, she would have gotten a taste of electricity. What the bodyguards didn't expect was that Lin Fan not only blocked the attack but even took down the blob. With that, they didn't need to do anything. Ah! The blob lay on the ground clutching her knee, wailing in pain. Why? How am I worse than her? Why did you do this to me? She shouted, full of resentment. That skinny woman, so what? Just because she was fat, did that mean she didn't deserve love? Lin Fan was speechless. In a world where women outnumbered men, there were still women like this? Don't ever show up in front of me again, or I'll call the cops and charge you with sexual harassment. Lin Fan pointed at the blob and warned. In this world, most women didn't dare harass men too much. Because if a man called the police and accused a woman of sexual harassment, there was a high chance she'd be arrested. Ah? This isn't fair. Why is everyone like this to me? The blob sat down and started howling. Lin Fan was beyond speechless. Unfair? Being bullied? Did she seriously not understand why she was being rejected? Even beautiful, well-shaped women might not be able to find a man to marry. What made her think she could? And she was dreaming of marrying a top-tier handsome guy? Maybe it was because of advanced medical technology and the Daxia Empire banning abortions that such people, who shouldn't have been born, ended up surviving? Li Xiling gave a signal to the bodyguards in the crowd. Immediately, 3 bodyguards stepped forward and dragged the blob out of the crowd. What are you doing? Let go of me. Let go of me. Her voice grew quieter and quieter as she was dragged off. Lin Fan picked up the pen again and continued filling out the form. When he finished, he stood up and handed the form to the senior girl in front of him. Only to see her staring at him with a dazed, love-struck expression. Sure, he knew he was handsome. Back when his appearance score was only 85, girls would already approach him in public asking to add him on WeChat. But could these girls at least keep it together a little? Senior, I'm done. Should I go pay the fee now? Lin Fan asked, snapping her out of it. Oh, right. I'll write up the payment slip, and then you can head over there to pay. The senior quickly picked up her pen. While she was filling out the slip, she deliberately leaned forward to show off her assets. Lin Fan glanced at them. Yeah, her chest was impressive. Pretty close to Li Xiyu's size. Li Xiling, the energetic girl, didn't compare in that department. But her face didn't measure up. Even with makeup, she couldn't match Li Xiling. The system showed her appearance score was only 82. Lower than what Lin Fan had before. Of course, 82 wasn't ugly, but in this world, there were just too many women. Even if only 10% were beautiful, that still matched the number of all men. An 82-point girl, heck, even a 72.1, would have been chased by tons of guys in Lin Fan's previous world. But here, they'd have to try really hard just to marry a man. The senior finished writing and handed the form to Lin Fan. Here, just take this to the payment office. Thanks, senior. Lin Fan smiled and thanked her. And no problem. The senior felt her heart skip a beat. He smiled at her and thanked her. So handsome, knows how to protect girls, and polite too. She must have earned this luck over 10 lifetimes to meet someone like Lin Fan. Lin Fan took the payment slip and was about to leave when the senior called him. Lin Fan. Yes, senior? Add me as a friend. If you ever have questions, you can come ask me. She pulled out her phone and opened her QR code. Sure, Lin Fan didn't hesitate, took out his phone, and scanned her code. Though she couldn't compare to the 5 sisters in looks, she was still a beauty. And in this world, it's not one man to one woman. He was going to marry many wives. Knowing more beauties was necessary. Only with enough options could he pick the very best in every way. After getting the friend request, the senior quickly accepted and labeled him, Lin Fan, I'm Ran. If you ever need help, remember to message me. Got it. Lin Fan left with the payment slip, and Li Xiling followed closely behind. She didn't look jealous or upset at all. After all, in this world, men could marry many women. He just added a girl on WeChat, nothing to get mad about. Besides, if a woman is overly jealous, a man can legally divorce her for it. Wodaeku Royal Vocational College wasn't expensive. Normal majors were $5,000 a year. The comic major, being in the arts, was $10,000 per year. Add $1,000 for dorm fees, total $11,000. But for men, it was half off, so just $5,500. Li Xiling, where do I get my bedding? Oh, and the military training uniform? Training started tomorrow, couldn't go without the uniform. That senior didn't even tell him. You boys don't have to get anything. The school already put everything in your dorms. Lee Siling explained. Eh? That convenient? Lin Fan was surprised. In his last life, he had to get everything himself. Of course you boys are the Empire's treasures, Lee Siling said with a smile. Oh right, I heard colleges give boys living stipends. How much does ours give? 3,000. Per month? Lin Fan was shocked. Wasn't that top-tier stipend? Yeah. And even that's not enough for a semester, Lee Siling said like it was obvious. As Lin Fan walked, a girl suddenly stumbled and fell into his arms. Aya. Lu Ruyan fell into Lin Fan's arms, spilling her milk tea all over him. His shirt was soaked in a large area, and even part of his pants got wet. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Lu Ruyan quickly pulled a small packet of tissues from her pocket and took out 2 to wipe the milk tea off Lin Fan's clothes. Lin Fan didn't stop her, instead, he looked at the beautiful girl in front of him with a strange expression. Name, Lu Ruyan. Gender, female. Appearance, 93. Bone structure, 96. Body shape, 91. Age, 18. Height, barefoot 5 feet 7.3 inches. Weight, 121 pounds. Measurements, 33-24-34. Sexual history, 0. This girl's name was actually Lu Ruyan. She was the legendary Ruyan Empress. The Ruyan Empress had played people, been bad, died, reincarnated, regretted, but never, ever been ugly. And this Ruyan Empress in front of him was definitely not ugly. In fact, she was extremely beautiful. A 93 appearance score, higher even than the best-looking of the 5 sisters, Li Xiao. That was insane. And this unbelievably, terrifying Ruyan Empress had just bumped into him on purpose and dumped milk tea all over him? Was she targeting him? Lin Fan didn't stop Lu Ruyan, but Li Siling on the side was clearly unhappy. What's wrong with you? The road's so wide and you still managed to bump into someone? This woman was even touching Lin Fan's body, and she hadn't even done that herself yet. She'd only tricked him into a kiss this morning. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to. I was distracted by the school buildings and didn't notice you were there. I'm truly sorry. Lu Ruyan lowered her stance and kept apologizing. Forget it, it wasn't on purpose. Lin Fan glanced at Li Siling and spoke, then turned his gaze back to Lu Ruyan. No need to wipe it. I'll go home and wash up. I'm really sorry. It's all my fault. As an apology, classmate, let me wash your clothes for you. I'll return them to you once they're clean. Hearing that, Lin Fan's expression grew even weirder. Was Lu Ruyan trying to take his clothes to do something weird? In this world, this kind of thing wasn't uncommon. There were often news reports of perverted female sex fiends who liked to steal boys' personal clothes to collect. Not just underwear, even summer t-shirts and shorts were favorites for those pervs. Could this Lu Ruyan be one of those? But she was so pretty. Even in this world, finding a man shouldn't be that hard for her. It was just like in his previous life. Average guys needed to spend tens or hundreds of thousands to get married, but extremely handsome guys had a much easier time. Some appearance-obsessed girls would even offer themselves for free, or pay him. That's how fan service in the entertainment industry worked. Lu Ruyan noticed Lin Fan's gaze and quickly explained, "Wait, don't misunderstand. I have no bad intentions. It's just, I don't have money, so I can't afford to compensate you with new clothes. I can only wash them myself as an apology. If you really don't accept that, then I can pay you." Lu Ruyan bit her lip and looked pitiful. "Forget washing. Let's just add each other on WeChat. You can treat me to some spicy skewers for $10 later." Lin Fan took out his phone. He could tell, this Ruyan Empress was most likely a manipulative girl. But so what? She had a 93 appearance score, higher than any of the 5 sisters. And her sexual history was still 0. If something happened between them, he wouldn't be losing out. As long as she didn't go chasing other men afterward, he didn't mind marrying a Ruyan Empress. After all, men in the Daxia Empire could have up to 100 wives. Of course those wives couldn't all be the same type. Otherwise, how boring would that be? Whether she was a manipulative type or not, as long as she stayed loyal, he didn't care. "Classmate, thank you so much, you're the most understanding guy I've ever met." Lu Ruyan gratefully thanked him. At the same time, she quickly pulled out her phone and added Lin Fan on WeChat. "Alright, I've got stuff to do. Let's talk online." Lin Fan waved his hand and left with Li Siling. Lu Ruyan watched Lin Fan's back, clenching her fists. "I told you. After watching thousands of male lead TV shows, there's no man Lu Ruyan, can't get." The two returned to Li Siling's car. Lin Fan gripped the steering wheel with one hand, driving toward the boys' dorm under Li Siling's guidance. Lin Fan, that girl earlier wasn't a good person. She bumped into you on purpose, said Li Siling, watching him closely. She was a girl, of course she could tell. The way that girl acted, it was obvious she was scheming. Pretending to admire the school buildings, clearly just to create a fake, chance encounter. What, are you jealous? Lin Fan asked with a smile. No, of course not. Li Siling denied quickly. She couldn't admit to being jealous, because jealousy and possessiveness were dangerously close. If someone took that out of context, they could accuse her of being a jealous woman. I'm just worried that girl will trick you. Li Siling explained. Trick me how? Into sex? Lin Fan teased. Not just that, maybe money too, Li Siling said stubbornly. As a royal, she didn't care about money, but she did worry Lin Fan would be seduced. A boy's body was precious, okay? Scientists had already studied this. Most boys only had 10 to 20 good years in their youth. Many started declining after 35. If a guy married too many wives, he might even burn out before 30. These days, lots of girls couldn't get married and would try all kinds of tricks to get boys to sleep with them. Some just wanted to get pregnant to save the $2,000 cost of IVF. If they got pregnant with a boy, they'd hit the jackpot. Some ruthless women even sold a man's genetic material on the black market, earning up to $10,000 per sample. If the volume was high enough, they could make tens of thousands. Li Siling had already decided Lin Fan was her future husband. Of course she had to protect him from being tricked by shady women. Even if he didn't become her husband, he'd be her brother-in-law or future-in-law. She should protect him, right? Relax. Your future husband's body is in great shape. And my standards are high. Normal girls don't impress me. Lin Fan parked the sports car in front of dorm building number 1. There are a total of 30 dorm buildings at Wadaeku Royal Vocational and Technical College. Buildings 1, 2, 3, and 4 are for male students. The rest are all female dorms. Lin Fan's dorm is room 909 in building number 1. The two of them got out of the car and walked into the male dorm building empty-handed. Other than personal belongings, Lin Fan didn't bring any luggage. He wasn't short on money, so he planned to just buy new things at school. Li Siling led Lin Fan to the window outside the dorm manager's office. Lin Fan, come register and get your key, then you can move in. From inside the window, a mature woman around 30 years old looked over at Lin Fan in room 909, right? Yes. Lin Fan from room 909. Lin Fan stepped up to the window. Seeing that the dorm manager was a young woman, Lin Fan was a bit surprised. In elementary, middle, and high school, the dorm managers were all men. In his previous world, dorm managers were always elderly uncles or aunts. Now, seeing a big sister in her 30s, well, that definitely counted as a young woman. And although the dorm manager was a bit older, she still had a mature charm. Lin Fan glanced at her through the system. Zhu Mengting, appearance 83, not bad at all. Lin Fan, swipe your ID card here, Zhu Mengting said, pointing to a scanner. No wonder it's a Royal Academy, so fancy. While Lin Fan muttered that, he took out his ID card and swiped it. Of course, it wasn't really high-tech, about the same as checking into a hotel or logging in at an internet cafe. It just felt fancy because in middle and high school they still used handwritten sign-in sheets. Of course. Our school receives both imperial and royal subsidies. No ordinary school can compare. Dorm manager Zhu smiled at Lin Fan. Her gaze wasn't as heated or aggressive as the other girls Lin Fan had met. Instead, it felt like a refreshing breeze. That made Lin Fan feel some goodwill toward her. If their dorm's manager acted like those boy-crazy girls, it would have been a pain to live here. What Lin Fan didn't know was how many people competed for the position of male dorm manager at the Royal Academy. First, the salary was high, 15,000 yuan per month, about $2,050, with free meals and housing, 13 months of pay per year, and full benefits. This pay was over twice that of dorm managers at other schools. Even the female dorm managers at the same academy only earned about 2/3 of that. Male dorm managers made 15,000 yuan per month, female dorm managers only 10,000. Why? Because the requirements were high. First, they had to be good-looking, have a nice personality, and not affect the boys' moods. They also had to handle student issues well and resist temptation from the boys. With all that, the high pay was expected. After swiping his ID and doing a face scan, the dorm manager handed Lin Fan a key card. Lin Fan, here's your dorm card. Don't lose it. If you need a replacement, it'll cost 10 yuan. Zhu Mengting reminded him. Lin Fan smiled and nodded. Got it, dorm manager sis. After thanking her, Lin Fan and Li Siling walked toward the elevators. Dorm manager Zhu looked at Lin Fan's photo on the screen and was briefly dazed, her cheeks slightly red. Good looks aside, he was also polite and sweet-talking. She was only 35 and had been dorm manager for years, but Lin Fan was the first one to ever call her sister. What a treasure of a boy, even the dorm manager is falling for him. Lin Fan had no idea that just calling her sis made the dorm manager fall for him. Living in this dorm, he'd definitely have an easier time than other guys, with dorm sis taking care of him. Room 909. Even though it was his dorm, Lin Fan still knocked on the door. If it were just him, he wouldn't care, he'd just swipe his card and go in. But with Li Xiling next to him, he didn't want her to see anything she shouldn't. When there was no reply from inside, Lin Fan took out the card and opened the door. The inside of the dorm was surprisingly spacious. The room could fit 6 to 8 people, but only had 2 bunk beds. Besides desks, there was even a refrigerator, a sofa, a large LCD TV, and even a PS gaming console. The bedding was already laid out, and they'd even prepared desktop computers. The military training uniform was also placed on the desk. The bathroom had a water heater and a washer-dryer combo. The dorm even had a small balcony with great lighting. No doubt about it, the Royal Academy's male dorms were top tier. Lin Fan saw that his bed had his name on it. The opposite bed also had a name tag. Everything in the dorm was neat and tidy, so his roommate hadn't arrived yet. He checked the military uniform, it was exactly his size. Since Li Xiling was there, he didn't try it on. He was more curious whether the computer was high-end. He pressed the power button and sat down at the desk. Li Xiling's heart began to race. Walking into the dorm with Lin Fan, her mind suddenly filled with those things between a man and woman. And the setting was this very dorm room, with her and Lin Fan as the leads. Her face turned slightly red. What a naughty woman she was. But seeing Lin Fan's gorgeous profile, she felt even thirstier. Lin Fan, now that your registration is done, want to come to my dorm? My cat can do backflips. Though her hormones were buzzing, she wasn't totally irrational. This was a male dorm. Lin Fan's roommate hadn't arrived yet, but could show up at any time. Doing anything here would be awkward. But in her own dorm, it would be different. The second year hadn't started yet, and her roommates weren't back, no one would bother them. Lin Fan was looking at the PC specs, top-tier GPU, CPU, RAM, even the keyboard, mouse, and monitor were all high-end. He was impressed by the Academy's wealth when he heard Li Xiling's words. He turned and looked at her strangely. Go sit in her dorm? Her cat can do backflips? Was she saying, sit, or do? The second year hadn't even started, and Li Xiling wasn't even living in the dorm yet. She had a cat there? If she did, it'd be dead from hunger by now. The backflipping cat was fake. She just wanted to do something else, right? His relationship with the 5 sisters wasn't developed enough yet. If he picked any one of them now, the other 4 would be out of reach. And that wasn't what he wanted. If you bring your other sisters over, then I'll come do it, Lin Fan smiled at her. If he could take all 5 at once, then Prince Yen would have no choice but to marry off all 5 daughters to him, right? After all, in this world, it was already hard for women to marry men, and once a woman slept with another guy, most men wouldn't take her. Men in this world were spoiled rotten. Like buying a car, if I can choose brand new at the dealership, why would I go to a used lot? Sure, test driving is fine, but buying used to bring home? No way. Lin Fan didn't end up going to Li Xiling's dorm to see the kitten that could supposedly do backflips. Because Li Xiling didn't call her 4 sisters over. Today was her alone time with Lin Fan, and she wasn't about to call the others. Besides, their mother's order was that one of the 5 sisters had to marry Lin Fan. If all 5 of them got involved with Lin Fan, wouldn't that be disobeying their mother? By then, not only would they get punished, even Lin Fan might be punished by their mother. In the Great Xia Empire, men's status and treatment were indeed very high, but ordinary men still couldn't compare to the royal family. If Lin Fan angered their mother, and she really wanted to punish him, she had all sorts of ways. She didn't want Lin Fan to be punished by her mother. Lin Fan and Li Xiling arrived at Wisteria Ghost School located in University Town Plaza. It was a very famous escape room chain in the Great Xia Empire. Each branch in the same city had a different theme. Did you book tickets? No need to book, this Wisteria Ghost School is really popular. As long as the university term starts, there's no shortage of players. That popular? Lin Fan was a little doubtful. In his previous life, he'd played escape rooms before too. Unless it was a holiday or summer break, where were all these people coming from? You usually had to book online in advance. Of course, walking in was fine too. But you had to bring your own team, otherwise it was all luck or a long wait. Escape rooms in this world were really that popular? Soon, Lin Fan and Li Xiling arrived at Wisteria Ghost School. And sure enough, there were quite a lot of people. There were about a dozen people sitting in the lobby, looking like they were there to play. But among them, only one was a guy. So it was all girls here to play? But what fun was a haunted house with just girls? At least in his previous life, it was rare to see several guys playing escape rooms together. Even if they did, it was usually with the intention of meeting girls. Oh, got it. These girls must also be hoping to team up with guys. As soon as Lin Fan and Li Xiling walked into the store, a lot of people looked their way. Especially when they saw Lin Fan, many girls couldn't take their eyes off him. Hey! A super handsome guy just came in. For real. So handsome. They're only 2 people, they'll probably need to join a team, right? Wonder if they'll be teamed with us. If not, I'm switching to their team. Damn. Then I'm switching too. A staff member warmly came up to greet them. Welcome. Did you 2 book online? No. Then please come this way. We have 6 themes. Take a look and let me know which one you'd like. I'll help you find a group. The girl from the store led Lin Fan and Li Xiling to the front desk. Above the counter were 6 screens, each showing a different theme. Abandoned school, abandoned hospital, haunted castle, biohazard, mummy, ghost marriage. Lin Fan, which theme do you want to play? Li Xiling let him decide. As a fan of escape rooms and role-playing murder mysteries, she had already played all these themes with her friends. This time, coming with Lin Fan wasn't really about the game, it was to heat up their relationship and get Lin Fan to choose her. In an escape room, the dark environment made people feel scared. When people are scared, they instinctively seek safety nearby. That leads to more physical contact. Fear also makes your heart race, and being with someone you like does the same. So when a man and a woman play escape rooms together, it often creates a feeling like they're falling in love. As long as Lin Fan felt that way, her chances would skyrocket. But what she didn't know was that Lin Fan was actually really bold. He hadn't played escape rooms in this life, but in his past life, he had played a ton, always taking the role of the meat shield. Always running solo missions, no pressure at all. Lin Fan looked back and forth at the 6 themes, and finally stopped on ghost marriage. In terms of horror, Chinese-style horror was scarier. Just being chased by zombies didn't do anything for him. We'll play ghost marriage, Li Xiling said to the staff right away. Okay, ghost marriage for 2. It's 298 per person, so 596 total. The previous ghost marriage session will finish in about 20 minutes. You can wait and rest here. I'll use the time to help you find a team. Before the staff even finished speaking, 5 girls suddenly rushed over. Please switch me to ghost marriage. Me too. And me. All 5 girls wanted to switch to the ghost marriage theme. The rest of the girls didn't join in and stayed around another guy in the waiting area. That guy looked average, but he wasn't fat, and his expression stayed cold the whole time. But that didn't stop the girls from fawning over him. Of course the girls knew Lin Fan was more handsome, otherwise they wouldn't keep sneaking glances at him. But to abandon the guy they were currently chasing and go to Lin Fan? Not gonna happen. They had already invested time and money. They couldn't just give up. In fact, they were even scared to look at Lin Fan in case they made their crush angry. As for the 5 girls switching themes, the staff had no objections. As long as they were still playing in the store, it didn't count as bailing. And the previous people in that theme? Oh, it was just those 5 girls, so no problem. Lin Fan and Li Xiling sat down to rest, and the girls started chatting with Lin Fan. Handsome guy, have you played escape rooms before? No, this is my first time. Ghost marriage is pretty scary. First time doing an escape room and you pick something this scary, aren't you scared you'll cry? Don't worry, once we go in, we'll protect you. Handsome, add me on WeChat. We can play escape rooms together sometime. Lin Fan didn't mind chatting with the girls, but he didn't add them. Although these 5 girls looked pretty, their real beauty score was only 78, not even 80. Not his type. Soon, the previous ghost marriage session ended. After a short cleanup, everyone was asked to put on blindfolds and were led to the game zone. Handsome guy, you need to enter the game zone alone first. Please put your hand on my shoulder, I'll lead you in. Lin Fan put both hands on the female staff member's shoulders and followed her, slowly moving forward. He was wearing a blindfold and couldn't see anything at all. Plus, the game area was very dark. Even if there were tiny gaps below the blindfold, he still couldn't see anything. Handsome guy, is this your first time playing an escape room? The female staff member chatted with Lin Fan as they walked. Yeah, first time. Lin Fan pretended to be a little scared. He had played escape rooms in his past life, but this life, it really was the first time. And in this kind of game, guys couldn't act too brave. If you're too brave, how are girls supposed to have a chance to show off? Even if you're brave, you have to act scared. Being scared made it easier for him to fall onto Lee Siling from time to time. First time? Then this ghost marriage theme might be pretty scary for you. But don't be too scared. Everything inside is just props, all fake. The ghosts are all girls dressed up. The girls working here are really nice. If you get scared and cry, they won't keep scaring you. Listening to what the staff member said, Lin Fan rolled his eyes under the blindfold. From what she said, quite a few guys had been scared to tears. Maybe it was cultural, or maybe guys in this world had just lived in a greenhouse too long, but most of them really did seem much weaker than guys from his previous life. On the other hand, women were much stronger than women in his past life. Lin Fan was led around several turns, and finally through a door. It seemed they had entered a room. "Handsome guy, you can take off the blindfold now." Lin Fan removed the blindfold and, using the small flashlight in the staff member's hand, saw the surroundings clearly. It was an old-fashioned wedding room. Red bed covers, red celebration blanket, a canopy bed draped in red veils, a makeup table with the double happiness symbol, and in the center of the room was a set of solid wood table and chairs. On the round table were several dishes, a tray with a wine pot and 2 small cups, and another tray with a jade rui scepter. In the center of the round table was a red electronic candle holder, giving off a faint red glow. "Handsome guy, lie down on the bed and wait for the game to start," the staff member said with a smile. Lie down?" Lin Fan acted shocked, showing a very resistant face. Having played escape rooms in his previous life, he knew very well that NPCs in these games loved scaring timid players the most. They didn't like scaring brave players, no sense of achievement, and way less fun. So even if you were brave, you had to act timid. Yeah, don't be afraid. This is just part of the ghost marriage themes process. Of course, if you're too scared, you can just sit instead. Then I'll lie down." Lin Fan sat down and then lay on the very old-looking wooden wedding bed. The staff member left and closed the wedding room door. Once she left, the room got much darker. The only light came from the faint red candle on the table. Even without ghosts, this setting alone could make people scared. Lin Fan sat up. He knew the game had officially begun. Holding the walkie-talkie in one hand, he began to carefully search the room for clues. Chinese-style horror music played in the background, giving Lin Fan a bit of a chill down his spine. Soon, he found a clue card at the dressing table. He needed to take the candle holder, go to the morning hall to find a key, and then leave the attic. Just as he turned to take the candle holder from the table, he was suddenly startled. Because the bed he had just been lying on now had a bride sitting on it, wearing a red wedding dress and a red veil covering her face. When did this NPC show up? He didn't feel anything at all. He had just been lying on that bed. The mechanisms in this world were way too advanced, even someone like Bold Lin got startled. But when Lin Fan checked her stats using the system, he wasn't scared anymore. He actually got a little excited. Li Yunwan, female, beauty score 94. This NPC girl was a total beauty. With that kind of score, who cares if she's an NPC? Even if she were a real ghost, he wouldn't be afraid. In his past life, people used to say, as long as you're brave, the female ghost goes on maternity leave. If he really ran into a ghost this pretty, who knows if he'd be scared or turned on. If he wasn't sure there were cameras in the room, he would have sat next to the bride and started chatting with her. Lin Fan, nervously, picked up the red candle holder from the table and slowly backed toward the door. He opened it and left. Right next door was the morning hall. The wedding room and morning hall were complete opposites. The wedding room was all red, and the morning hall was all white. There was even a coffin in the middle of the morning hall. In front of it was an offering table with offerings and a framed black and white photo of a man. Holding the candle holder, Lin Fan walked into the morning hall and, cautiously, approached the coffin. He was really curious if there was also an NPC lying inside. Sure enough, there was. A groom in a red wedding outfit lay in the coffin, face painted ghostly white like a dead person. Su Lanlan, female, beauty score 83. This groom NPC wasn't as pretty as the bride from the wedding room, but she had a nice figure. Her measurements were 33-23-34, with a bust 1.2 inches bigger than the bride earlier. But since she was lying in a coffin, it wasn't obvious, probably some kind of restraint used. Lin Fan didn't touch the groom's corpse because he saw the key was already placed on the offering table in front of the coffin. He walked over, picked up the key from the table. And just as he did, the corpse in the coffin suddenly sat up. Ah! The female NPC let out a miserable scream. Shit! Lin Fan also shouted. He had guessed she might get up, but her sudden scream still startled him. Too sudden. Seeing her sit up, Lin Fan quickly ran out with the key. He soon found the attic exit at the end of the hallway, hurriedly pulled out the key, and opened the brass lock on the door. After opening it, he looked back and saw the NPC named Su Lanlan crawling toward him on all fours. She looked just like a red-dressed version of Sadako. Lin Fan ran downstairs fast, yelling Li Xiling's name as he did. He hadn't come to play the escape room for real, he came to win Li Xiling over. If he didn't meet up with her, what was the point of this game? Lin Fan. I'm here. Soon, Li Xiling's voice echoed through the escape room. Following the sound, Lin Fan quickly found her. She was standing with the 5 other female players. Lin Fan immediately hugged Li Xiling. I was scared to death, scared to death. There's a female ghost upstairs. Way too scary. Don't be scared, it's all just staff pretending. Li Xiling patted Lin Fan's back, her face full of smiles as she buried it in his chest. As expected, escape rooms were the most fun with someone you liked. She hadn't felt this way before, but now, compared to all those pastimes she came with her girlfriends, those games were nothing. Even if it's someone pretending, it's still scary. I feel like my heart's gonna jump out. Touch it if you don't believe me. Really? Li Xiling's eyes lit up. She could really touch Lin Fan's heartbeat? This world was different from the one Lin Fan came from before crossing over. A man's body, women weren't allowed to touch it casually. And in public, men would never go shirtless, because people thought that would be taking advantage of the women. Boys were considered the most beautiful beings in the world. Their bodies were also the most sacred. How could they be casually cheapened by those filthy women? And now, Lin Fan actually let Li Xiling touch him. How could Li Xiling not be excited? Not only was Li Xiling excited, the other 5 girls with her were so jealous they were practically drooling. Even average-looking guys wouldn't casually let girls touch their bodies, let alone someone as handsome as Lin Fan. If this handsome guy was willing to let them touch him, they'd be willing to lose 10 years of their life. Li Xiling placed her right hand on Lin Fan's chest. She didn't know if Lin Fan's heart was beating fast, but she could feel her own heart beating quickly. She felt like Lin Fan was just too understanding. Why did she bring Lin Fan to the haunted house? Wasn't it to get more physical contact? The game had just started, and before she even made a move, Lin Fan had already delivered himself. If all men were this understanding, women around the world would probably die of happiness. Handsome guy, don't be scared. There are so many girls here with you. No ghost will be able to touch you. That's right, that's right. Stay behind us, handsome. If the ghost wants to hurt you, they'll have to walk over our bodies first. The other female players all chimed in. Watching Li Xiling flirting with the handsome guy right in front of them, they were all jealous to death. Lin Fan and the others didn't waste time and began exploring the game area. 2 girls led in front, followed by Li Xiling. Lin Fan held her hand and followed behind, with the remaining 3 girls covering the rear. Lin Fan was being protected by 6 girls. They arrived at a room labeled Main Hall. Entering the hall, 2 paper figures stood inside, dressed in wedding outfits, faces deathly pale. Because of the uncanny valley effect, Lin Fan felt the paper figures were even scarier than the real-life female ghosts. A clue card was stuck on the wall next to the paper figures, explaining the game background. The eldest daughter of the Zhu family had always been sick since childhood, and died young at the age of 16. The matriarch of the house felt sorry for her and arranged a ghost marriage for her. But after the ghost marriage, strange things began happening frequently at the Zhu residence. Eventually, several people died. Helpless, the Zhu family had to gradually move out of the old house. The matriarch hired Taoist masters to handle the supernatural events, but each one died inside the house. The players had to explore the secrets of the Zhu family's old house, investigate the source of the strange events, and completely solve the mystery. The group began exploring the area. The whole scene was extremely dark, with only their candle holders providing light, but even those were very dim. There were creepy paper figures everywhere. The groom climbed out of coffins and jumped out occasionally to scare them. For someone timid, playing this could really make them cry. Before long, Lin Fan and the others found a new clue. A Taoist master had left a note. He had already discovered the truth behind the Zhu family's old house. The reason for the strange events was that the eldest daughter's spirit was unhappy with the groom's appearance and refused to consummate the ghost marriage. As time passed, the groom's resentment grew and he turned into a vengeful ghost. All the Taoist masters the matriarch hired were killed by this vengeful ghost. To restore peace to the Zhu house, the players had to do 2 things. First, perform a ritual to help the vengeful ghost pass on. Second, choose the most handsome boy to marry the eldest daughter. The Taoist master carried a coin sword woven from copper coins. But it had to be blessed with rooster blood to harm the vengeful ghost. One player, with the strongest yang energy, needed to find the sword on the Taoist's corpse and get rooster blood from the kitchen to bless it. No one else could touch the sword, or the Yin energy would contaminate it and make it useless. Looking at the Taoist's corpse on the ground, Lin Fan figured he'd have to do the searching. Lin Fan, don't be scared. She's just a staff member in costume. Nothing to be afraid of. That's right, that's right. We're all here with you. No matter what comes, we won't let the handsome guy get hurt. We swear to protect you. Looking at the Taoist corpse on the ground, Lin Fan wasn't really scared. But since the Taoist was also played by a female staff member, was it really okay to frisk her? Whatever. The game plot required it, so he had to follow along. Lin Fan squatted down and searched around the Taoist's waist, nothing. Then checked the limbs, still nothing. Wait, this female NPC hid the sword in her chest? The 5 female players all looked at the Taoist on the ground with envy. Damn. So jealous of this NPC. I want the handsome guy to search me too. If I had known NPCs get treated this well, I would have signed up as a haunted house worker this summer. Lin Fan, something as important as the coin sword must be hung around the chest. Try looking there, Li Xiling reminded. Since Li Xiling said it, Lin Fan had no choice but to do it. Sure enough, he soon found the coin sword and pulled it out from inside the robe. Lin Fan couldn't help but feel, escape rooms in this world were so much more fun. Not only were all the NPCs pretty girls, but they even had plot points like this. If this were in his past life, the place would be fully booked every day. Unfortunately, men in this world were too proud. Few were willing to play escape rooms. Even fewer were willing to have close interactions with NPCs. In their eyes, it wasn't them taking advantage, it was the NPCs taking advantage. So now Lin Fan was the only one getting the perks. But just as Lin Fan pulled the coin sword out from under the robe, the Taoist master, who had had her eyes closed the whole time, suddenly opened them and grabbed Lin Fan's arm tightly. Don't hurt the cutie. Let me protect him. The female players immediately jumped into action. Some threw themselves on the Taoist to hold her down, others grabbed her arms, while others shielded Lin Fan and pulled him back. Lin Fan felt that in the dark, someone was groping his butt, and different sizes of round objects kept bumping into him from all directions. Was this sexual harassment? Royal Academy. Back in her dorm room, Lu Ruyan kept holding her phone, hoping Lin Fan would reply. But in their chat window, there was only one message she had sent. Lin Fan, I'm Lu Ruyan. Nice to meet you. She had sent it right after adding him as a friend. But several hours had passed, it was almost noon, and Lin Fan still hadn't replied. Still, Lu Ruyan wasn't discouraged. Lin Fan, I heard Uncle Yuan's restaurant outside the school is really good. Do you have time for lunch? My treat, as an apology. A few minutes later, still no reply. Lu Ruyan continued messaging. If you don't want stir-fry, how about hot pot? Haiti Leo's pretty good, their service is amazing. If you don't want hot pot, how about barbecue? Sushi? Peking duck? French food. Lin Fan was still inside the escape room. Everyone's phones were stored in lockers, so he had no idea that Lu Ruyan, the girl who had bumped into him that morning, was currently sending him message after message, trying to invite him to lunch. Under the protection of Li Xiling and the other female players, Lin Fan safely arrived at the kitchen and found rooster blood. After applying the rooster blood to the coin sword, it instantly gained the power to ward off evil. When the groom appeared again, Lin Fan successfully used the coin sword to kill the groom who had turned into a vengeful ghost. Everyone accompanied Lin Fan back to the main hall. The 2 paper figures that had been in the main hall had changed. Now in their place stood a bride dressed in a red wedding dress with a red veil on her head. Next to the bride stood 2 pale-faced maid NPCs that looked just like paper figures. Lin Fan saw the bride's information, Li Yunwan. She was the same bride who had appeared in the wedding room earlier. Lin Fan stood next to the bride, and suddenly cheerful Swana music played from the speakers. The lucky hour has arrived. First bow to heaven and earth. The bride slightly bowed toward the door, and Lin Fan naturally followed. Second bow to the parents. Li Xiling and the others acted like wedding guests, witnessing Lin Fan and the bride bowing to each other in marriage. Watching the scene, not only was Li Xiling not upset, she even looked on happily. In her mind, she was already imagining the grand wedding ceremony her mother would hold when Lin Fan chose her. At that time, she too would wear a phoenix crown and red dress, standing next to Lin Fan, bowing to each other in marriage. The other 5 female players were overwhelmed with envy. Even though they knew it was fake, how they wished they were the bride standing next to Lin Fan. Third bow to each other as husband and wife. Send to the bridal chamber. The 2 maid NPCs escorted the bride out. Just as she reached the door, the bride wearing the red veil suddenly stopped. Husband, I'll be waiting for you in the bridal chamber. After saying this, the bride finally left. Suddenly, a projection appeared on the wall. The Zhu family's old house seems to have returned to peace, but the soul of the Zhu family's eldest daughter still lingers, unwilling to leave. Next, the groom must decide whether to go to the wedding room and find out the truth. Lin Fan was a bit confused. Was it over? Or not? Ah! We actually triggered a hidden storyline. Our luck is amazing. Hidden storyline? Lin Fan looked confused. An escape room has hidden storylines? In his past life, he had never heard of escape rooms having hidden storylines. Yeah, it's a hidden storyline. According to people online, the trigger rate is less than 2%. If the groom challenges the hidden storyline, the entire group can get a full refund and also receive a souvenir. Handsome guy, do you want to try it? The female players looked at Lin Fan with anticipation. If Lin Fan chose to do it, it meant they could each get back nearly 300 yuan in entry fees and receive a cute bride figurine. Of course, they hoped Lin Fan would accept. What is the hidden storyline about? Lin Fan asked, curious. The bridal chamber, one girl said. Bridal chamber? Lin Fan was shocked. A $40 escape room had this kind of $100 extra content? Wait, wasn't that Li Yunwan a virgin? Actually, it's just lifting the veil, drinking wine, and then leaving through a different exit. That's what it says online. Lin Fan, if you don't want to do it, we can end here. Li Xiling held Lin Fan's hand and said. A refund and a figurine didn't mean much to her. When they first came in, Lin Fan was already scared. Now it was a solo mission, and she was worried it would scare him too much. No, I want to do it. Lin Fan said firmly. That bride had been wearing a red veil the whole time. He hadn't seen her face yet. And she was a top-tier beauty with a score of 94. He'd played this long, if he didn't even see her face, wouldn't that be a waste? Then, okay, Lin Fan, I'll wait for you outside. Li Xiling and the others left. Lin Fan went back to the wedding room alone. Lin Fan returned to the second floor and pushed open the wedding room door. The bride was again sitting at the edge of the wedding bed. This time, two maid NPCs that looked like paper figures stood beside her. Son-in-law, the two maids bowed slightly to Lin Fan. The maids looked scary, but they actually had decent beauty scores, one was 80, the other 81. But Lin Fan wasn't paying attention to them. All his focus was on the bride. Whether it was 80 or 81, compared to 94, it wasn't even close. Lin Fan approached the bride. One of the maids brought over the jade ruby from the table. Son-in-law, please lift the veil. Lin Fan picked up the jade ruby and lifted the bride's red veil, finally seeing Li Yunwan's face for the first time. He wasn't amazed, he was startled. The bride's face was painted like a paper figure. Her whole face was as pale as paper, with two round red blush spots painted on her cheeks. And her lips were painted bright red in the middle. She looked just like a paper figure. Clearly done by the same makeup artist as the two maids. Husband, am I beautiful? Li Yunwan's voice was lovely, like a mountain spring, clear and soft. Bo, beautifully bubbling, Lin Fan's face twitched. A 94 beauty score, painted into this horror look, what a waste. Husband, let's drink the wedding wine. One maid brought over a tray with 2 cups of wine and stepped in front of them. Looking at the creepy paper figure makeup on Li Yunwan's face, Lin Fan honestly wanted to refuse, but this was a game. What's the point if you don't play? So Lin Fan still drank the wedding wine with Li Yunwan. Husband, it's getting late, let's rest early, the bride said and lay down on the wedding bed. The two maids stood guard at the side. What else could Lin Fan do? He had chosen to challenge the hidden storyline, he had to see it through. He gritted his teeth and lay down beside the bride. The next second, the bed started to slowly descend. The two maids pulled down the bed curtains, wishing Miss and son-in-law many sons and grandsons. Lin Fan was stunned. Was this the end, or were they really going to make him sleep with the bride? They couldn't be kidnapping him to harvest his organs, right? Thankfully, after a while, the two of them arrived in a rest room. Husband, although we are now married, I cannot bear to harm you. This jade pendant has always been with me. I give it to you now. I hope that 100 years from now, you will not forget to come find me. Li Yunwan placed a green jade token in Lin Fan's hand, then turned and entered a secret door. Lin Fan looked at the jade pendant in his hand, it was carved with a double happiness symbol and dragon pattern. There should be another matching piece with a phoenix pattern. Together, they would form the word double happiness. Luckily, the jade was green, not white, otherwise he would have thrown it out. He didn't know about this world, but in the one he came from, a white double happiness dragon phoenix jade pair was really used for ghost marriages in ancient times. Ding! Received a gift from Li Yunwan, triggered cashback critical hit, awarded passive skill Heavenly King level singing voice. Lin Fan was quite surprised. Receiving a gift from an NPC in a game could trigger a cashback reward? But, whatever. If it's a free reward, why not take it? Lin Fan used Heavenly King-level singing voice, and felt a cool sensation in his throat, like he had just eaten a mint. That feeling soon faded, and there didn't seem to be any major change. But based on past experience, he believed the system rewards wouldn't disappoint. Lin Fan returned to the lobby and saw Li Xiling and the other 5 female players all resting in the lounge area. When Li Xiling saw Lin Fan, she immediately got up and ran over, looking at him worriedly. Lin Fan. Are you okay? Lin Fan had always acted timid during the game. She was worried he had been scared doing the solo task. Of course Lin Fan was fine, he had just gotten married to a beauty with a score of 94. How could anything be wrong? Only the makeup on her face had looked a little creepy. No big deal. But Lin Fan still pulled Li Xiling into his arms. It was so scary. My legs went weak. Don't be scared, we won't play this again in the future. Li Xiling gently patted Lin Fan's back and comforted him softly. No, even though it was scary, it was still a lot of fun. Let's rest for a while and then play again. Lin Fan shook his head immediately. Are you kidding? Escape rooms are the best setting for closing distance between 2 people. He wasn't just going to play escape rooms with Li Xiling, he planned to bring the other 4 sisters along too. There was a saying in his previous life that made sense: a woman in love has a negative IQ. As long as he made all 5 sisters fall deeply in love with him and have relationships with him, then even their mother, King Yen, probably wouldn't be able to stop it, right? The staff member who had brought them into the game earlier walked over, followed by another staff member carrying a tray. There were 7 boxes on the tray. Congratulations on successfully triggering the hidden storyline in the ghost marriage theme and completing the hidden content. Your entry fees will be fully refunded. Also, here are souvenirs for everyone. The souvenirs were bride figurines, about 8 inches tall, crafted with exquisite detail. They weren't huge, but the craftsmanship was very fine. In his past life, something like this would easily cost between $70 to $140. The other 5 female players were extremely excited. They had profited big time. They got to play an escape room for free and received a mysterious souvenir. And during the game, quite a few of them even had close contact with that handsome guy. And he didn't complain at all. What kind of god-tier boy was this? The only regret, they didn't manage to add him on WeChat. Otherwise, they would totally have turned into simp dogs and vowed to win him over. Oh, right. This is a prop, right? Returning it to you. Lin Fan pulled out the jade pendant that the bride had given him. But the staff member shook her head. We don't have such a prop. But the bride gave it to me. Isn't it one of your props? Oh, that was something given to you personally by the staff member. It's not a store prop. Huh? Lin Fan held the jade pendant up to his eyes. That was personally given by the bride? Does she give out jade pendants to everyone? But this pendant looked very clear, probably not cheap? Huh? Lin Fan noticed that there was a phone number engraved on the back of the pendant. Li Xiling came closer too. Huh? Imperial green jadeite, this quality of jade pendant is worth at least over $1 million. As a royal family member, Li Xiling had seen plenty of fine things. She could tell the approximate value of this pendant at a glance. That expensive? Lin Fan was very surprised. He had guessed that it wasn't cheap, maybe worth tens of thousands or a bit over 100,000 at most. But Li Xiling had just raised the price tenfold. The 5 female players nearby, along with other female players who had walked over, all had their mouths wide open in shock. They had heard Lin Fan's conversation with the staff just now. An NPC gave a jade pendant to the handsome guy, and that pendant turned out to be worth over $1 million. Which rich young lady came here to experience life? That rich, and she came to work as an NPC in an escape room? Must be crazy. The 5 girls were all crushed. Sure enough, handsome guys always end up with the rich girls, ordinary people like them don't deserve them. Lin Fan looked at the staff member in front of him. Since you said so, I'll just keep this jade pendant then. If the bride wants it back, she can contact me herself. You guys have my number. As he spoke, Lin Fan put the pendant into his pocket. As for the phone number? He and Li Xiling had both left their numbers when they registered earlier. Even if the bride didn't contact him, he'd still reach out to her. A gorgeous and rich beauty, no way he was missing out. Soon, the store refunded the fee to Li Xiling. The 2 retrieved their phones and left. All the way until they left, the bride never came out to ask for the pendant back. Lin Fan, are you hungry? Want to get something to eat first? Li Xiling checked the time. It was already 11:30. Sure. Lin Fan was holding his phone, replying to Lu Ruyan's message. He originally wanted to type in the phone number engraved on the back of the jade pendant to see if he could add the bride on WeChat. When he opened WeChat, he saw a string of messages from Lu Ruyan. I'm outside, I won't eat lunch. Let's talk later. He replied with that message, then clicked Add Friend and entered the phone number on the pendant. He actually found someone. Yi Weiliang. The profile photo was the back view of a girl in traditional Chinese clothing. Even though he couldn't see her face, Lin Fan felt the girl in the profile photo was most likely the bride named Li Yunwan. Lin Fan sent a friend request and typed the character Jade as the verification message. Just as he was about to put away his phone, because playing with your phone during a date was rude, Lu Ruyan sent another message. Lin Fan, how about tonight, are you free? Military training starts tomorrow. Did you get the notice? I heard this time it's going to be really strict. Seeing Lu Ruyan's messages pop up one after another, Lin Fan directly replied. Book the room for tonight. Wait for me. Lin Fan was very familiar with someone like Lu Ruyan. He sent a dozen or even dozens of messages, and the other party wouldn't reply for a long time. Even if there was a reply, it would be a short sentence. And as long as she got a reply from him, Lu Ruyan would instantly respond. Wasn't this a pure simp? In his past life, Lin Fan had a college roommate who was exactly like this. That roommate wasn't even as good as Lu Ruyan. At least Lu Ruyan was good-looking, a handsome guy, and with how few men there were in this world, it made sense that she was chasing him. His college roommate from his past life was chasing a girl with average looks, who only looked a bit better thanks to makeup. But in Lin Fan's eyes, even with makeup, her beauty score didn't reach 80. Yet his college roommate was still completely devoted to her. Everyone in the dorm advised him to give up, saying that girl was just stringing him along, but he wouldn't listen. He even said she was different. In the end, he kept simping from freshman year to graduation, and never got the girl. She ended up with someone who drove a BMW X1. Most simps were stubborn, so Lin Fan understood Lu Ruyan very well. Even if there was nothing between them, even if he didn't give her any attention, she still wouldn't give up. Sure enough, just a few seconds after Lin Fan sent that message, Lu Ruyan replied. Really? Lin Fan, I'll book the room right now. I'll wait for your message. Lin Fan, is there anything you want to eat? I'll prepare it in advance. Lu Ruyan sent him another series of messages. Seeing all the notifications, Lin Fan directly muted her chat so his phone wouldn't keep buzzing. It was noisy. At noon, Lin Fan and Li Xiling casually went to a Hunan restaurant and ordered a few stir-fried dishes. After eating, they played role-play games, scripted murder mystery, from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m., a full 6 hours. After the game, Li Xiling even dragged Lin Fan out for a late-night barbecue. That afternoon, he had already added Li Yunwan as a friend. But since he was in the middle of playing, he hadn't replied to her. He only checked her messages during the barbecue. Handsome, now that you've accepted my jade pendant, you're mine. Li Yunwan only sent one message, not like Lu Ruyan, who spammed message after message. This showed that Li Yunwan was different from Lu Ruyan. She wasn't a simp. Which made sense. She gave away a jade pendant worth over $1 million, clearly she was rich, and not just average rich. With that kind of wealth, as long as her head was normal, she didn't need to simp like Lu Ruyan. She could just throw money around. No matter how few men there were in this world, there would still be more than rich people. There would always be someone willing to date a rich person. After all, who didn't want a better life? You're wrong. Only after I die, 100 years later, will I be yours. Lin Fan replied during a short break. Not long after, she replied. Can I take that back? No. I don't even know what you really look like, and you already want me to be yours? There are pictures in my moments. You're not taking the initiative at all. No sincerity. I think we should meet in person so I can return the jade pendant. Li Yunwan sent more than a dozen photos at once, all of her wearing traditional Chinese clothing. Just kidding. I've never taken back a gift I've given. Little lady, you're pretty cute. Little brother, that's rude. I'm older than you. You should call me big sister. Yes, big sister is very pretty. I'm still on a date, not chatting for now. After sending the last message, Lin Fan put down his phone. Still the same principle, it's rude to keep chatting with others while on a date. Lin Fan, who were you chatting with just now? Li Xiling asked curiously. Though she didn't want to be jealous, she had seen Lin Fan smiling happily while messaging someone. She couldn't help but care. The bride NPC from the escape room. Looks like she wants to chase me too. Lin Fan unlocked his phone and openly showed her the chat. After all, men in this world could have multiple wives. He didn't need to sneak around like he was cheating. Huh? That big sister is really pretty. Li Xiling was stunned by the photos from Li Yunwan. In the royal family, traditional outfits weren't worn often anymore, everyone wore modern clothes. Only during major holidays or celebrations would the empress and nobles wear traditional dress. And every one of this woman's photos was in full traditional attire. You could tell she really loved traditional clothing. She's definitely very pretty. So I plan to get to know her. You won't get jealous, right? Lin Fan moved from across the table to sit beside her. Of course not. Li Xiling quickly shook her head to show her stance. If Mom didn't order that only one of us sisters could marry you, I'd be willing to marry you together with the other four. Lin Fan smiled. Sure enough, the cheerful and energetic girl Li Xiling was the easiest to win over. She'd said similar things back during their blind date. I knew you were the best, Xiling Mua. Lin Fan kissed her as a reward. Hehehe. Li Xiling giggled happily. After supper, Li Xiling drove Lin Fan back to school. She was originally going to drop him off right in front of the dorm building, but Lin Fan told her to stop at the front gate. What's wrong, Lin Fan? The dorm is still a bit far from here. Remember the girl who bumped into me this morning at check-in? Yeah, I remember. She's already booked a room. I'm going to meet her now. Lin Fan didn't hide anything. She booked a room? Li Xiling was shocked. She had been on a date with Lin Fan all day, and now he was going to sleep with someone else? She was jealous. Yeah. Xiling, you're not mad, right? Us boys have needs too. And your 5 sisters can't do anything right now, so I can only go to other girls. Don't worry, Xiling. Out of the 100 wives I'll have, you'll definitely be one of them. Lin Fan cupped her cheeks and said. I'm okay with it too. Li Xiling quickly said. But I still don't want to give up on Sijuan, Sishi, Siyu, and Siyang. We can keep it a secret. I won't tell my mom. But aren't there people from Princess Yen around you? Lin Fan wasn't blind, or stupid. A royal family member definitely had security staff around. Li Xiling looked a little sad. She couldn't be Lin Fan's first woman anymore. Be good. Suddenly, Li Xiling looked into Lin Fan's eyes with determination. Lin Fan, kiss me. Li Xiling raised her hand and wiped the corner of her mouth. Lin Fan gently pinched her cheek, soft and bouncy like baby skin. Satisfied now? It's getting late. Head back. Drive slowly, be safe. Send me a message when you get home, Lin Fan reminded. Got it. Lin Fan got out of the car and waved toward Li Xiling inside. Li Xiling drove away contentedly. Lin Fan opened his phone and looked at the messages Lu Ruyan had sent him. Lu Ruyan had already sent him the hotel location and room number. He just had to head there directly. The hotel wasn't far from Royal Academy, walking would take about 7 or 8 minutes. But Lin Fan didn't go straight there. First, he stopped by the commercial street near the hotel and bought a $3 spicy hot pot. Carrying the takeout, he headed to the hotel. He also took out his phone and sent Lu Ruyan a message. I'm on my way. Be there soon. I brought you some spicy hot pot. Since Lu Ruyan had already booked the room, it felt off to show up empty-handed, so he brought her something to eat. He just didn't know if she had eaten or liked spicy hot pot. Still, no big deal. Other guys usually wouldn't spend a cent on a date. Buying food already made him much better than those guys. Lin Fan passed by a pharmacy. He glanced at it but walked right past. He didn't need any condoms or anything. Lu Ruyan looked clean, no worries. Inside the hotel. The projection on the wall was playing TV, but Lu Ruyan wasn't in the mood to watch. She was holding her phone, tossing and turning on the bed, unable to calm down. After Lin Fan sent her that one message at noon, there'd been no further updates. She had sent more than 10 messages since then, and Lin Fan hadn't responded at all, like his phone had disappeared. Lu Ruyan even started to suspect that Lin Fan's message wasn't meant for her, but was sent to her by mistake. Still, she immediately booked a decent hotel nearby using her phone. The hotel wasn't cheap, over $110 for one night. That was almost her entire week's living expenses. But this was the capital of the Great Xia Empire, and prices were high. The hotel's environment was pretty good, and there was even a large bathtub in the bathroom. If Lin Fan really came, then, hee. Suddenly, the phone in her hand buzzed twice. Lu Ruyan quickly checked her phone and saw Lin Fan's message. I'm on my way. Be there soon. I brought you some spicy hot pot. Seeing the message, Lu Ruyan rolled on the bed in excitement. He came. He really came. And he even brought food. Lin Fan was just too sweet. It wasn't a wrong message, he really meant to send it to her. Luckily, she hadn't hesitated and had booked the room right away. If she had missed this chance because of indecision, she would have regretted it to death. Lu Ruyan hurried to check her makeup. No problem. Then checked her clothes. Also fine. Wait, should I change? Maybe into a bathrobe? But it seems like there's no time. Lu Ruyan paced around the room in excitement, unable to stay still. Until the doorbell rang. Coming! Lu Ruyan rushed to the door. She didn't even check the peephole, she opened it right away. After all, girls going out alone wouldn't run into danger. Especially here in the capital, the safest place in the entire Great Xia Empire. She absolutely wouldn't be in danger. Only boys staying alone needed to worry about safety. Nowadays, there weren't many girls who dared to sexually assault boys openly, especially in the capital, practically none. But you still couldn't rule out a drunk girl going out of control. Lu Ruyan opened the door and saw that familiar, handsome face. Her whole body immediately radiated happiness. Lin Fan, you're here. Hungry? I brought you spicy hot pot. Not sure if it's your taste. Lin Fan raised the food and smiled at her. It is. Of course it is. Spicy hot pot is my favorite. Lin Fan, come in quickly. Lu Ruyan eagerly pulled Lin Fan inside. Once inside, Lin Fan was quite satisfied with the hotel room. It was clear that Lu Ruyan had put effort into choosing and paid good money for it. Lu Ruyan, you eat first. I'm going to take a shower. Lin Fan placed the spicy hot pot on the small table. It was peak summer, hot as hell outside. It wasn't too bad in the mall during the day, air-conditioned and cool. But once he stepped out, that was a different story. Walking from the school gate to the hot pot shop, picking up the order, and heading to the hotel. In under 30 minutes, his whole body was already sticky with sweat. To not ruin the upcoming experience, a shower was necessary. Lu Ruyan's eyes lit up when she heard that. Shower? She was definitely going to shower too. In that case? Lu Ruyan looked at Lin Fan. Seeing him head into the bathroom, she quickly followed him to the door. Lin Fan, want to shower together? I can help wash your back and save water too, Lu Ruyan asked boldly. Behind the glass door, Lin Fan smiled. Girls in this world really were great, so proactive. Not like in his past life, where guys had to initiate everything, and girls just deflected all the time. They wanted benefits, but didn't want to give anything in return. That wasn't his style. Lin Fan slid open the glass door, then let's shower together. On the other side, after returning to the Yen royal residence, Li Xiling sent Lin Fan a message, letting him know she got home safely. When she didn't get a reply for a long time, she knew what he was doing. But she wasn't angry at all, not even jealous. Because in a way, she was also Lin Fan's first woman. She didn't lose to that sweet-talking younger classmate. At 2 a.m., Lu Ruyan was already asleep. Lin Fan picked up his phone and checked the class group chat. During the day, the counselor had sent a message in the group. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., wear your military training uniform and meet in classroom 201 of the art building. The counselor would then take everyone to the field, where military instructors would be assigned. After that, would begin the long and grueling 2 weeks of military training. Lin Fan set an alarm for 7 a.m., an hour would be enough for him and Lu Ruyan to return to school. By the way, although they had just shared a bed, he still didn't know what major Lu Ruyan was in. Since they ran into each other, she was probably also in the art department. As for which major exactly? Whatever, not important. He'd find out eventually. The next morning at 6:30, Lu Ruyan's alarm went off. It had only beeped twice when Lu Ruyan quickly shut it off, afraid of waking up Lin Fan. However, Lin Fan still woke up. The blackout curtains were very effective, inside the room it was pitch black, making it impossible to judge the time by brightness. He could only pick up his phone to check the time. Why'd you set the alarm so early? It's only 6:30. I wanted to get up early so hubby can sleep a bit longer. Lu Ruyan turned on the light, gazing affectionately at Lin Fan beside her. She was just too happy. But Lin Fan must have been exhausted, so of course she had to let him rest more. It was just that the condom she prepared last night hadn't been used. If it had and she were a bit ruthless, she could have traded it for at least $14,000 on the black market. Too bad she was in her safe period these past few days. Otherwise, she might have been able to get pregnant with a handsome baby. Alright, then you go wash up first. I'll get up after you're done, Lin Fan said lazily. He really was a bit tired. Even though he was only 18 now, his physical constitution was only 75 points, he was relying purely on youth. If he could boost it to 100 or even 90 points, he figured he wouldn't get tired anymore. Lu Ruyan washed up quickly. After finishing, she didn't put on makeup, just applied a bit of lipstick. Her beauty score was 93. She really didn't need makeup. And there was military training today, she'd be sweating a lot anyway, so no need for makeup. If the makeup ran later, it'd be even more embarrassing. Lu Ruyan was fast, but Lin Fan was faster. He grabbed his toothbrush, stepped into the shower, and brushed his teeth while bathing. The whole process took under 5 minutes. More than 20 minutes faster than Lu Ruyan. After washing up, they had the hotel's complimentary breakfast, then returned to school. They arrived together at the art building and then went their separate ways. Lin Fan was in classroom 201, Lu Ruyan in 306. Only now did he learn that Lu Ruyan was a freshman in the acting major. When Lin Fan arrived at classroom 201, it was already 7:45 a.m., only 15 minutes left before the scheduled meetup. As freshmen, everyone was unlike the upperclassmen who liked to arrive just in time. Most had come early to wait. When Lin Fan entered the classroom, 2/3 of the seats were already taken. He saw a sheet of A4 paper taped to the door, printed with the words, Manga Class 1, so he knew he hadn't walked into the wrong room. He stepped in and scanned the room. The classroom was full of girls. Not a single guy. Were the other guys just not here yet? Or was he really the only guy in the class? He hadn't seen his dorm mate either, so he didn't know if that guy was in the same major or a different one. The girls inside had been chatting in small groups, but the moment Lin Fan walked in, the whole room went silent. Right after, a girl screamed, "Ah! So handsome!" But there weren't many girls that bold. A few screamed, but most whispered among themselves. "Wow, so handsome! Is he in our class too? No idea. Maybe he's in the wrong room? No. I'd trade 30 years of my mom's life if this handsome guy could be in our class. You're killing me with laughter. If I can be in the same class with this guy for 4 years, I'd die happy. Oh my God. He's walking toward me. No, he's clearly walking toward me. What do I do? What do I do?" Lin Fan glanced around. Except for the first and last rows, the rest of the seats were mostly taken. He didn't want to sit in the front and eat chalk dust, so he naturally walked to the last row. He walked past rows of girls and sat down at an empty window seat in the back row. Back row by the window, the homeland of kings. Before awakening his past life memories, his dream really was to become a famous manga artist. But now, his dream wasn't to just be a famous manga artist, it was to surpass the legacy of Prince Jing of Zhongshan. As for studying, just muddle through. Besides, so many famous manga from his past life didn't exist in this world. If he wanted to become famous, he could just borrow those works. Lin Fan sat down and turned his face toward the window, ignoring the girls in the classroom. When he entered earlier, he had scanned the room and hadn't seen a single girl with a beauty score over 90. The highest was only in the 80s. Sure, girls in the 80s were still beautiful, but for him, a boy, to take the initiative would seem too cheap. Of course, the main reason was that he was still in sage mode. Last night's trench warfare in the Delta Zone had too many kills, DPS was too high, he needed time to recover stamina and ammo. Girls under 90 in beauty score didn't attract him much. Lin Fan wanted some peace, but the girls in the class clearly didn't want to give him that. "Classmate, are you in manga class 1 too?" A girl came up to Lin Fan. Lin Fan turned to look. Beauty score 75, average to slightly above. "Yeah." Lin Fan responded flatly. Last night had been too good. Average-looking girls just didn't interest him right now. "Did you join the class group chat? Everyone in the class has to be in it. The counselor will post announcements there." Lin Fan was speechless. If he hadn't joined the group chat, how would he even know to come to class today? "I joined. Classmate, I didn't sleep well last night, can I have a bit of quiet time?" Okay, I won't bother you. Take a good rest." The girl wasn't offended at all by Lin Fan's cold attitude. She walked away smiling. In this world, most boys were proud by nature. Lin Fan's indifference wasn't anything unusual, girls were used to it. In fact, she was happy just to have talked to Lin Fan and confirmed that he was in the class group. Back at her seat, she took out her phone and started browsing the class group, trying to identify Lin Fan's account. After she left, Lin Fan finally got a bit of peace. At 7:58, a young woman who looked around 23 or 24 walked into the classroom. Lin Fan couldn't help but glance a few more times. Name, Xia Tian, summer, female, age 25, beauty score 89, height 5 feet 8.5 inches, sexual history, 0. Lin Fan had paid extra attention to her height because she looked really tall. With a barefoot height of 5 feet 8.5 inches, wearing shoes with thick soles would easily push her over 5 feet 11 inches. Xia Tian walked straight up to the podium, faced the students, and clapped her hands. Clap clap. "Hello students, welcome to the Wadayaku Royal Vocational College family. I'm Xia Tian, your counselor. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll be spending the next 4 years with you." She gave a slightly long-winded opening speech. "Next, everyone please come up one by one to introduce yourselves so we can get to know each other. Let's start with this side. I'm Zhang Jing. I'm Yang Jie. I'm Chen Pingping." The girls in the class went up in turn to introduce themselves. Some people simply introduced their name and where they were from. Some people's introductions were long, not only their names but also their hobbies, specialties, what awards they'd won, what certificates they held, and so on. But Lin Fan didn't remember a single one. Never mind all that messy information, he didn't even remember a few names. But he didn't really need to remember the names of his classmates, after all the system was there, and when he saw someone he'd know their name. If you meet often, of course you'll know the names. If you meet seldom? Then you don't need to remember. Lin Fan sat in the back row by the window, so he was the last one to go up. My name is Lin Fan. I hope in the next 4 years we can all get along well. Lin Fan said simply and returned to his seat. But the counselor obviously didn't intend to let him off so easily. Student Lin Fan is too modest. You may not know, but Lin Fan is this year's second highest score on the National College Entrance Exam. His score was only 2 points less than the national top scorer. If the extra 50-point bonus items are counted, you could say he far outran this year's top scorer. Student Lin Fan choosing our manga major and becoming our classmate is the luck of our entire manga class 1. Students, let us give a warm round of applause for Student Lin Fan. Counselor Xia Tian said, and started clapping. The girls in the class immediately followed Counselor Xia Tian and began clapping enthusiastically. Oh my! He's actually our great Xia Empire's second highest scorer this year. So handsome and so talented. I can't take this. If Lin Fan is willing, I can give him 10 children. 10? I'd be willing to give him 20 children. 20? Even if it's 100, I'd be willing to give them birth. I'll have 8 in one delivery. Thinking that we'll be in the same class as such an outstanding Lin Fan for the next 4 years, I'm about to start writing poetry. Although I totally understand you, you must control yourself. This is a classroom, not the dorm. Lin Fan was so embarrassed his feet were about to scratch out a living room and 2 bedrooms. Fortunately, the applause didn't last too long. Alright, everyone, next we need to elect a class president and a vice president, 2 class officers, to help the teacher handle class affairs. Is there anyone willing to volunteer? Xia Tian asked, looking at everyone below. Many eyes turned to Lin Fan. Many hoped Lin Fan would be class president, they wanted him to be in charge. If Lin Fan was willing, they not only hoped he would manage them in class but also off class too. Being managed by a guy as talented and handsome as Lin Fan was a dream for them. But Lin Fan just sat quietly, showing no intention to be class president. What a joke, class officers are the teacher's workhorses, especially the president and vice president. Whatever the teacher had to do, they'd have to do it. He didn't want progress, he just wanted to marry more wives, not become class officer. Lin Fan, you're the only male student in our class, you want to be our class president? Xia Tian smiled and asked Lin Fan. Counselor Xia Tian also hoped Lin Fan would be class president. If Lin Fan became class president, she'd have more legitimate reasons to approach him. Although she was several years older than Lin Fan, how many women could resist someone as outstanding as Lin Fan? Teacher, I need a lot of time to create art, I don't have time to be class officer. Lin Fan refused all the officer positions without hesitation. In that case, other students? Is there anyone who volunteers? Xia Tian looked disappointed and looked toward the girls in class. Counselor, I'll be class president. Counselor, I'll also be class president. 2 girls stood up successively. Lin Fan looked at the 2, one was the girl who had come over and chatted with him earlier. In that case, Chen Pingping, you'll be class president. Dong Xuexue, you'll be vice president. However, your roles are only interim, after the military training ends, all class officers will be re-elected. If you want to continue as president and vice president, during the training you must serve the class well and earn everyone's recognition. Counselor Xia Tian said, looking at the 2. Chen Pingping and Dong Xuexue both indicated they understood. Now, everyone line up and follow me to the playground. Next, the school will assign instructors to you. After that, your half-month military training begins officially. Counselor Xia Tian led everyone to playground number 2. On the way to the playground, it was all freshmen moving in that direction. Arriving at the playground, it was already packed with people. Soon, Lin Fan and the others under Counselor Xia Tian arrived at the spot for manga class 1. It wasn't yet 9 a.m., but the sun overhead was already strong. All stood in the sun for about 10 minutes, seemingly everyone had arrived. Only then did the school leaders begin speaking. On the podium there were many women, only 3 men, none in the center. Though the number of men in this world was small, the number of male leaders was even smaller. Men in this world were really slack. The school leader standing in the shade spoke for half an hour, while the students on the playground stood under the sun for half an hour. Sure enough, in any world, school leaders love talking nonsense whether they're men or women. Fortunately, after a bit more than half an hour, the speech ended. The chief instructor came up and spoke for 2 minutes, then started assigning each class their instructor. That made Lin Fan breathe a sigh of relief. Luckily, military men act quickly and decisively. After instructors were assigned, each class followed their instructor off the playground to a shaded area. It was peak summer, the hottest time. Temperatures reached 100-102 degree F, 3839 degrees C, as measured by the meteorological department. The sunburnt ground's temperature could exceed 140-158 degree F, 6070 degrees C. Having students stand constantly under the sun would risk total collapse on day 1. I'm Chen. For the next half-month I will be your instructor and train you into qualified warriors. I don't care what your identity is, whether you're a rich young lady, or your family has officials, or you're royal. To me it makes no difference. I don't care if you're ill or on your period. In the coming training I will treat you all equally. Anyone who tries to desert, I will punish with the strictest measures. After speaking, Chen Ying's eyes looked at Lin Fan, the outstanding male student, and she walked over to him. Student, if you feel tired or unwell at any time, you can tell me. I allow you to rest to the side. Chen Ying said gently to Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked back with a question mark. This is the equal treatment the instructor spoke of? So equal treatment means treating girls equally, but excluding boys? Well, the feeling of being part of a privileged group really is quite nice. The privileges in the military training were not only granted to Lin Fan alone, but to all the male students. In the formation next to theirs, from some other class, there were 3 male students, and they also got the same treatment as Lin Fan. If you were tired or felt unwell, you could tell the instructor and go rest in the shade. One of the guys, who weighed over 440 pounds, could no longer stand and immediately said he needed to rest. Their instructor agreed right away. Lin Fan wasn't so fussy. Military training only comes once in the entire student life. In his middle and high school he'd never done military training. In middle school or high school, girls' schools might have it, but boys' schools definitely didn't. How could boys handle that kind of hardship? But Lin Fan actually wanted to relive the military training life. Also he heard that the Royal Academy's military training had shooting practice, whereas in his past life, they didn't even touch a gun. Clearly, the seniors from the previous year each fired 5 bullets, but by his year the guns weren't even given. They were so pissed back then. This time during training, of course he couldn't slack off all the way, he still wanted to handle a gun. Also he happened to use the training to exercise, lose some weight. At 6 feet 0.5 inches, 1.84 meters, tall and weighing 194 pounds, 88 kilograms, his body fat rate was a bit high. If he could lower his body fat rate a bit, not too low, just from 25-26% down to 20%, even without the system, his attractiveness would probably improve a lot. Next to his class, not long into training, the other 2 male students also went to sit in the shade to rest. But Lin Fan kept going with the training. First was standing at attention and other basic drills, stand at attention, turn the body, relax, etc. After an hour. Stand at attention. Relax. Everyone rest for 10 minutes. If you need water, or to go to the bathroom, hurry up. After 10 minutes training continues. Hearing rest, many sprinted to the store and the bathroom. Several girls ran over to Lin Fan. Lin Fan, you're tired, right? Want me to massage your legs? Lin Fan, you must be thirsty, right? I'll buy you a drink. What do you want? Lin Fan, you hungry? Want me to buy something for you? 5 or 6 girls chattered around him. He felt this was more headache-inducing than the attention drills. Excuse me everyone, I'm going to the restroom. Lin Fan hurriedly used that as excuse to sneak away. He ran to Building C near the playground to use the bathroom. AC inside felt much cooler than outside. After exiting the bathroom, he went into the C Building convenience store and bought a bottle of iced cola. He opened it and took a sip, felt great. Just as he came out of Building C, 2 girls in training uniforms, who still looked good despite the uniform, walked up to Lin Fan. Handsome guy, can I add your WeChat friend? One girl smiled brightly. We're in the dance department, let's be friends and hang out when we have time. The other smiled at Lin Fan too. Lin Fan looked at the 2 girls in front of him. The bright smiling girl was Zhong Lei, beauty score 88. The other was Yang Xiaolu, beauty score 83. But what surprised Lin Fan was that Yang Xiaolu's sexual history wasn't 0, it was 2. That was a big deal. In the Great Xia Empire, male students before adulthood were pretty well protected. In elementary, middle, high school they were in boys' schools, dorm style. Girls couldn't just enter boys' schools. Boys had contact with same-age girls mostly only on holidays. And because the number of boys was so few, their character became more proud. Most boys wouldn't casually have relations with girls, especially ordinary girls. Only a small number of extremely passionate boys would casually be with girls of average condition. Yang Xiaolu's beauty score put her as a beautiful girl, but among beauties, her ranking was near the back. Yet at just 18, she had already had 2 boyfriends. Either her family was very rich, or she played around a lot. Although most boys were proud, there's the old saying, in a big forest you find all kinds of birds, so it is with boys too. There are always some who like to play. Lin Fan took out his phone and looked at Zhonglei. I'll skin you. Okay. Seeing Lin Fan agree to add a friend, Zhonglei was very excited and hurried to get her phone out. Yang Xiaolu immediately pulled out her phone too and opened her QR code. But Lin Fan only added Zhonglei's friend and did not add Yang Xiaolu's. On the table were freshly served meals everywhere. Why eat the leftovers from the next table? Handsome guy. I haven't added yet. Yang Xiaolu saw Lin Fan put away his phone and immediately panicked. She couldn't be forgotten now. Sorry classmate, you're just not my type. Lin Fan politely rejected her. 83 beauty score is actually quite good. If she had never dated anyone, he might not mind. But she had already dated 2, he didn't want to be the third wheel. After speaking, Lin Fan didn't care how she reacted, he grabbed his iced cola and left. They had only 10 minutes rest. He didn't have time to mess around with Yang Xiaolu. Yang Xiaolu opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. They both had come to get the handsome guy's WeChat, yet he only added Zhonglei's friend. What's up? Was she worse than Zhonglei? No. How was she worse than Zhonglei? Was she less pretty? Or less good figure? But she was older than Zhonglei by far. Yang Xiaolu couldn't even dream of realizing why she was rejected, because she had dated before. She and the handsome guy were meeting for the first time, he couldn't possibly know her past, right? Zhonglei and Yang Xiaolu returned to their formation. Immediately many people gathered around. How was it? Did you add him yet? I think you did. I saw you pull out your phone. Sis. Hurry and push the handsome guy's WeChat ID to us too. Good men must be shared. Human joys and sorrows don't connect. Zhonglei kept smiling. Yang Xiaolu grew darker in mood. She couldn't understand what she was missing. Lin Fan returned to the manga class 1 formation. As soon as he got back, a few girls from class surrounded him, including the class president and vice president. Lin Fan, why did you go buy water by yourself? We bought water for you. Chen Pingping held several different iced drinks. Lin Fan, we also bought some snacks, want some? Dong Shueshua held a bunch of snacks. No thanks, I'm not hungry yet. And leave the drinks for now, after I finish this I'll get some myself. He intended to use the training to lose weight, how could he eat snacks after only 1 hour of training? Wouldn't that be wasted effort? A white Alphard slowly drove up and parked not far from them. The front passenger door opened first, a pair of beautiful legs in white stockings and white sneakers appeared. Then a lively girl wearing a white pant skirt and a pink t-shirt stepped out of the car. Lin Fan. Si Ling? Lin Fan was a little surprised, Li Si Ling actually came. And she came in a Velfire nanny van, no, rather she rode in a Velfire nanny van. Lin Fan, is the military training tiring? Li Si Ling ran to Lin Fan, held his 2 hands. Although they hadn't seen each other for only 1 night, for Li Si Ling it felt like 3 autumns. After going back last night, she was so excited she couldn't sleep. Because between her and Lin Fan there was already substantial progress. It feels okay, the training has just started. But how come you came? I don't have time to accompany you today. I came because I feared you'd get tired, Lin Fan, so I specifically drove my nanny van over. If you're tired, you can rest in the car. There's air conditioning in the car, there's food and drink, plus a sofa and TV. You can rest well. Li Si Ling looked at Lin Fan with a face full of happiness. The girls in manga class 1, seeing the interaction between Lin Fan and Li Si Ling, felt as though the sky had fallen. Lin Fan actually already has a girlfriend? Doesn't that mean they cannot be Lin Fan's first woman anymore? Of course, after feeling the sky collapse, the girls quickly pulled themselves together again. Having a girlfriend means Lin Fan's orientation is normal. If a girl could be Lin Fan's girlfriend, then it means they also have a chance. If Lin Fan were like some guys and simply didn't like girls, that would be the most despairing. Beep. Chenning forcefully blew the whistle, assemble. Lin Fan turned back and looked, okay, we have to assemble. Si Ling, you go back to the car and rest. Once I've rested I'll come find you. Lin Fan, if you're too tired then ask the instructor for leave and rest, don't push yourself. Li Si Ling worryingly reminded. Got it. Lin Fan affectionately rubbed Li Si Ling's head, turned around and ran back to manga class 1's formation. Just as Lin Fan returned to the formation, instructor Chenning came up to him. Lin Fan, can you still hold on? If you're tired, you can fall out and rest, no problem. When the instructor trains everyone, her tone is very strict, harsh to say, like a she-devil. But when the person is Lin Fan, Chen Ying's tone becomes gentle like a kitten. Instructor, I can hold on. I also want to see my limit. Lin Fan stood up straight. He was a pure guy. How could he in military training, in such a project, possibly fall behind the girls in his class? Although boys in this world are like that, he after all isn't completely of this world, his soul comes from his past life. In his heart he has his own standards. Well done. But if you feel unwell you must say it. Once someone suffers heatstroke in this weather, it can be life-threatening. Chen Ying cautioned with care. I know, instructor. Lin Fan's insistence made the girls in the class admire him to no end. He could clearly enjoy special privileges, yet he insisted on training with everyone. In this era, you'd scarcely find a boy willing to suffer alongside girls. Meanwhile, several boys in nearby formations looked at Lin Fan's performance with disdain, thinking he was just showing off. He could rest but insists on sweating with those stinky girls, what a green tea male. However, though they disdain it, no boy came up to slap Lin Fan in the face. No need. No matter how much Lin Fan pretended, it didn't affect their own enjoyment of privileges. They could still rest, still be surrounded by simps. But if there were conflict of interest, then who knows? Lin Fan continued standing in the formation training. He has prior military training basis, training contents of the two worlds are almost the same, a bit of memory and no wrong moves exist. Yet what happened next caught Lin Fan somewhat unexpectedly. After Li Xiling, her sisters Li Xiyu, Li Xijin, Li Xixi and Li Xiyao, all four sisters, actually one by one drove their cars to Lin Fan's side. Li Xiyu, Li Xixi and Li Xiyao were still normal, each driving a nanny van. Li Xijin was over the top, drove in a 20 to 23 feet, 6-7 meter, RV. If large vehicles weren't banned from entering school, Lin Fan seriously suspected Li Xijin would have driven a truck-sized RV in. The five sisters gathered together. Xiling. You're too sly. You came secretly alone to find Lin Fan. Exactly, Xiling, you're too sly. You all still have nerve to say me? You also came. Li Xiling glared at her sisters. Xiling coming is one thing. Xijin, Xixi, Xiyao, you three, what's your deal? Weren't you unwilling at first? Li Xiyu looked at her younger sisters with a headache. When Mom arranged their blind dates with Lin Fan, though they all agreed, as eldest sister Li Xiyu saw that Xijin, Xixi, Xiyao three were unwilling. Because Lin Fan really didn't photograph well, the photos were much worse than real life. Fourth sister Xiling also said she'd wait to see him in person before deciding. So from the start Li Xiyu was thinking she'd marry Lin Fan herself, and the younger sisters could then pursue their own love. But now the younger sisters one by one became active. Humph, Li Xijin snorted without explanation. I get along well with him. Li Xixi, wearing headphones, whispered. Lin Fan is much better looking than the photo, and can play games she likes, they click. Lin Fan is so talented. Li Xiyao said earnestly. She loved the portrait Lin Fan gave her. And Lin Fan was handsome too, she had no reason to refuse such an excellent boy. In that case, then the five of us sisters will each go by our own ability. Let's see who Lin Fan chooses in the end. Li Xiyu placed her hands on her hips looking at the sisters. By our own ability then by our own ability. Li Xiling quietly stood by the side, saying nothing. Would she tell the sisters she already had substantial progress with Lin Fan? The girls in manga class 1 were stunned, and at the same time felt a pressure. One Xiling alone already gave them major pressure, though many didn't want to admit it. Xiling was indeed prettier than them. But being prettier, so what? Xiling occupies at most one spot, Lin Fan could still marry other women. But now 5 Xilings all appeared at once, now their pressure got big. 5 high beauty quintuplets are all Lin Fan's girlfriends, then does he still have energy to marry other women? Lin Fan might end up being drained into a dried husk by those 5 sisters. Several boys in nearby classes turned sour at this. A few pretty girls don't matter, they assume there are many women and many beauties. But such 5 ultra-beautiful sisters are hard to come by. Especially some boys from well-positioned families started dirty thoughts. They planned to investigate Lin Fan's identity. If Lin Fan is just an ordinary person, then these top-notch 5 sister beauties, they also want a piece. As they say, treasure appears, the one with virtue inherits. 12 o'clock. All right, the morning training ends here. We'll reconvene at 2 p.m. here in the afternoon. Dismissed. Chen Ying issued the command. Oh, it's finally over. Exhausted. Let's go eat, let's go eat. At the sound of dismissed, the group, which had already been wilting, instantly revived their energy. Lin Fan, do you want to go to the cafeteria to eat together? Class President Chen Pingping smiled and came to Lin Fan's side. The quintuplet sisters were indeed beautiful, but so what? Just because there are 5 doesn't mean Lin Fan can't marry more wives? As long as I don't give up, there's still a chance. No thanks, I'm going to go with my girlfriends. Lin Fan declined Chen Pingping's invitation. The class president's beauty score was only 75, not meeting his standard, and her name made him a bit off guard, always thinking of a certain chair-bound supervising dean. Fortunately, Chen Pingping didn't push it. Okay then, I'll go to the cafeteria with the other classmates. After dealing with Chen Pingping, the 5 sisters came up to his side. Just in time you came, let's go to the cafeteria together. Let's go to cafeteria number 2, cafeteria number 2's food is a little better than number 1. Li Siyu and the 5 sisters were all students at Wadaeku Royal Vocational Technical College, so of course they knew which cafeteria's food was tasty and which wasn't. Lin Fan had never eaten at cafeteria number 1, but eating at number 2 with the 5 sisters, the food indeed was good. 6 of them walking together in the cafeteria was a head-turning sight. The surrounding girls' gazes were drawn to Lin Fan, the boys' gazes were drawn to the 5 sisters. Quintuplets are rare enough, let alone 5 sisters whose beauty scores all exceed 90, even more rare. No matter how proud the boys in this world are, they simply cannot ignore them. Some of the boys had already started investigating the 5 sisters' information. If the quintuplets' family was very rich, then they wouldn't mind humbling themselves and in turn pursuing the 5 sisters. After all, rich women are few, and pretty rich women even fewer. Soon, via the campus forum, some people found the 5 sisters' information. Li Siyu and the 5 sisters' fame in the school was huge. Besides the fresh first-year students who arrived early, the sophomores, juniors and even higher grades almost all knew of the 5 sisters' existence. Even without seeing them in person, they must have heard the names or known of them. Thus in the campus forum, it was very easy to find information on the 5 sisters. Top 10 campus beauties of Wadaeku Royal Vocational Technical College. Class 61's most beautiful first-year students. Most beautiful sisters of Wadaeku Royal Vocational Technical College. Detailed info on the immortal sister flowers. In the school forum there were many posts about Li Siyu's 5 sisters. Just searching for 5 sisters, quintuplets, even without searching, entering the forum you could see the keywords 5 sisters, quintuplets in hot posts. Some boys attracted by the quintuplets clicked open those posts. Eldest Li Siyu, photo, class 61 administration class 1, height about 5'5". Second Li Sijin, photo, class 61 law class 1, height about 5'5". Third Li Sishi, photo, class 61 history class 1, height about 5'5". Fourth Li Siling, photo, class 61 music class 1, height about 5'5". Fifth Li Xiao, photo, class 61 painting class 1, height about 5'5". My god, looking at the photos, the 5 sisters' personalities are so different. The Li family's 5 sisters inherently have different personalities. Indeed, Li Siyu is straightforward, Li Sijin is proud, Li Sishi is a game otaku, Li Siling is lively, Li Xiao is quiet. Oh my god. If you married the 5 sisters, wouldn't that mean 5 times the happiness? Setting my sights on the Li family sisters. Wang Jiang, say it. No one else dare compete with me. Wang Jiang? Son of the richest man? Damn. How can you win that? Brother, the Li family sisters are not something ordinary boys like us can obtain. Just marrying multiple class beauties to make up for ourselves. LOL, the Li family sisters are still single. Wang Jiang also failed. Wang Jiang failed, doesn't that mean I have a chance? The richest man's son failed, and you still think you have a chance? Wang Jiang isn't even handsome, the Li sisters already have plenty of money, why bother with Wang Jiang? And I'm much better looking than him. Could it be the Li family sisters are chosen by some royal member? Is it possible the Li family sisters themselves are royal members? There was indeed a lot of information about the 5 sisters on the school network. Although no concrete proof, posts basically concluded that the 5 sisters were members of the royal family. Just don't know which prince's daughters they are. Having found the 5 sisters' information, the freshmen attracted by the 5 sisters instantly became even more excited. Members of the royal family. If you married any one of the 5 sisters, you'd instantly transform into nobility. Although only in name and no real power, it still can bring huge benefits. As for not being as handsome as Lin Fan? So what? The 5 sisters could not possibly all marry the same person, there hadn't been such precedent for decades. The 5 sisters represent 5 spots, why can't one be theirs? Besides, even if the 5 sisters all chase Lin Fan, as long as they're not married yet, the 5 sisters are still single. That means there are still 5 spots up for grabs. Some guys were already troubled that they'd have to compete with Lin Fan for the wives. If the 5 sisters are royal, then the special outsider tactics they were planning become less usable. Not that they feared Lin Fan, they feared being exposed by the royal family. If Lin Fan got kicked out, they themselves wouldn't be in a good spot either. That would not fit their original plan. If the 5 sisters are royal, then like Lin Fan they can't all have wives among them, he can occupy one, then there are 4 others to choose. Enough. Lin Fan didn't yet know, on just the first day of school, he already gained many competitors who would try to snatch his wives. However, he definitely wasn't going to let go of any one of the 5 sisters. Although according to Prince Yan's directive, only one daughter could marry him, but the 5 sisters all share the face. Even if the 5 sisters each have their own personality, they're different individuals, but to him, the 5 sisters are one unit, the other 4 sisters belong to him, and can only belong to him. He hasn't figured out how yet, but with the system he believes he will come up with a plan, early or late, to secure all 5 sisters at once. At 2 p.m., military training continued. At around 5 p.m., Lin Fan's class and the next class both stopped to rest. A male student from the next class suddenly said, "Sitting around resting is too boring, how about we perform something?" That suggestion immediately got unanimous agreement from the girls in the next class. That male student stepped forward without hesitation. "The song I will now perform is my own composition, titled Tumor. I hope everyone likes it." After that boy made his entrance, he just stood there on the spot and began, wailing. He howled, then simply sat down on the ground and kept wailing. Seeing that scene, Lin Fan felt a wave of dead memories suddenly hit him. This world really has a mage? But he doesn't even look like one. Or maybe the guy singing over there is also a time traveler. And moreover, the mage himself in disguise? Okay, sang so well. Not only the girls in the class next door were applauding, even many girls in Lin Fan's class were clapping and cheering. Lin Fan was stunned. In another world, there are still so many people who think shamanic dancing is pleasant to hear? Is it art? Am I crazy, or is this world crazy? Lin Fan turned his head and looked at a girl behind him who was applauding. "Lina, do you really think he sang well?" Lin Fan looked at her curiously. Seeing Lin Fan turn around and talk to her, and even say her name, Lina was first stunned, then visibly became excited. "Lin Fan, you remember my name?" Lina was plain looking, average build. From childhood to now her only slightly good thing was some better grades, still just ordinary compared to those really good ones. So Lina had been quite insecure most of the time. She had known early on that in this lifetime she probably wouldn't get married. So even though there was a super handsome guy like Lin Fan in the class, she didn't approach him, not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't dare. Lin Fan was too dazzling, she didn't have the courage or bravery to approach. Even during military training when she stood behind Lin Fan, she didn't have the courage to speak to him. She was just invisible. She never thought that a dazzling guy like Lin Fan could remember someone as ordinary as her's name. I'm just someone who is pretty good at remembering people's names," Lin Fan said casually. With the system, no matter who stood in front of him, he could know the other person's identity information, no need to remember. "You haven't told me yet, do you really think he sang well?" Lin Fan asked again curiously. Well, Lina hesitated, she didn't know whether she should say yes. After all, Lin Fan was a boy. She also didn't know what exactly Lin Fan meant by asking. Was it simply that the guy didn't sing well, or seeing that guy sing and thinking that she herself on stage could also get everyone's cheers and applause? "Lina, please tell me your real thoughts, this is important to me." Lin Fan looked at her and said. Lina's face turned red with excitement. Lin Fan actually said, "Please," to her. And looked at her that gently. Lina hurriedly moved her gaze away, not daring to continue looking at Lin Fan. "Actually, I also think it didn't sound good. But the other guy is a boy, able to step forward and sing for everyone is already hard, we can't bring him down. If he's recorded by some boys and then posted online, we'd be cyberbullied. Others probably think the same as me." Lina whispered as she explained. "Other boys would get cyberbullied because of that, you guys?" Lin Fan was amazed. Other boys aren't afraid that the whole music scene would be filled with this kind of singer and eventually pollute their ears? "No, it's that they'd be cyberbullied by some girls," Lina said, and at this point she was speechless. Too many simp fans around, ordinary people can only dodge their sharp edges. Lin Fan was speechless too. So it's the fans making trouble after all. That's exactly it. The girl next to Lina nodded repeatedly. Suddenly, around them the sound of enthusiastic applause and cheers rang out again. That boy had finished singing. Hey, Lin Fan, do you want to go up and sing one too? Lin Fan, your voice is so nice, when you go up and sing you'll definitely sound better than that guy, the vice class leader Dong Shueshue suddenly suggested. Yeah, Lin Fan, you come sing one too. Chen Pingping also quickly chimed in. Several other girls around, hearing that, also began to join in the cheering. The boy in the other class looked average in looks, and his singing was so bad, the key point is they couldn't say that. If Lin Fan could sing a song for them, their eyes and ears would be cleansed. Okay, then I'll do one too. Lin Fan thought for a moment, mouth lifting, then stood up. He didn't actually sing badly. Yesterday, when playing Escape Room, NPC bride Li Yunwan gave him a jade card, and the system also rewarded him a Heaven King level singing voice. If he didn't show off a bit now, it'd be ungrateful to the system reward. Li Siyu and 5 sisters were all staying in Li Sijin's RV. When the boy from the other class was singing, they also opened the window to listen, and after a few seconds quickly closed the window. But Li Xiling had been looking through the window at Lin Fan outside. In his military training uniform, sitting on the ground resting, Lin Fan still looked so handsome. Lin Fan is going to sing too. Seeing Lin Fan stand up and come to the open space in front of everyone, Li Xiling's eyes lit up, she immediately opened the car window again. Lin Fan is going to sing? Really? The others hurried to the window too, leaning out to look. Lin Fan stood in front of the girls of his class, raised his right hand, stuck out his pinky and dug his ear. The student just now sang a song he wrote himself. Although he sang very passionately, I felt my ears got kind of hurt. I'll sing a song I wrote myself too, help everyone purify their ears. Lin Fan said without courtesy, dissing the song that boy just sang. He really felt his ears had been polluted. That guy at least had tune and rhythm, this tumor just randomly howled. He dared say, if that boy sang the same song again, he himself wouldn't be able to sing it identically either. So handsome. Male God, I love you. Male God, go for it. Before Lin Fan even started singing, the girls from several classes around had begun cheering. That boy from earlier was only not ugly, but Lin Fan was truly handsome. Any girl knew how to choose. Moreover, there were many girls who shared Li Na's thoughts. Taking advantage of the girls' applause and cheers, Lin Fan thought in his mind what song to sing. Suddenly, a streak of purple flashed in his mind, and then a song popped into his head. The song I wrote is called Excessive Explanation. With no instruments or background music, Lin Fan had to choose a cappella like that boy. At that time our relationship had some problems. But I also wasn't too clear where the problem arose. If you speak without expression, then few words have meaning. Just let me beg you, give me some explanation. Also all a cappella, but whether lyrics or melody, Lin Fan's excessive explanation was countless times stronger than that boy's tumor. Plus Lin Fan's Heaven King level singing, in a moment he brought the girls in the venue into the mood. She's just my younger sister. My sister says purple has a lot of charm. She's just my younger sister. As for this explanation, you don't care. I wasn't mentally prepared. Seeing that beside you there's also someone. I don't know who he is. Listening to Lin Fan sing, many girls were drawn into the world described by the song, and they all felt the meaning the song wanted to express. Boo-hoo, how can a woman bear to hurt her brother? Unforgivable. If brother is willing to date me, I'd be willing to pull my heart out, I would absolutely not betray brother. To actually two-time him, that woman is simply nothing. Bastard. He's making us girls lose face. The handsome guy is too pitiful. Never thought brother so handsome, still got hurt. Damn. Who is that woman? Absolutely unforgivable. So, brother likes purple? Inside the RV, Li Siyao's expression was very complicated. Because, the dress she's wearing today is a purple dress. Is it a coincidence? Or, this song Lin Fan sang was created especially for her? If it was truly created for her, then Lin Fan's musical talent is too high. In such a short time, he composed such an excellent song. As for the story written in the song, she believed it was very likely that Lin Fan made it up. Firstly, she isn't Lin Fan's younger sister, and she wasn't asked by Lin Fan to go out shopping for a scarf. It's still midsummer, winter is still far away. And Lin Fan studies manga major, his future dream is to become an excellent manga artist. Besides being able to draw manga, a manga artist must have ability to make up stories. She felt the story in Lin Fan's song was made very well. Li Siyao suddenly discovered all 4 older sisters were looking at her with strange expressions. What are you all looking at me for? Li Siyao shrank back a little. She felt the 4 older sisters seemed like they were going to eat her. Spill it honestly, you brat, are you hiding something from us? Yes. Hurry up and confess. Lin Fan actually wrote a song just for you, he didn't write one for me. Have you two already slept together? Li Shi made a circle with her left index finger and thumb, placed her right index finger inside. No, no. What are you saying? Li Xiao's face flushed instantly. The last time they went out on a date, they only went out for field research and then ate a meal. There was absolutely no crossing the line. Impossible. If you two have nothing going on, then why did Lin Fan only write a song for you and not for us? Li Xiu looped her right arm around Li Xiao's neck and held her tightly in her arms. I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence, Li Xiao hurriedly said. She actually also wanted to know whether the song that Lin Fan sang was indeed composed because of her. If not, then that really is too much of a coincidence. If the song was adapted from Lin Fan's own real experience, then Lin Fan is too pitiful. That woman is also too damn. The five sisters were messing around in the car. Lin Fan's song had already finished. The surrounding immediately erupted in enthusiastic applause. Sang so well. Lin Fan, I love you. Lin Fan. Forget that bad woman. I'm willing to be your girlfriend. And will absolutely not betray you. I'm willing too. Lin Fan. I'm going to bear your children. 100 of them. Many people, taking advantage of everyone shouting, said things they usually didn't dare to say. Originally people from other squads didn't know Lin Fan's name, either calling him Brother Lin Fan or calling him Handsome Guy. But as the girls from the manga class shouted out Lin Fan's name, gradually at the scene only the name Lin Fan remained. Lin Fan. Lin Fan. Lin Fan. Lin Fan. The scene became like a stars concert. Even the instructors started shouting along. The instructors are also girls just over 20 years old. How could they resist this sky-high attraction? Of course, only the few nearby classes were shouting Lin Fan's name. Classes further away had no idea what was happening here, they only knew someone over here was loudly shouting the name Lin Fan. Lin Fan stood in the open space in the middle, both hands pressed downward. Only then did the calling voice gradually stop. From everyone's look, you should like the song I created. Very happy, my song can be liked by everyone. In the future if there's a chance, I will also bring more works to you all. Also hope you all will continue to support, Lin Fan said with a smile. Lin Fan. We will definitely support you. Lin Fan. We love you. Lin Fan. From today onward, you are my faith. My God. Lin Fan stepped down, the girls at the scene still could not calm down, their gazes continued to follow Lin Fan. They didn't expect that among the freshmen in their year, there was actually a treasure boy like Lin Fan. So handsome, and so talented. Other boys don't even need to live. In fact, the other boys at the scene indeed felt quite unhappy. Lin Fan's spotlight was just too big. But they also couldn't do anything, not to mention creating songs, just singing, their level couldn't compare to Lin Fan. Even that boy who just sang, Tumor, knew his own limits. He was absolutely not Lin Fan's opponent. However, he wouldn't because of that be beaten down irrecoverably. In the entertainment world the male stars who understand know this, you don't really need two good works, as long as you're willing to please women it's enough. As long as you're not ugly, then do some makeup, publicly stand alongside women, speak good words for women, please women, you'll get heaps of female diehard fans. Then, earning money is as simple as drinking water. After Lin Fan went down, one by one girls stood up to show themselves. They hoped by showing their talent and appearance and figure, to let Lin Fan remember them. Their ultimate goal was to add Lin Fan as a friend, and eventually become Lin Fan's woman. Because of Lin Fan's performance, this show continued until the training ended. Many girls stepped forward wanting to add Lin Fan's friend, but were all rejected by Lin Fan. The five sisters came over, took Lin Fan out to eat something good. They were going to examine Lin Fan properly, exactly what other skills he has that they don't know yet. A manga major student who can sing is normal, anyone can sing a bit, but singing this well, and writing songs still too exaggerated. Of course the most key point is, Lin Fan wrote such a great song for the little sister, but didn't write one for them, they were jealous. As soon as Lin Fan followed the five sisters to leave school, his singing video was uploaded to the campus network of Wadayaku Royal Vocational and Technical College. Military training reveals a treasure boy who writes and sings. He is my God. Lin Fan's a cappella video was uploaded to the campus network and quickly went viral. During the afternoon's military training, many people were already curious about what had happened. Someone had recorded the events from the afternoon and uploaded them to the school's online forum. Once people heard about it, of course they had to check it out. Lin Fan wasn't very photogenic. When he appeared on camera, his attractiveness dropped by 5 or 6 points. His usual score of 85 would drop below 80. That's why, when he had the arranged meeting with the five sisters, they weren't very willing after just seeing his photo. Only when they saw him in person did they realize he was a real heartthrob. Now, Lin Fan's appearance rating had increased to 89. Even if the camera reduced it a bit, it was still over 80. He was still handsome. Just downgraded from super hot to pretty cute. Of course, that was under normal circumstances. But the girl who filmed Lin Fan singing had beauty filters turned on by default on her phone, so instead of lowering his appearance, it actually boosted it a bit. His attractiveness broke through 90, turning him into a super hot guy. That meant a lot of girls were instantly drawn in just by his face when they opened the video. Then when they heard his voice, they immediately got lost in his singing. You could say it started with his looks, but they fell for his talent. I'm so happy. I never imagined I'd be in the same department as such a handsome and talented god. I've decided. From today on, I'm Lin Fan's #1 diehard fan. I'll never betray him. Bullshit. I'm the real #1 fan of Lin Fan. I am. You bitch. You're the bitch. Your whole family are bitches. Stop fighting, we're all girls who love Lin Fan. We should stick together and support him. We can't let outsiders laugh at us. Exactly. I'm in Lin Fan's class, and I've created a fan group. All Lin Fan lovers, join in. At this moment, Lin Fan had no idea that by singing just one song, he already had a fan club. Right now, he was sitting in a private room at a restaurant, surrounded by the 5 sisters. Lin Fan .. That song you sang this afternoon, did you write it for Si Yao? Li Siyu clung tightly to Lin Fan's arm, sitting beside him. Kind of, Si Yao gave me the inspiration, Lin Fan nodded. Back then, he had been wondering what song to choose, and suddenly an image of Li Xiao flashed through his mind. She was wearing a purple dress today, it really was charming. Just that one image brought to his mind the lyrics, "My little sister says purple has a lot of charm." Naturally, he chose the song "Excessive Explanation" from his previous life. Turns out, a classic song from his past life could still be a hit in this world. When Li Xiao heard Lin Fan admit it, her face immediately turned red, and her eyes sparkled with happiness. Even though she was a royal, this was the first time someone had ever written a song for her. And it was such a beautiful one. Even if it was just a cappella, with no background music, it didn't affect the song's quality at all. I want a song from you too, Lin Fan .. Li Xiling sat on his other side, shaking his arm and acting cute. She was seriously jealous of her 5th sister. Last time when Si Yao went on a date with Lin Fan, he gave her a portrait he drew. When Si Yao brought the portrait back, all the older sisters were super jealous. Of all the sisters who dated Lin Fan, only Si Yao got a gift. Sure, it was an exchange of artwork, but it was still a gift. And it wasn't just any gift, it was a hand-drawn portrait by Lin Fan, not something randomly bought in a store. Way more meaningful. And now, Lin Fan had written a song just for Si Yao. It was enough to make the other 4 sisters die of jealousy. You have to know, even though she had made the most real progress with Lin Fan, she hadn't received any gift from him yet. But writing songs takes inspiration .. Lin Fan made an excuse. Back in his last life, he was a karaoke addict who remembered tons of songs. After crossing over, his brain worked even better, so he remembered pretty much every song he used to sing. But if he had to pick a song for Li Xiling now, he honestly didn't know which one to choose. And once he agreed to Xiling, he'd have to prepare 4 songs. He couldn't give one to Xiling but not to Siyu, Si Jin, and Si Shi, right? That would be favoritism, and that's no good. I can wait. Li Xiling quickly said. She also understood that good songs weren't that easy to make. As long as Lin Fan was willing to write one for her, that was enough. She didn't care about waiting a bit. So, you all want one too? Lin Fan looked at the other 3. Yes. Li Siyu nodded immediately. If the song was garbage, of course they wouldn't care. But Lin Fan clearly created high-quality songs, and he also sang so well. What girl could resist such a personal gift? Even if someone gave them a house, they wouldn't trade for it. Then give me some time. Once the songs are ready, I'll sing them for you. Lin Fan looked at them and made a promise. If you dare go back on your word, humph. Do I look like someone who'd go back on my word? No, definitely not. Li Siyu shook her head right away. Meanwhile, Lin Fan's singing video was getting hotter by the minute. Some people were sharing it to their friend groups, others to their Douyin accounts. Even people in the entertainment industry were starting to notice Lin Fan. So handsome, writing great songs, and with such a great voice. A naturally gifted singer like him, if he didn't enter showbiz, that would be a huge waste. With some packaging, Lin Fan had the potential to become the top idol singer in the country. Some entertainment companies made quick decisions to do a background check on Lin Fan and started planning how to contact him and try to sign him. A top-tier male idol can bring in insane revenue. If he becomes a top idol singer, he could easily generate tens of billions of yuan per year. Any boss with some vision wouldn't let Lin Fan slip by so easily. At 7 p.m., military training would continue, so Lin Fan and the others didn't wander around. After dinner and a short break, they headed back to the training ground. Before they even arrived, they saw a huge crowd gathered on the field. As they got closer, they saw someone had arranged a giant heart shape on the ground using a bunch of candles. In the middle of the candle stood a very beautiful young girl. Lin Fan was still wondering who had set all this up. Suddenly, someone next to him shouted, "Lin Fan Ge is here." Right after that, the crowd around him parted, leaving him face to face with the girl. "Lin Fan. I like you," the girl shouted, dropping to one knee in front of him. Lin Fan was stunned. The drama he had been watching suddenly involved him. He checked the girl's info. Name, Wang Xidian. Gender, female. Looks, 91. Facial bone structure, 94. Figure, 87. Height, 61 in. Weight 95 pounds. Measurements, 28-24-32 in. Sexual history, 0. Wang Xidian? If her last name were Li, she might have been another royal family member. But since it was Wang, she probably had nothing to do with royalty. Xidian, does she have a sibling named Iku? Remember bitterness as a pun on her name, sweetness. Her face score was indeed high, on par with Li Xiyu and her sisters. But her figure. First, she was short, only 5 feet 1 inch, the petite kind typical in southern regions. Also, she was flat-chested. Of course, Lin Fan didn't mind short girls. As long as they were good-looking, petite girls could be very cute too. Lin Fan walked up to Wang Xidian and looked at her kneeling on one knee, holding a huge bouquet of roses folded from 100 yuan bills. Wang Xidian, kneeling, stared at Lin Fan with eager eyes. So handsome, such strong singing skills, and the ability to create amazing songs. He was her dream idol. She wanted to win over Lin Fan. She wanted to turn Lin Fan into the most popular idol in the world. She wanted the whole world to go crazy for him. Yes, Wang Xidian was a diehard fan of Lin Fan, and a powerful one too. "Classmate, what's your name?" Lin Fan asked, looking down at her. He didn't help her up. In this world, girls kneeling to confess love was a common thing. Lin Fan had no intention of changing the rules. He was just an ordinary guy, a selfish one. He wouldn't do things that didn't benefit him. "I'm Wang Xidian. A freshman in Business Management Class 1. Lin Fan, I saw your singing video online and was completely captivated by your charm and your voice. Lin Fan, be my boyfriend. Starlight Entertainment is owned by my family. If you become my boyfriend, I'll have my mom sign you to the top SSS tier artist contract. I'll make you the top star in the country, or even the world." Wang Xidian said loudly. Outstanding guys were too hard to chase. She worried Lin Fan might not agree just based on her looks. So she laid her cards on the table. An SSS tier artist contract offered a guaranteed yearly income of $7 million, plus 70% cut of all commercial projects. Even in Starlight Entertainment, only a handful of people had that kind of contract. But Wang Xidian liked Lin Fan, and was his diehard fan. She was confident she could convince her mom to give him that treatment. The crowd around them was shocked. Starlight Entertainment was hers? Everyone knew that was the biggest and most famous entertainment company in the country. A bunch of top singers, actors, and idols were all signed with them. And now, Wang Xidian was willing to offer Lin Fan their SSS tier contract just to date him? That was so unfair. How could normal girls with average family backgrounds even compete now? Lin Fan, of course, was aware of how powerful Starlight Entertainment was. "Wang Xidian, I'm willing to try dating you, but as for the artist contract, forget it. I don't like being restricted. I prefer more freedom," Lin Fan said with a smile. The SSS contract sounded nice, but in the end, he'd still be a salaried worker. Being under contract meant all kinds of restrictions and rules. He'd have to follow the company's arrangements. But his head was full of hit works from his past life. Becoming popular wouldn't be hard at all. He could easily reproduce hit songs, comics, movies, and TV shows from his past life. Not to mention, he had a system. Who knows when it might reward him with something extremely profitable. Even without all that, just improving his looks alone could earn him endless wealth. Women made money, he married them, and their money became his. Wasn't that way easier than being an artist? Wang Xidian jumped to her feet in excitement. "Lin Fan, you're really willing to date me?" "Of course. You're so beautiful, of course I'm willing to give it a try. If our personalities match, marriage isn't out of the question." Lin Fan smiled and took the rose bouquet made of 100 yuan notes from her hands. Ding! Received gift from Wang Xidian, cashback bonus triggered, reward, Looks card times 1. Lin Fan smiled even wider. Another looks card. Once he used it, his looks would surpass 90. Lin Fan. You really want to marry me? Wang Xidian felt like happiness had struck out of nowhere. Just dating Lin Fan already made her super happy. But now he was even talking about marriage. She would literally give up 10 years of her life to marry her dream guy. If our personalities match, of course I'm willing, Lin Fan nodded firmly. He aimed to surpass even Prince Jing of Zhongshan. He didn't have many women around yet, so of course he wanted to meet more beauties. I'm just too happy. Tears of joy streamed down Wang Xitian's face. Being able to date Lin Fan, maybe even marry him, it was the happiest thing ever. But she still hoped Lin Fan would become the most popular star in the country, or the world. Lin Fan. I still want to give you the SSS contract. Your singing is amazing, and your talent is incredible. Not entering the entertainment industry would be a loss for the whole country, no, for the whole world. If you don't like being restricted, I'll have my mom rewrite the contract. No, I'll have her customize a special one just for you. It won't restrict you or force you to do anything you don't like. You just create however you want. The company will promote your work, spread your songs everywhere, so everyone can hear them. Lin Fan. I believe that in just a few years, you'll become the most popular singer in the country. Wang Xidian said, eyes full of determination. Yeah, I believe that too, Lin Fan smiled and nodded. As long as he put in a little effort and reproduced one album a year, he could be the next Jay Chou. Lin Fan glanced at his watch. It's almost time for training. Wang Xidian, better clean this stuff up quickly. Otherwise, the drill instructor might yell at you later. Okay. I'll handle it right now. Wang Xidian nodded quickly. Then she hesitated. Lin Fan. What is it? Ganyu. Wang Xidian asked with a red face. She felt like she was pushing it. She had just confessed and now she was making such a bold request. But she really wanted to hug Lin Fan. Lin Fan didn't say anything. He stepped up, opened his arms, and hugged her. Then he gently kissed her forehead. You're my girlfriend now. Of course it's okay to hug you. I really want to be hugged by Lin Fan too. Who doesn't? But sadly, none of us have a mom who runs an entertainment company. If it weren't illegal, I'd be hiding out to ambush Lin Fan Ge at night. Anyone know which dorm room Lin Fan Ge stays in? I want to steal his underwear. Hey, seriously? That's illegal. You don't even dare go to jail, and you say you like Lin Fan Ge? If I could get my hands on his underwear, I wouldn't care if I had to go to jail. Exactly. If I could sleep with Lin Fan Ge just once, 3 years in prison is worth it. Even the death penalty's no loss. Lin Fan, hugging Wang Xidian, had no idea that some obsessive and mentally disturbed fans were already surrounding him. Some were thinking about staking out his dorm to sneak in and steal his underwear. Others were already fantasizing about luring him out alone, getting him drunk, and dragging him to a hotel. As long as they could kiss him, who cared about jail? After hugging for a short while, Lin Fan took the initiative to let go of Wang Xidian. They exchanged contact info, and then Lin Fan walked away carrying the bouquet made of 100 yuan bills, heading to Class 1's military training assembly point. The 5 Li sisters followed closely behind him. Lin Fan, I want a hug too. Li Xiling leaned in, wrapping both arms around his. She had said she didn't mind Lin Fan having other girls, but actually doing it was much harder than saying it. Just like ancient emperors. Even though they had 3 palaces and 72 concubines, the women in the harem still fought for favor, sometimes even to the point of death. She wouldn't act out just to fight for attention, but she didn't want Lin Fan's love for her to decrease because of other women either. Sure, come here. Lin Fan pulled Li Xiling into his arms and even tasted the flavor of her lipstick. Li Xiyu, Li Xinjun, Li Sixi, and Li Xiang all stared in shock. Wait a minute, how far had 4th sis/4th girl gone with Lin Fan? Hugging was one thing, but now kissing too? Did this mean Lin Fan had already made his choice? Lin Fan let go of Li Xiling, then smiled at the other sisters. Do you girls want a hug too? I don't want it. Li Xijin swallowed nervously. Of course I do. And I want a kiss too. Big sis Li Xiyu nodded decisively. Li Sixi stayed silent. Li Xiang looked conflicted, but then also nodded. I want one too. She didn't know how far her 4th sister had gone with Lin Fan, nor whether he had chosen her already. But she felt she had truly fallen in love with him. Back when Lin Fan gave her that sketch, her heart was already stirred. And today, he had even written a song just for her. She felt like there was no more space in her heart for anyone else. No matter how far 4th sister had gone with Lin Fan, as long as they weren't engaged or married, she still had a chance. Forget hugging and kissing, if Lin Fan wanted, she'd even sleep with him. At worst, she'd stay single forever after. Her heart couldn't fit another man anyway. Lin Fan was very satisfied with the four sisters' answers. Only second sis Lizigen and third sis Lisixi didn't respond, but big sis and little sis had both said yes. That meant he was getting closer to marrying all five sisters at once. He hugged Li Siyu and Liziang one by one and also tasted each of their lipstick flavors. Li Siyu was smiling brightly, while Liziang was blushing hard. But Lizigen's gaze showed clear dissatisfaction. Lisixi was wearing headphones and playing a game, so who knew what she was thinking? Assembly point. Before long, Instructor Chinning arrived. Line up? Lin Fan was still with the five sisters. You girls go back now, no need to stay here with me. Once night training ends, I'll just go straight back to the dorm and rest. Lin Fan, don't worry about us, we're fine. Yeah, go do your thing. Seeing the sisters wouldn't listen, Lin Fan gave up. He was just afraid they'd get bored, but since they didn't mind, then whatever. That night's military training was still the basics. At 9 p.m., night training ended. The five sisters walked Lin Fan to the dorm entrance and only left after watching him go inside. Lin Fan took the elevator to the 9th floor and walked to room 909. After registration yesterday, he had only come by once, then stayed out all night. He hadn't been back at all during the day. Up till now, he hadn't even seen his roommate. He could confirm they weren't from the same class, his class only had one boy, him. Lin Fan took out his room key and opened the door. No one inside. His roommate still hadn't returned. Lin Fan noticed the dorm room had changed a lot since he last saw it that morning. His roommate's side of the room had been completely transformed. The wall by the bed was covered in posters of anime girls. The shelf above the desk was filled with all kinds of anime figurines. Even the keyboard and mouse were sitting on a giant anime-themed mousepad. This roommate was a hardcore otaku. Well, as long as he's not into guys, it's fine. Lin Fan had liked anime in his past life too. He figured they'd probably get along fine and not have any serious issues. He opened the closet to grab clothes for a shower, but seeing the empty cabinet, he remembered, he hadn't brought anything. The school had provided uniforms, towels, toothbrushes, bed sheets, and other essentials. But not underwear. He had 2 sets of uniforms, so he could change those. But underwear? No spares. Luckily the campus convenience store was still open, he could still go buy some. Just as he turned to head out, the door opened from the outside, and a guy slightly shorter and a bit chubby walked in. The moment the guy saw Lin Fan, he froze. Holy crap! You're Lin Fan? Zhang Wei stared in shock. Both beds had name labels, so he knew his roommate's name. He just hadn't expected his roommate to be a total heartthrob, like a main character straight out of an anime. It made him feel a ton of pressure. He wasn't even that interested in 3D girls, he preferred 2D waifus. But in real life, if he ever had the chance to meet a hot girl, of course he'd want to try something. But now, with a roommate this handsome, if they ever went out together, he'd just be the ugly sidekick. Yep, I'm Lin Fan. We're roommates now. I'm going to the store, need me to grab anything for you? Great Xiao Royal Petroleum Headquarters Building, Chairman's Office. Prince Yen sat on a plush executive chair, her back facing a large Wang Wallywood desk, looking out through the floor-to-ceiling windows at the night view. Behind her, a middle-aged woman was reporting the progress between her daughters and Lin Fan. Your Highness, the 5 young ladies spent the whole day at school with Lin Fan. The eldest, the 4th, and the 5th young ladies have had physical contact with Lin Fan. Lin Fan composed and sang a song, which caused quite a stir on campus. Wang Lin's youngest daughter, Wang Xitian, publicly confessed her love to Lin Fan and was accepted. They are now in a relationship and have also had physical contact. The woman reported everything about Lin Fan and the 5 daughters of the Yen Palace to Li Yunyao. What Lin Fan had said before was right, Prince Yen indeed had people watching over the 5 sisters. These people were not only responsible for protecting them but also for documenting the progress of their relationship with Lin Fan. Even Lin Fan himself had people around him placed by Prince Yen. Got it, Li Yunyao replied lazily, and said no more. The middle-aged woman hesitated for a moment, then asked, Your Highness, shouldn't we stop the young ladies? Lin Fan is indeed very talented and good-looking. If this continues, I'm afraid, all the young ladies will fall for him. She was Prince Yan's personal aide and secretary general. She had been with Li Yunyao even before she got married, and had watched the 5 sisters grow up. If it were a normal family, it wouldn't matter if all 5 fell in love with the same man. But they were royalty. There was no written rule, but among royals, princesses sharing one husband had become a silent taboo over the past decades. If all 5 truly fell for the same man, it was unlikely to end happily. It's fine. Let them be, Li Yunyao said calmly. She had told her daughters that at least one of them must marry Lin Fan, but never said only one could. If all 5 loved Lin Fan, then fine, let them all marry him. As for pressure from the royal family or public, she, Prince Yen, would bear it herself. After all, these 5 daughters were her only treasures. Wasn't it her duty to spoil them? As for why Lin Fan? Li Yunyao looked at the neon lights outside and fell silent. That was a secret known only to the Empress and the 7 princes. The rest, including other royals, knew nothing. Lin Fan returned with a pack of sealed pure cotton underwear. Tomorrow at noon, he planned to visit the mall outside school and buy new clothes. He was too lazy to go home and pack. And he wasn't short on money anyway. He had over 300,000 yuan in savings, plus the 5 million yuan limit credit card Li Xijin had given him. So much money, he couldn't even spend it all. Back in the dorm, Lin Fan saw Zhang Wei sitting on the sofa watching anime on the TV, with the coffee table in front of him covered in snacks. Spicy strips, chips, ice cream, duck necks, and even cold beer. You're back. Wanna eat something? Zhang Wei greeted warmly. He thought, sure, Lin Fan is way better looking, which means he'll be overshadowed in the future. But a guy this handsome was sure to have tons of girls chasing after him. That just meant more chances for him to meet cute girls too. And since they were roommates, it was better to keep things friendly. No need to make everyday life awkward. I already ate dinner, so I'll pass, Lin Fan declined. He was trying to lose weight, and midnight snacking would only make it worse. Alright. Zhang Wei shrugged and went back to munching and watching anime. Lin Fan opened a new pair of underwear and headed to the bathroom to wash up. A few minutes later, with wet hair and wearing shorts, Lin Fan came back and sat at his desk. You're done already? Zhang Wei looked over in surprise. He hadn't even made it halfway through his anime episode, it had only been about 10 minutes. That was way too fast. Too fast? Lin Fan tilted his head toward Zhang Wei. Super fast. Brushing teeth, washing your hair, face, and body, I take at least 30 minutes. Zhang Wei nodded seriously. Lin Fan thought for a second. Before regaining memories of his past life, he had taken long showers too. Brushing teeth took minutes, hair washing took 10, then conditioner. Face wash took 8 minutes, and after the shower came moisturizing, face cream, etc. He used to spend a lot of time. Half an hour was already quick back then. You sure you weren't doing something else in there? Lin Fan joked. I didn't. I'd never do that. Zhang Wei quickly denied. Semen is too precious, why would I waste it? Donating to the Empire's sperm bank is better. Lin Fan looked at him suspiciously. He had a point, but that strong reaction? Maybe he had nailed it? Whatever. That's his business. Lin Fan turned on his computer, ready to play some games. With a rig this powerful, not playing AAA games would be a waste. But after opening several gaming platforms, Lin Fan was disappointed. He couldn't find a single AAA title that interested him. Most of the games were female-targeted, dating sims, dress-up, management sims. Odom games in particular made up over half of all female games, where players roleplay and romance various male characters. These games were huge in size and demanded good hardware, because both characters and environments were visually stunning. But Lin Fan, even after watching the trailers, had zero interest in downloading them. There weren't many male-targeted games. And those that existed were mostly reskin female games with swapped genders. Shooter games were niche and poorly made, no CS, no PUBG, no Battlefield. Games like Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, Warhammer, Red Alert, Warcraft, GTA, Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, The Witcher, Left 4 Dead, none of them existed. Suddenly, Lin Fan felt that men in this world had it pretty rough. There were no fun games to play. He began thinking, should he start a game company and port all the popular games from his past life? He hadn't been a hardcore gamer, but he had loved gaming. And a world without games? That was way too boring. Women were nice, sure, but most of the time, games were just more fun. Lin Fan shut down his computer, picked up his phone, and climbed into bed. Zhang Wei glanced over and lowered the TV volume significantly with the remote, then set it down and kept watching. Lin Fan glanced at Zhang Wei and lay down. This roommate wasn't bad. Seeing Lin Fan was going to sleep, he took the initiative to lower the TV volume. If it were one of those inconsiderate types, even reminding them wouldn't help, that would have been annoying. Looked like there wouldn't be any dorm conflict in the future. Lin Fan opened his phone to look for some fun mobile games, but after browsing for a while, he still didn't find anything fun. Match, 3 games, puzzle games, farming sims, and then, just all sorts of romance games. Lin Fan felt a little hopeless. Was the game industry in this world that warped? In his past life, lots of girls liked games too. Games like Honor of Kings, PUBG, On My OG, Audition, Nikki, even some wuxia games had huge female followings. But here? Basically only odom games remained. All about dating. If not dating, it was still dating. Different game genres just meant different ways to talk about dating. Gamers here were seriously underfed. Lin Fan gave up, put his phone down, and decided to sleep early. He planned to get up early tomorrow for a morning run. He wanted to get his BMI down to 20 as soon as possible. Just as he closed his eyes, Lin Fan remembered, he still had an unused looks card. He opened the system and used the card stored in the temporary space. His appearance score went from 89 to 90. His body stat also increased from 78 to 79. As expected, raising looks also improved body slightly. But you had to boost looks by 2 to 3 points to raise body by 1 point. His phone vibrated by his ear. It was a voice message from Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan, hubby, what do you want for breakfast tomorrow? I'll bring it to you //. Just as Lin Fan was about to reply, Wang Xidian sent a voice message too. Wang Xidian, sweetheart, I'll bring you breakfast tomorrow. Is there anything you can't eat? Lin Fan scratched his head. Both Lu Ruyan and Wang Xidian wanted to bring him breakfast? How was he supposed to eat it all? And he was trying to cut fat. If he ate both meals, wouldn't tomorrow's morning run be pointless? So he replied with the same message to both. I'm starting a diet, no need to bring me breakfast. Within seconds, both of them replied. Lu Ruyan, hubby, you're not even fat, why diet? A little chubby is cuter and comfier to hug. Wang Xidian, sweetheart, your body is already great, there's no need to diet at all. Looking at their replies, Lin Fan felt a little emotional. He was 194 pounds, not really fat, but definitely overweight. He was 6 feet 0 inches tall, and at 194 pounds, his BMI was around 26. The healthy range was 18.5 to 24.9. 26 wasn't obese, but it was still overweight. Plus, he didn't work out much, and had a visible belly roll when sitting. Not fat? In his past life, people would have called him a fatty already. Girls in this world were way too forgiving toward guys. Lin Fan replied. I think I'm too fat. I must lose weight. No one is allowed to stop me. Right after sending that, his phone buzzed several more times. The 5 Li sisters all messaged him, saying they got home and asking if he had gone to sleep yet. As he was about to reply, their counselor, Xia Tian, sent a message. Counselor Xia Tian, Lin Fan, I heard you were with the girls training all day. How are you holding up? Need a rest tomorrow? Let me know if you want to take a day off, it's totally fine. A girl from the dance department, Zhong Lei, whom he had added earlier in the day, also messaged. Zhong Lei, dance department, Lin Fan. I saw your singing video. That song was amazing. Aren't you a manga major? You even write music? You're totally a genius. Seeing all the messages, Lin Fan didn't even know who to reply to first. He suddenly admired that master of time management from his past life. Maintaining relationships with multiple girls without them finding out, all while holding down a job, that was insane. He was already overwhelmed just texting a few girls. Still, Lin Fan replied to each of them one by one. He figured he was only flustered now because he wasn't used to it, given time, he'd manage smoothly. Zhang Wei watched 2 episodes of anime, turned off the TV, grabbed his clothes, and went to the bathroom to wash up. Training resumed at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Even though boys could rest, if you didn't request leave, you still had to show up. So better to sleep early. Zhang Wei stayed in the bathroom for almost an hour. When he came out, he had a face mask stuck on his face. Lin Fan, you're still awake? Zhang Wei was surprised. Lin Fan had gone to bed ages ago, yet he still hadn't slept? Was he watching anime? But that tiny phone screen, how painful for the eyes. Why not just use the TV or computer? Yeah, chatting with girlfriends. Too many of them, I can't keep up, Lin Fan said, a little helpless. Each one had so much to say, it never stopped. Huh? Can't keep up? How's that even a thing? If you don't feel like replying, then don't. Why treat women so well? The more you spoil them, the more they'll step all over you. We guys shouldn't be too nice. You have to test these nasty women from all angles. They're just after our bodies, trying to marry us and keep us locked down for life. So no matter how we treat them, they won't give up. You're not wrong, Lin Fan was genuinely shocked. But it also kinda made sense. This world wasn't like his past one. He couldn't judge it by old standards. In his past life, the female players who kept many guys on the hook would often say, I'm going to take a shower as an excuse to ghost them. Some didn't even bother making excuses, just disappeared. Then whenever they remembered, they'd toss out a message and reel the guys back in. He didn't need to become a player, but there were some lessons worth learning. Lin Fan sent a mass message. "It's late, I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed. Bye." Soon after, he got replies from all the girls. Lu Ruyan, "Sleep well, hubby, good night." Wang Sidian, "Okay, sweetheart. Good night." The Li sisters also sent their good nights. As expected, some of the player strategies did work. When Lin Fan was asleep, the online buzz around him didn't cool down at all. His video of singing in a military training uniform was only getting hotter. It even made it straight to the trending headlines. Oh my god. Brother really got all of heaven's blessings. Not only so handsome, but also so talented. In love. In love. Lin Fan, debut right now. Ladies, don't panic. Lin Fan is going to debut soon. The little princess of Starlight Entertainment confessed to Lin Fan and promised to sign him a custom SSS tier artist contract. Is this real? Of course it is. Link. Why am I not rich? Wang Sidian. Listen up. Be good to Lin Fan. Don't get cocky. Or I swear I won't forgive you. Just thinking about Lin Fan hugging and kissing other girls makes my heart break. Other girls can do it, so can I. I'm going to the capital. On platforms like Weibo, Douyin, Zaya Hongshu, and even headline news apps, topics related to Lin Fan shot to the top. Meanwhile, some online shops on shopping platforms were also enjoying the boom. Lu, who lived near a clothing wholesale market, had opened a small online women's clothing store. All her stock came from that market. But running a store online wasn't easy, competition was brutal, especially for women's clothing. To make more money, Lu often worked until midnight, always replying instantly whenever a customer inquired. Usually, customer traffic was low. A daily sales total of 500 yuan was already considered good. Luckily, clothing had high margins. 500 yuan in sales meant about 200 yuan in profit after costs. It wasn't big money, but it was enough for her living expenses. But tonight, something unexpected happened. Starting in the evening, more and more people started visiting the store, asking questions, placing orders. At first, it was just a few, but after 8 p.m., it became so many that Lu could barely keep up. What was strange was, all of them were buying only purple clothes. The top-selling item was a long purple dress. This dress used to be a dud, barely 2 sold in a month. Lu couldn't figure it out. Why were so many people buying this dress today? Out of curiosity, she asked one of the customers. "Dear, may I ask why you're interested in buying this purple dress from our store?" "Because, my sister said purple has charm." "Huh? Yeah, my sister said purple has charm. Placing the order now, please ship it quickly." "Okay, dear." Lu still didn't understand, but it was obvious something unknown was driving the spike in purple dress orders. So she searched online for the phrase, "My sister said purple has charm." That's when she found trending topics about Lin Fan. Most handsome freshman of Wadayaku Royal Vocational College. My sister said purple has charm. Rookie of the Year, debuted at the peak, SSS artist contract. Uncovering Lin Fan's past life, his life is a cheat code. After reading the news and watching the video, Lu finally realized. Her store's sales explosion was because of Lin Fan's song. Or more accurately, because of a single lyric in that song. My sister said purple has charm. That one lyric made her store's sales skyrocket. Normally, she might get 10 orders a day. Tonight she already had over 100, 10 times more. And the number kept rising. Lin Fan. From today on, you are my only idol. I'll protect you forever. Meanwhile, Lin Fan was sound asleep, totally unaware that he had gained over 100,000 new fans overnight, all thanks to that one song. Lin Fan didn't have a Weibo account, but he did have a Douyin account. He just hadn't posted anything, and never uploaded any photos of himself. There were only some photos of the orphanage he lived in, and one video of him feeding a stray cat. His Douyin username wasn't even his real name. But the internet was full of detectives. Somehow, people found his account and started following. In just one night, his Douyin follower count exploded from under 50 to over 100,000. He had no idea any of this was happening. At 5 a.m., his phone alarm rang on his pillow. After just 2 rings, Lin Fan turned it off. He lay there for 10 more seconds, then got up. Starting today, he was going to run every morning. Lose weight. Until he could see his abs, the fat burning wouldn't stop. He refused to accept having a belly roll. He didn't have workout clothes, so he just wore his military uniform, grabbed his phone and key card, and headed out. He went to the nearest track field. Not many people there, but some were already exercising. All of them were girls. Not a single guy. Most guys, regardless of how they looked, didn't really care about their bodies. Why worry? The welfare system was great, money wasn't a problem, wives were guaranteed, so who needed body anxiety? He opened his phone, tapped on some music, did a bit of warm-up, and then started jogging with his long legs. The moment he stepped on the track, the few girls already running noticed him. A guy out running in the morning? So rare. Because he wasn't used to running, Lin Fan didn't set the bar high, just 5 to 10 laps would do. The final number would depend on how he felt. Push if he could, stop if he had to. Exercise had to be gradual, getting hurt would be a huge loss. "Hey handsome, running alone?" a crisp voice called out from behind him. Lin Fan turned his head and saw a girl in a two-piece workout outfit catching up from the side. Chen Fengjing. Height, 5 feet 3 inches, looks, 89. She was beautiful, with toned arms and calves, clearly someone who worked out regularly. Her high ponytail bounced with each step, she looked full of energy. Her skin was tanned, like a healthy wheat tone, but still beautiful in its own way. Yeah. Half a person running would be a horror movie, Lin Fan joked casually. Haha, you're funny. Chen Fengjing grinned brightly. I'm Chen Fengjing, music performance major. You? Lin Fan, manga major. They didn't keep chatting the whole time, after all running is pretty tiring. Chen Fengjing asked Lin Fan for his WeChat ID, saying they could run together in the morning. Lin Fan didn't refuse. Having a pretty girl to run with is more fun than doing it alone. After 5 laps, Lin Fan felt like he couldn't do it anymore. His legs were tired, his breathing heavy, his heart racing. He had no choice but to stop and walk. Chen Fengjing, by contrast, had started running before he got to the track, and after pacing with him 5 laps she was still moving easily. Living without exercising is still a problem. Even a girl outruns him. Lin Fan walked another lap and then stretched his leg muscles by the bleachers. Chen Fengjing ran to his side. Lin Fan, done. Yeah, done. Can't run anymore. Lin Fan said while stretching. I'm about done too. Want to go to the cafeteria for breakfast together? Chen Fengjing invited with a smile. Lin Fan shook his head. No thanks. If I eat breakfast then tomorrow's run is for nothing. I'll go back, shower, and just drink a bottle of milk. Before the next training he'd drink a milk and eat an egg, that was enough. Okay, Chen Fengjing didn't push further. Lin Fan, since this is your first run today, your legs will be sore tomorrow. Will you be able to get up? Do you want me to wake you in the morning? Chen Fengjing wanted to run with Lin Fan again tomorrow. If he persisted, they'd get a morning run together every day. Sure, little Fengjing, I'll count on you tomorrow. Lin Fan thought for a moment and nodded with a smile. Chen Fengjing of course understood his plan, and Lin Fan didn't mind at all. Who doesn't like good things? He also liked good-looking girls, otherwise he wouldn't bother with her. Given permission, Chen Fengjing nodded firmly. Yes. Leave it to me. After stretching, Lin Fan left the track and walked toward the men's dorm building. Chen Fengjing jogged off to the other side, meeting 3 girls. Fengjing. So? Did you get Lin Fan's WeChat? One asked. Do I have to ask? Of course I did. Both Lin Fan and I pulled out our phones. Chen Fengjing smiled and nodded. Yes I did. I envy you so much. If I were as pretty as you, I'd also ask for Lin Fan's WeChat. Forget it. A guy like Lin Fan isn't something us ordinary people can have. To have a god-level guy you either need to be super rich or super pretty. Yeah. But even if we can't be with Lin Fan, I'll guard him forever. Me too. Lin Fan deserves our guarding. Alright, don't be so pessimistic. Lin Fan said he's losing weight and will come to the morning run every day. You girls also stick with it. If you meet him enough times, even if you can't be lovers, you might become friends, right? Chen Fengjing comforted them. Huh? The male god is losing weight? His body doesn't need losing weight. Exactly. He's so tall, he doesn't look fat at all. Right. Those chubby faces with big bellies are the ones who need weight loss, the male god doesn't. Shoo! Keep your voice down. If someone with intent hears you, you might get cyberbullied. It's fine. Nobody's around. Lin Fan returned to the dorm, took a clean pair of underwear and went to the bathroom. Less than 10 minutes later, he walked out with wet hair and sat at his desk in shorts. Zhang Wei, in pajamas on the bed. Lin Fan, you're too clean, man. Showered last night and now again this morning? Huh? You didn't secretly fly last night? Zhang Wei teased with a lecherous look. Joke. With so many girlfriends, I'd still need to sneak off. I just ran a few laps and got sweaty. Lin Fan put on the dried military uniform from last night. Luckily there were 2 sets or he'd have nothing to change. Today at noon he'd go to the mall outside school to buy some clean clothes and shoes. You okay? Still doing the morning run? Not tired? Zhang Wei looked surprised. If you're playing ball or something, fine, some guys join. But morning jogging? That's torture. Almost no male does it. Especially summer or winter. Why get out of bed early and run? Tired, yeah. But I feel too fat and need to lose weight. Lin Fan adjusted his wet hair in front of the full mirror. Even in a uniform he looked handsome. Fat? If you're fat then what am I? Zhang Wei descended the bunk stairs. You're fat too. No way, this is full-figured. Zhang Wei denied instantly. Guys can't be fat. Doesn't exist. I'm telling you. Don't be fooled by some girls. Full-figured is the real beauty. Skinny bones is what those nasty girls like. My dieting has nothing to do with girls. Just feel my body's not like before. Lin Fan said calmly. Don't you feel walking upstairs is harder since you got fat? Lin Fan asked. Zhang Wei shrugged. Yes, stamina's less than before. But who cares? There are elevators everywhere, not that hard. Well, you don't feel since you got fat your bomber turned into a small agricultural plane and takeoff time got shorter? So what? As long as it can fly. Those nasty girls are the ones wanting us to fly forever. We don't need to cater to them. Zhang Wei rolled his eyes. Lin Fan couldn't argue. Just say the world here was too advanced and he couldn't keep up. Hey, Lin Fan, help me check this. Marriage Office 678 forcibly matched me with a girl for a blind date. Do you think I should go? Zhang Wei turned his phone to Lin Fan's view. On the screen, name, Zhao Yajuan age, 26 height, 4 foot 11 inch, plus a photo and recent health report. From the photo she looked pretty, maybe an 80+ look score. Face looked young though age was 26. Body seemed okay, just flat-chested. You wanna go? Lin Fan asked casually. I don't know. Zhang Wei looked conflicted. What do you mean, don't know? Go if you want, don't if you don't. I mean, Lin Fan, this girl's your type, right? Lin Fan glanced at the posters of anime girls on Zhang Wei's wall. All 2D girls. Zhao Yajuan looked young and childlike, the type Zhang Wei liked. The only difference, she was 3D not 2D. Zhang Wei hesitated a while. Fine, I'll go one time. Hey, Lin Fan, can you go with me? Zhang Wei asked. You're not scared of a blind date, right? Lin Fan eventually agreed to accompany Zhang Wei to meet his blind date. As an anime otaku, Zhang Wei hadn't interacted much with women, and this was his first official blind date. Besides, Lin Fan was also curious to see how men and women in this world actually went on blind dates. Last time, when he and Li Siyu went on a group blind date, he happened to catch a glimpse of another blind date happening nearby, but it was just a small snippet. He hadn't participated in the whole thing. This time, he planned to see the entire process. Of course, the main reason was that Zhao Yajuan was quite good-looking. If she were ugly, he wouldn't have bothered getting involved. Lin Fan messaged Lu Ruyan, telling her not to bring him breakfast. But Lu Ruyan had already bought breakfast and was waiting downstairs outside their dorm building. It was about time, so Lin Fan simply went downstairs with Zhang Wei. Lin Fan. Lu Ruyan saw him and immediately waved happily. She held a plastic bag in her other hand with breakfast for both of them inside. Lin Fan walked over and gave her a good morning kiss first. She went out early in the morning to buy him breakfast and even delivered it to the dorm. How could he not provide a little emotional value? He wasn't the type to take advantage of someone for nothing. Lu Ruyan was, of course, filled with happiness. She had only bought breakfast for her boyfriend, and she got a kiss in return. What other boyfriend would spoil their girlfriend like this? Only Lin Fan. You bought so much? I'm on a diet. 1 bottle of milk and 1 egg is enough. Lin Fan only took those 2 items. He didn't take the steamed buns, flour rolls, or egg pancakes. Lin Fan, your body's already in great shape. You really don't need to diet. If you only eat this little, your stomach's going to be hungry. Lu Ruyan said with concern. At their age, they were still growing. Having just 1 bottle of milk and 1 egg for breakfast wasn't even enough for her as a girl. For a boy like Lin Fan, it definitely wouldn't be enough. Alright, if you keep nagging, I'm gonna get mad. Lin Fan said, pretending to frown. Lu Ruyan instantly backed off. Okay, then if you want anything to eat, just tell me anytime. I'll go buy it for you right away. She stared at Lin Fan with her big eyes, looking pitiful. Lin Fan raised his hand and rubbed her head. Okay, I got it. Several girls passing by around them looked at Lu Ruyan with envy. It was just breakfast delivery, yet she got a good morning kiss and a head pat from her boyfriend. And he was so handsome too. That was too sweet. Some of them recognized Lin Fan and were green with jealousy. They wanted to be Lin Fan's girlfriend too. Even if it wasn't for long, even just for one day, they'd be willing. 2 bold girls walked up to Lin Fan. Lin Fan. Your singing is amazing. We love you. Can we take a picture with you? It'd be even better if we could add you on WeTalk. Lin Fan didn't know that someone had uploaded a video of his singing online. Not only was he famous at school, but he had also gone viral online. He just assumed the two girls were from nearby classes. A photo is fine. But I won't add you on WeTalk. Lin Fan agreed to the photo but rejected their friend request. Both girls were around a 7 out of 10 in looks, slightly above average, but not real beauties, not his type. Sure, he wanted a harem of beauties, but there were standards for those beauties. The girls were a little disappointed they couldn't add him, but after the photo, they still left happily. They quickly posted the photos to their Moments, Douyin, and Xiaopishu accounts. Brother Lin Fan is just too gentle. His girlfriend just brought him breakfast and got a good morning kiss. I'm so jealous of her. Lin Fan, Lu Ruyan, and Zhang Wei headed toward the sports field. You're a singer? Zhang Wei asked curiously. Lin Fan was only a freshman, about 18 years old. A singer at that age? He had never heard of him. Maybe just a newbie singer? No, I just sang a song yesterday during a break in military training, Lin Fan said calmly. That's not true. Lin Fan, you are a singer. A big one. Lu Ruyan immediately defended him. That girl who confessed to you last night said she wanted to give you an SSS-level artist contract? Regular singers don't get those top-tier deals. Lin Fan was clearly so outstanding, why stay so low-key? Plus, as Lin Fan's girlfriend, the more impressive he was, the prouder she felt. Huh? Ruyan, how do you know about that? You were there too? Lin Fan looked at her, curious. No. Lin Fan, you're trending online, didn't you know? Someone filmed your singing and that girl's confession and uploaded it. The video went viral. Lots of people said your singing is amazing. You've got tons of fans now. You even made the trending topics. Lu Ruyan explained. Zhang Wei's eyes widened. His roommate was this awesome? What? Lin Fan couldn't believe it. Was it that easy to go viral in this world? He hadn't even spent a dime. He took out his phone and opened a news app. Sure enough, he was trending. Not just once, but multiple times. The most handsome freshman at Royal Academy of Wadayaku. Digging into Lin Fan's past, the birth of a genius. My sister said purple is so tasteful. 1 million new fans in a day, the most handsome musical prodigy. He opened Douyin. The messages showed 99 plus, and in the back end, his follower count had exploded to 2.8 million. Keep in mind, he was just a regular person. His previous follower count hadn't even broken 100. Now, overnight, it was over 2.8 million. That was insane. Actually, it made sense. Extra explanation was a legendary viral song in his past life. It going viral in this world was expected. He was also super handsome. The girl filming even used a beauty filter. His looks weren't diminished, they were enhanced. Lastly, the gender ratio in this world was wild. There were too few men, and even fewer male celebrities. Guys already didn't lack female attention, and handsome guys got even more. Most handsome guys didn't want to stand in front of the camera to entertain women. Even those who did enter the entertainment industry usually just wanted to catch a sugar mama. If a guy wasn't super handsome but had some fame, there were still rich women who would be interested. Aside from those guys, only a few truly passionate about performing, music, or showing themselves would stay in the entertainment world. There were few men in showbiz. Fewer handsome men. Top-tier handsome guys were practically national treasures. Lin Fan could write songs, was ridiculously good-looking, and had ranked second in the National College Entrance Exam. How could people not like him? Having 2.8 million fans in just half a day was honestly not that surprising. Once the hype spread even further, hitting 10 million fans was just a matter of time. Lin Fan immediately became the center of attention. After the classmates arrived, they all gathered around him to offer congratulations and asked for a photo together. Lin Fan didn't refuse any of them. Anyway, he was waiting for the instructor to arrive so he could ask for leave to accompany Zhang Wei on his blind date. Since he was waiting, taking photos with everyone didn't matter. Also, he kind of liked the feeling of being admired like the moon surrounded by stars. As long as it wasn't some crazy stalker fan, he felt he could accept it. Soon, the instructor also arrived. Instructor, I've got something to do. I need to take the morning off. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Chenning immediately looked at Lin Fan with concern. No, nothing like that. I just have some personal matters to take care of. That's good, that's good. Is a morning enough time? It's enough. Alright then, Lin Fan, add me on WeTalk. If you can't make it back this afternoon, just send me a message. Chenning took out her phone. She actually wanted to add Lin Fan as a friend yesterday but couldn't find a good moment to bring it up. After she went back last night, she saw the online posts and knew Lin Fan had gone viral. That made her even more eager to add him. She believed Lin Fan was destined to become a top-tier pop star, a king. Being friends with a future king on WeTalk would be such an honor. Lin Fan also took out his phone and added Chinning on WeTalk. Having the instructor as a WeTalk friend would definitely make it easier to ask for leave in the future. After getting the leave, Lin Fan went with Zhang Wei to his class to ask his instructor for time off. Zhang Wei's instructor also readily agreed. This was one of the privileges of being a guy. Zhang Wei's blind date location wasn't far from school, it was a coffee shop in a mall just outside the campus. So after getting permission, the two didn't go straight to the coffee shop. They went back to the dorm to enjoy some air conditioning. 8 a.m. There's only 1 hour left, Zhang Wei, want to head out? Lin Fan asked, turning away from his computer. It's still early, no rush, Zhang Wei said as he sat at his desk playing a martial arts-themed romance game. The game wasn't focused on combat or leveling up. The main thing was buying skins, dressing up characters, and winning over female NPCs. The character models, scene designs, and skins were all beautifully made. But Lin Fan had no interest in playing it. Since Zhang Wei, the one going on the blind date, wasn't in a rush, Lin Fan wasn't either. He turned back and continued typing on his keyboard. He was copying songs from his memory. Lyrics, simplified musical notation. Back in his previous life during college, he had learned guitar to chase girls, so he knew simplified notation. He not only wrote down the lyrics and music for extra explanation, but also wrote several other songs, all by Jay Cho. In his past world, Jay Cho held an unshakable position in the music industry, and Lin Fan grew up listening to his songs. 8:30 a.m. Lin Fan glanced at the time, then looked over at Zhang Wei, who was still playing his game, and went back to copying songs. It was Zhang Wei's date, not his own. So he didn't need to be too invested. And it was a good chance to observe how a local guy handled a blind date situation. 8:50 a.m. Lin Fan, it's about time. Let's go, Zhang Wei stood up. Lin Fan turned and saw Zhang Wei hadn't turned off his computer. The game was still running. So he planned to finish the blind date quickly and come back to keep playing? Lin Fan saved his documents and locked the screen. Alright, let's go. The songs in his computer were classic hits from his past life, and each one was worth a lot. Naturally, he needed to protect them. The two left the dorm, left the school, and headed to the mall outside the south gate. By the time they arrived, it was nearly 9:20 a.m. But Zhang Wei still didn't look in any hurry. As an observer, Lin Fan was even more relaxed, it wasn't his date, after all. After a few minutes, the two entered a coffee shop. Lin Fan quickly spotted Zhang Wei's blind date partner. It was clear she had put effort into getting ready for this date. She had permed her hair into big waves and wore delicate makeup. She had on a red camisole paired with a white sun-protective mesh shirt. On her lower half was a dark blue denim maxi skirt, and on her feet were black high-heeled sandals. Beside her was a color-blocked leather handbag. How to describe it? Her looks were still good, but there was a huge gap between how she looked now and her photo. The photos made her look young and cute, but now she gave off a mature vibe. Lin Fan felt this date was probably doomed. Judging by the poster next to Zhang Wei's bed, he preferred the lowly type, not the mature, big sister type. The reason he agreed to this date was likely because Zhao Yajuan looked youthful in her photos. Now that she had styled herself to look mature, Zhang Wei probably wouldn't be into it. Lin Fan glanced at Zhang Wei's expression. Sure enough, it was gloomy. As Zhang Wei walked over, Zhao Yajuan quickly stood up. Hello, I'm Zhao Yajuan. You're Zhang Wei, right? She sneaked a look at Lin Fan and thought, Zhang Wei's friend is way too handsome. But she didn't dare look too long. Staring at the guy who came with her date? That would definitely ruin the date. Zhang Wei sat directly across from Zhao Yajuan, and Lin Fan also sat down. Lin Fan increasingly felt that the rules in this world were too kind to guys. More than 20 minutes late, and the girl didn't leave. Instead, she smiled and stood up to greet them. In his past life, a girl would have already walked off. You didn't even have to be late, just arriving after the girl could get you a dirty look, or she might leave right away. Before leaving, she'd post something on social media complaining about the date. Then after going home, she'd trash-talk the date to everyone around, ruining his reputation. Zhao Yajuan quickly called over a waiter and asked what Zhang Wei and Lin Fan wanted to drink. After ordering 2 coffees, she also asked for some fruit and snacks. Just tell me your own conditions, Zhang Wei said coldly. Lin Fan was surprised. He didn't expect Zhang Wei to suddenly turn so cold. Zhao Yajuan sat back down, organized her thoughts, and spoke, I don't have any conditions. I just want to find someone healthy, not violent, and who doesn't gamble or do drugs. I told you to talk about your conditions, not your demands. The marriage app says you have a college degree, did you buy that? Zhang Wei's face got even darker. I haven't even made any demands, and you're already listing yours. Are you objectifying men or what? Zhao Yajuan clearly panicked and waved her hands. No, I'm just too nervous. This is the last time the marriage app will match me for a blind date. If this one doesn't work out, I might never get married. There were too few men. Every guy was treated like a star. If a girl couldn't successfully marry through one of the 10 blind dates the marriage app provided, she'd usually be around 26 or 27 years old. At that age, she'd already be considered an older single woman. Getting a man to marry her with just her own effort would be extremely difficult. Unless she was super rich, it was basically hopeless. Zhao Yajuan was already 26, and this was her 9th match. Naturally, she was very anxious. But Zhang Wei had no intention of showing pity. What's that got to do with me? Just tell me about yourself. How much do you make per month? Do you own a house? A car? How much do you have in savings? I need to evaluate your situation before deciding whether to take the next step. My monthly after-tax income is $1,500. Housing in Jingcheng is too expensive, so I haven't bought an apartment yet. But I did buy a small car for around $15,000. As for savings, I have about $3,000 now. Zhao Yajuan shared her situation. A monthly after-tax income of over $1,500 already put her above more than half, maybe 60% to 70%, of the people in Jingcheng. That kind of income really wasn't low. But Zhang Wei wasn't satisfied. You're a woman, and you can't even make $7,000 a month? Are you disabled? Just $1,500 a month, how are you going to support me? Zhang Wei's expression was full of dissatisfaction. Only $1,500 a month? That was way too little. You get subsidies too, right? Combined it's over $3,000 per month, Zhao Yajuan quickly said. If that subsidy was enough to live on, why would I even get married? What would I need you for? Low-tier woman. Zhang Wei's eyes visibly filled with disgust. Not only did this woman earn little, but she even had her eye on his imperial subsidies. He still needed those subsidies to buy skins for his in-game characters. My salary will go up. If we live frugally, it'll be enough. Zhao Yajuan didn't want the blind date to end like this. You don't even have an apartment. Even if we save, can we save enough for one? You get a housing assignment though? After we get married, we won't be homeless. Zhao Yajuan said in a small voice. Once males become adults, the empire assigns them a home. As long as the male hasn't lost his imperial benefits due to misconduct, that home stays his. They could just live there. What the hell? You're not planning to bring a place to live into the marriage, and now you're even eyeing my house? Then what do I need you for? Plus, your degree is only from a Tier 2 university. I go to Wadayaku Royal Academy. You're reaching way above your level, don't you know that? See him? He's my roommate. Yesterday, a girl tried to chase him and promised him at least $7 million a year. Zhang Wei pointed at Lin Fan. If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't be here on a blind date with you either. Zhao Yajuan muttered. What did you say? Zhang Wei frowned and questioned her. He didn't catch her exact words, but he had a bad feeling about them. Nothing. I just meant, I don't have that kind of money. If I did, I wouldn't need a blind date to get married, right? Zhao Yajuan quickly explained. This was the last time the marriage app would arrange a blind date for her. If she missed this opportunity, getting married in the future would be even harder. With her conditions, it would be almost impossible to chase down a man in Jingcheng and marry him. The chase alone would cost a lot of time and money, and even then it might fail. If this blind date failed, she might as well go for IVF. As for going back to her hometown? Going back home would mean her income would be cut in half, and men there weren't easy to please either. If this blind date didn't work out, then she might as well give up the idea of marrying a man at all. Zhang Wei scratched his head, conflicted. Since you already know you don't have money, then show a little sincerity. He still wanted to try dating Zhao Yajuan. In his 18 years, besides his family, he hadn't had much contact with girls his age. Pride aside, as long as his orientation was straight, what boy didn't want to experience sweet love? And Zhao Yajuan happened to be his type. Small frame, petite build, flat chest, and a cute baby face. Aside from not being two-dimensional, she fit his aesthetic perfectly. If she had dressed today in her youthful photo style from the marriage app, instead of this mature look, Zhang Wei wouldn't have treated her coldly at all. Low income, no house, no car, no savings, none of that would matter. Dating wasn't the same as marrying. For dating, a girl only needed to match his aesthetic. If the relationship went well, maybe they could get married. Besides, men weren't limited to only one wife. Zhao Yajuan being poor wasn't a problem, he could marry a few wealthier women later. I? Zhao Yajuan hesitated for a moment, then her eyes suddenly filled with determination, like she'd made an important decision. My savings and future salary, I'll give them all to you to manage, she said. At least your attitude is decent. Zhang Wei thought for a moment and spoke calmly. In that case, let's try dating for 1 month. If you satisfy me, we'll get married. If not, we part ways and act like we never met. Zhao Yajuan nodded repeatedly. Okay. I'll definitely prove my sincerity to you. This was the last blind date arranged for her by the Empire. If she didn't seize this chance, marriage would only get harder. And with her conditions, she'd never get the chance to meet an 18-year-old guy again. She'd be left with older men who already had multiple wives. And even those men might not think she was good enough. So she had to grab this chance tightly. Zhang Wei's agreement let the blind date continue. The three sat in the coffee shop and chatted. Well, mostly it was Zhao Yajuan talking, Zhang Wei occasionally responded, and Lin Fan just sat back, eating popcorn like a bystander. He was here today purely to support Zhang Wei and also to see how people went on blind dates in this world. They sat for about an hour. Zhao Yajuan probably felt uncomfortable being the only one trying to keep the conversation going, her brain was nearly fried. Zhang Wei, it's still early. Want to walk around the mall for a bit? We can figure out what to eat later, Zhao Yajuan suggested. Let's walk around, Zhang Wei nodded. I'm fine with that, Lin Fan smiled slightly. If they were going shopping, it was a good chance for him to buy a few changes of clothes. Otherwise, during military training, he'd have nothing to wear except his training uniform every day. Zhang Wei had changed into regular clothes for today's blind date, but Lin Fan was still in his camo training outfit. He had originally planned to ask one of his girlfriends to go clothes shopping with him. Since they were already at the mall and were going shopping anyway, he might as well just buy the clothes himself. He was fast at shopping and wouldn't take much time. Zhao Yajuan took the initiative to pay the bill, and the three of them started walking around the mall. But instead of going to the clothing section, they entered a claw machine arcade. And it was Zhang Wei who suggested it. Looking at the machines, Lin Fan understood why Zhang Wei wanted to come. There were a lot of figurines inside. Some of them were even characters from the posters next to Zhang Wei's bed. $1 per token, 2 tokens per try. Zhao Yajuan bought $200 worth of tokens. She stood beside Zhang Wei, holding a basket full of tokens, watching him try to grab a figurine. She even handed a couple of tokens to Lin Fan, letting him play too. But Lin Fan wasn't interested in anything inside the claw machine. The figurines weren't high quality, and none of the characters were ones he liked. To be honest, he wasn't really into anime in this world. So he couldn't be bothered to play. So it ended up being him and Zhao Yajuan watching Zhang Wei play alone. And Zhang Wei was really bad at it. He had already used more than half the tokens in the basket, but still hadn't grabbed a single figurine. When the last coin was used, Zhang Wei finally lost it and slapped the machine. Smack. Damn. What kind of rigged machine is this? The guaranteed catch rate is so low, it's scamming idiots. This place is gonna go bankrupt eventually. Don't be mad. All claw machines are like this, Zhao Yajuan quickly comforted him. I'll go buy another $200 worth of tokens. I will get that thing. Zhao Yajuan could tell Zhang Wei really wanted that figurine. All 100 plus tokens had been used on that one. I still have a few tokens, use mine first. Lin Fan handed the tokens in his basket to Zhang Wei. He wasn't planning to play anyway. This piece of junk can't grab anything. I'm done. Zhang Wei was clearly furious and turned to play a different machine. Lin Fan didn't follow. Instead, he dropped 2 tokens into the machine. In his previous life, he'd played claw machines with his girlfriend and had never experienced a case where 150 or 160 tokens didn't catch a single prize. Even if he didn't hit a strong grip, he could slowly maneuver the prize toward the drop zone and eventually hook it out. He wanted to see if this machine was really that ridiculous. Lin Fan adjusted the claw and pressed the button. The metal claw precisely grabbed the same figurine that Zhang Wei had been trying to get. But after firmly gripping the prize, the claw threw it in the opposite direction of the prize chute. Same result as Zhang Wei. But Lin Fan didn't get discouraged, instead, the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. With both hands on the joystick and button, he could feel every change in the claw's movement, descending, gripping, lifting. His magic hand talent kicked in. Lin Fan inserted another 2 tokens and moved the claw again. This time, he didn't go for a strong grip. He did a soft grab and successfully nudged the prize box a little closer to the drop zone. Another 2 tokens, the prize moved even closer. On the third try, the prize was already at the edge of the drop zone. On the fourth, Lin Fan gripped one corner of the box and placed it on top of another prize. On the fifth, Lin Fan successfully hooked it out. Excluding his first test attempt, he used only 10 tokens to grab the figurine that Zhang Wei couldn't get even after using more than 100. Lin Fan squatted down and pulled the prize from the machine's chute. This wasn't that hard. Holding the figurine, Lin Fan walked toward Zhang Wei and Zhao Yajuan and quickly found them. They were playing a string-cutting claw machine. Lin Fan walked over. Zhao Yajuan's basket had even more tokens in it. Clearly, she had gone to buy more. Zhang Wei, here. Zhang Wei had just failed again. Hearing Lin Fan's voice, he turned around, just in time to see Lin Fan toss a box at him. He instinctively reached out and caught it. When he saw the image on the box, his eyes instantly widened. Holy sh*t. You actually got it? Yeah, just a few tries. Didn't feel that hard. Did you hit a strong grip? Damn. If I knew, I would have kept playing. Zhang Wei was full of regret. I got the same kind you did. Here, it's yours. After all, he wasn't into figurines. Godfather. You serious? Zhang Wei was instantly excited. Even though he didn't win it himself, getting the figurine he wanted still made him very happy. I'm not into this stuff. He wasn't a fan of the anime. And the figurine Zhang Wei wanted had a flat chest, not even decorative worthy in his eyes. Back when they did that escape room, the store had given them a bride figurine that looked better than this one. Even though the bride had a veil and he couldn't see her face, the figure was great. Even fully dressed in a red wedding robe, Lin Fan would rather have that one than Zhang Wei's flat-chested figurine. You think I'd lie to you over a little toy? Lin Fan glanced sideways at Zhang Wei, then turned his attention to the claw machine they were now playing. The prizes in this string-cutting machine were pretty big. 24 to 32 inches plush toys, long electric water gel blasters, large Lego sets, etc. All of them worth more than the little figurines. But it also cost more to play. The previous machine cost 2 tokens per try, this one cost 3. And obviously, the difficulty of this one was much higher. Much harder to win. He had played these types before in his previous life. They really tested your eyesight and reflexes. Also, the blade in the machine might not be very sharp, it might take 2, 3, or even 4 or 5 tries to cut through the string. In his past life, Lin Fan only ever got lucky once cutting the string and won a prize. But now, with his magic hand, talent, strong sensory feedback and precise control, he wondered if, with his current skills, he could easily cut the prize string. Zhang Wei, how many times have you tried? Lin Fan asked curiously. Over 10 tries. Not even one cut. Too damn hard. Zhang Wei was full of frustration. He'd had success with other machines before, but today he'd spent so many tokens at this store and still got nothing. He was starting to think he'd never come back to this arcade. Let me try. Lin Fan nudged Zhang Wei aside and inserted 3 tokens. Then he moved the joystick to control the machine's scissors. Lined up the horizontal axis, pressed the button, and the scissors moved forward. When he saw the blade align with the thin string, Lin Fan instantly released the button. The scissors pressed down. The blade instantly sliced through the thin string, and the electric water gel blaster hanging inside dropped. WTF? You're cheating, aren't you? Zhang Wei shouted in disbelief. He'd tried over 10 times and still hadn't gotten his desired Lego set. Then Lin Fan shows up, plays once, and wins the big prize? How was there such a massive luck gap between people? Godfather! Help me! I want that Lego! Zhang Wei instantly grabbed Lin Fan's arm. Zhang Wei even called him Godfather, so Lin Fan naturally had no reason to refuse. He inserted another 3 tokens, controlled the